And we're waiting for it to go live. We're live.
Hello, welcome to Plat Chat VALORANT episode 210. It's me, joined by some of my favorite people to start tackling Pacific, Achilles, Sliggy, and Paperthin. We're going live right after Pacific has just ended, with some insane results. Good games today, though, and weird games all week, returning back to stage one.
Yeah, very much so. Do some not that many upsets, but the upsets were big when they happened. Dude, I thought we weren't gonna make it. There was a tech pause, and I was like, "Oh, we're done for here."
I was so worried because it's like I was gonna get through this, and then I gotta drive home. Paperthin has to take the bus. Yeah, and like we're just not gonna be on time.
The way that you phrase that, Paperthin has to take the bus, makes it sound like makes it sound like you don't give him a lift. Yeah. I drive home, but I don't like taking Paperthin.
Yeah. He cares about the environment.
Yes.
I'm looking to poison it. Like,
Public transportation is goated, okay?
I'll have it, I do drive a hybrid.
This.
I drive a hybrid, so.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
Sliggy drives a bus. He's got a second job as a bus driver in Iceland.
Yeah.
But there's only one bus route in the whole of Iceland, so it's a pretty easy job. He just drives people to Reykjavik and back.
That's nice.
Where do we want to begin this episode? Should we begin with the member question and see where we go from there?
Sure.
Wait, can we
You're
talk
the
about
host,
the?
You dictate it.
Can we actually just talk about your picture? Why you got bar on your head?
That's a good point.
What, this one?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
I can't. You can't just start the show off and not explain this. I've missed out on this. But people in my chat were calling you the buttery egg, so that's kind of making sense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it does make some sense. But to be honest with you, these are all post rationalizations. Basically, all that happened was someone said, "How much money would it be for you to spread butter all over your big bald head?" And I just gave them a number.
Wait, what was the number?
Well, before you know, what number would you say? Bearing in mind that I've got a bald head, right? So it doesn't require that much washing, actually, afterwards. It just, you know, one thing in the shower and it's off.
Knowing what you've done in the figures that you have charged, I feel like this one would be very cheap. I feel like this is...
Clint, you're in the exact same situation that I'm in.
Yeah.
If I'm not going to hold you to this, right? But I'm going to say if you were to put a random, cost figure for US dollars on butter being spread all over your bald head, what at least range are you considering here?
I mean, in the multiple hundreds at least.
Damn,
multiple hundreds?
Probably a couple $100. Yeah.
You wouldn't have to take the bus. Wouldn't have to take the bus anymore.
I don't know, unless you could that's true. Maybe I could afford
think
a
of all
car
the bus rides you could take with that money.
It's the best. Wait, does it exfoliate your skin or anything? Are there
there are no health benefits.
There
are no health
benefits. Horrendously.
Yeah, I smelt a butter for the next day. And also when I went in the shower, it took me 2 waves to try to get it off my head. And the whole shower smelled of like popcorn. You know when you walk into like a movie theater and there's the like buttered popcorn smell? It was stuck in my pores for like hours.
You needed to use like Dawn. You needed dish soap to get it out.
Anyway, there was no reason behind it. It was just simply, if somebody asks how much for this, and I respond to them because I talk to my chat. I don't know about you, Sliggy, when you stream.
Sometimes depends what they're acting like.
Listen, if they give me the money, I'm going to do the act.
150?
I don't even think it was that much.
It was 100 quid. It was 100 quid.
Okay.
Which is like what? That's like 100.
That's not that far from 150.
I did talk to my wife afterwards, and she said her slathering butter onto my head did give her the ick. So I'm not sure that it was worth. I'm not sure it was necessarily worthwhile. Like, it might have permanently damaged my relationship.
I was $20 off.
Shout out to the chatter that made you do it then.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But the worst part about it as well is I have a deal with my moderators where they get the donos that come into my chat. So I take all of the sub money and then I'm like, oh, mods, thank you very much for doing your work. You can take the donations. 100 quid came in as a dono, so that just went straight to the mods. So basically they paid the mods for me to get buttered head.
So very un-Tory of you.
I messed up. Yeah, I messed up. Should we do the member question? Let's crack on with that.
Sure.
If you want to support the show, you can become a member for some exclusive benefits. We have a members-only Discord. We're going to be doing some members shows as well. We did one most recently when we were in Bangkok. So every week as well, the members in the Discord get to ask us a question. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Been eating the butter. He's been eating the butter, bro.
What the hell is struck you suddenly? Oh no, he's caught the plague. It's returned to England after all these years.
Oh my god, he's sinking lower and lower.
Run the member question, Kurt. I think the question was...
It's his dying breath to see the question, Kurt.
Of these moments, which one was your favorite?
Oh,
this is
yes,
awesome.
I saw this on Twitter. Yeah,
I saw this. Yeah.
People drew some fan art.
Oh, nice.
The Plat Chat
Yep.
guarantee spray. That's a sick one, dude. That would be amazing if get that in the game and then give us the proceeds.
Oh, it's a hand covering the mouth where it says. I was like, what the hell is going on with this mouth? Like, what kind of expression is that? But I see it now.
Can we have a look at the next one? Lost a bet spray. Oh,
It's good.
I mean, I know that's glue,
It's
but
glue.
no, guys, it's glue. I promise, it's glue.
It's glue.
I mean, that one is.
It needs like a glue bottle sitting on the arm of the chair to really sell it.
That one might get us demonetized.
You just
that.
have a
That's-
dirty mind. Come on.
No, come on, Kurt.
I mean, it's.
Come
I'm right
on.
there with him. I'm right
Yeah,
there with him.
I'm not gonna lie. I like to think I have a clean mind, Kurt, and even I've gone there.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Okay.
Go to the
All
next
right.
one.
Yeah. What's the next one? Okay,
Why-
it's raining glue. At least that one has
Yeah,
a
it's
glue
a
bottle
good
and
one.
an
The
oil
glue
as
bottle.
well.
Yeah.
Why is there
yeah.
oil though? What's the oil?
It's for TMV. He's got the oil
'cause
meme. I
he's
don't know
got
where
the
it
oil,
came
That's
from.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much for TMV to get oiled up?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All right, that's a very cute one as well. The armchair analyst versus FPS game spray. That's very good. I like that. It's a game. It's an FPS game. So there's the armchair analyst as well.
This is
Ah.
Wait, that's sick. We
These
need to
are
get
good.
some. We need to get some of these actually made into.
Yeah.
We don't need to get any of these made into.
Really
You gotta
don't.
make that emote in your chat.
Well, I was gonna say make these emotes in the member Discord, and then if you become a member, you can have these, and then you can use them in other Discords.
You know what? As well, you can put emotes in the YouTube chat, so we can make them emotes in YouTube, and only the members are able to use them.
There you
Because
go.
at the
There you
moment,
go.
listen, people in the YouTube chat right now spam some of our member-only emotes. It's like Barla's
It's
face
mostly
and
my
Kurt and
face
stuff.
from the taxi incident.
Yeah.
I added a new
of that.
one. It's the Wide
Ooh.
Dryad.
Wide dryad.
It's just
Wide
Dan.
giant.
Well,
Oh
presumably
yes, I see it
wide.
now.
She's pretty wide in
Ju-
that picture.
Do you know what's cool about YouTube as well? If someone gifts a membership, I don't know if someone's going to do it in chat now, but you can then, if you own the YouTube channel, you can then gift out 10 memberships for free every month on
Really?
YouTube. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. If someone in chat now
Oh.
gifts you one, someone will do it. I'll pay him back or something, and then you can click on it, Kurt, and then you can
Forward me your
you can
details.
go down, you can buy it, and you can gift 10.
What?
Pretty cool. Every single
Oh,
month.
I'll look
Yeah.
at that right now.
damn, we've been messing
Well, there you
up.
go. Yeah, we've been holding off on our fans. I didn't even realize we were.
Yeah, get some freebies out there.
Yeah, I didn't realize that we were
Oh,
leaving them out there.
On that note, are we talking about the? We're not talking about the T1 Zeta series, right? We're kind of just glazing over that.
Yeah, I didn't want to do a full topic on it, but did you have a point to go for? Because we can chat about it.
I just wanted to say because I made the bet that if T1 lost the series, that I would donate $200 to a charity of Kurt's choice.
Of course. Yep.
And I'll be honest, I did not expect for Zeta to get a map. So, because there was people saying, people who were saying like, oh, W kills, and then other people were like, well, that just means he's not going to donate anything. So why are you guys supporting him? But I'll at least do, because I got a map, which I did not expect, I'll do $50. So Kurt, if you give me a charity, I will donate $50 either
Dude,
tonight.
you
You
guys are
you send
putting me
it.
all on the spot. I have to produce the show.
No.
I have to
You
give
don't
you
have
a
to-
charity.
You don't have to do it now. I'm just saying.
No, and I have to figure out how to do this gift thing that Sliggy just
Oh,
talked about.
then
I have
just
no
seem-
idea how to do
Or
this.
I can guide
During
you.
the week. Or would you like to, if you want to forgo it, you can pass it along to one of the other people here on
Yeah,
the panel.
Kurt.
Oh,
If you
no,
don't want to give money to charity, then that's fine.
Yeah, I'll give you the routing to my bank account.
Okay, Kurt,
Then
let
it'll
me help.
definitely
Let
go
me
to
help you
charity.
out because there's a time limit on this. So see that someone's gifted. There's like a little
Yes, I
box.
see.
It will say one.
I see.
Yeah,
I'm
you click
clicking
it. then click buy gift memberships. Go to
I
the
don't
bottom.
see that. I don't see that.
Don't see that.
Oh,
We-
maybe I have to
you
go.
know what
I'm gonna.
We
I'm
just
gonna
scammed
freak out.
everyone.
I think. Hold on. I'll show this on the show.
We just scammed
Has this
everyone.
been demonetized too many times? Like you're just banned from using that feature?
Yeah, maybe.
Probably. You
Wait, guys, we're gonna need you to keep gifting members so the time limit doesn't run out.
So what do I do?
Keep it going.
So what do I do?
So on the chat, yeah, click on the gifted, click on that, then go that, and then wait, you don't have it.
Wait, you actually scammed, Sliggy.
Wait, why do I have that and you don't?
What do you mean,
Dude,
What
we
does it
just
look like
got
on your
logged.
side?
I
And it
get
lets you give
free
10?
gifted. It lets me give 5, and then I can do 5 more every month.
Oh.
Until I promise, I promise I didn't be
Daddy
scammed.
Sliggy's just run the most insane pump and dump of all time. I didn't think Sliggy would fall into the trap that all of these other crypto influencers have of pump and dump in their viewers. But that's unbelievable. That's
got it.
tarnished
It's
his
not even into his
reputation
pocket.
forever.
We got to
No.
delete the bots. We really got to delete the bots.
Well,
Hey, that's
you
wild.
did tell these people to get your information, you would pay them back. So I guess everybody has to reach
Yeah,
out to Slicky now.
everyone stop gifting, please.
Is it because you pay for YouTube Premium, Sliggy?
Oh, that might be it. Wait, Kurt, you're not doing that. You're just tanking
Well,
ads.
Well, but that's the Plat Chat channel. So, like, I have YouTube
Hey, he's not
Premium on
watching anything
mine,
on it.
but I don't have YouTube Premium on the Plat Chat, you know, like, that channel.
That'll be it.
Nobody
I mean,
watches
it's
it
a
with
good
that.
investment if we do it in the future. We'll look into it,
Yeah.
chatters.
Next month, we got you guys.
Everyone's calling it now Slug Coin. Is this?
Slug coin.
Slug coin.
The
It's no longer becoming a member. It's buying a Slug Coin.
Amazing. All right, let's get into some of the Pacific games that happened this week then. I think we've got to address the elephant in the room here, DRX PaperX, right? That's a big one from this week. I guess the elephant in the room might even be Gen.G Boom, to be honest with you, because that
think
was the
that
biggest
is, yeah.
upset. Yeah.
Yep.
But this one's like a miniature elephant. This one's like a small elephant that came along. You can see it. We can talk about it. It's no problem. It's not really taking up too much space. DRX versus PaperX. I think one person went for PaperX last week as a pred, but I can't remember who it was. I think it was TMV. Yeah.
Pretty sure it was TMV because then Chobra predicted them as the stage 1 winner.
My takeaway watching this game was that PaperX played 2 good halves. Their attack on Haven and their attack on Icebox.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, the
Yes.
Icebox one I think is to do with their comp
For sure.
somewhat.
Yes.
But then I wasn't really picking up what the rest of PaperX were putting down.
Yeah. I felt like the Icebox in particular was due to both teams' comps. Just because DRX on the attack, get away with lurk murder just every damn time. Just Mako just running up tube. No one can scout him. There's no info sentinel. There's nothing. And then they swapped sides and they just had no way of stopping the attack from PaperX either. So that was just a weird imbalance. But the whole series was so bizarre. It was just get a massive streak, lose the map. Get a massive streak, lose the map.
Felt like there were no normal comms, like throughout the whole
Yeah.
game. We started off with Haven, where DRX did the mad one, where they did the neon jet, and that was kind of mad. But then obviously they were gonna have a good attack no matter what, but their defense was always gonna be bad. But it kind of looks a little bit worse than I thought it was gonna look.
Their attack wasn't even that great, in my opinion, because of the double duelist. They won on round 15 and round 17 by doing the push through B into C
Vision
strategy.
strikers.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
vision strikers. Their strat, basically.
Yeah.
But they only did it with flashback as the neon. So, like, you didn't need the jet to be able to run that. And it won them the bonus round and the next rifle round and got them, I mean, basically 4 rounds just with one strategy. So, I don't understand it. Did DRX come away from Bangkok and think double duelist is the meta without realizing that the ISO was a huge part of why that works on multiple maps?
I was very shocked by this. I mean, this is not at all what I was expecting. I mean, like when you first see it, you all just assume that they got it backwards, right? Like somehow they've flipped which team is playing which side, and they looked mega uncomfortable through those first 8 rounds that PaperX strung together. Like flashbacks, just like walking out double doors into no info, just getting shot, and like
That was a bad round.
the whole thing just looked like they had no idea what they were
Multiple of
doing.
them.
Yeah, there was tons of rounds like that, and it just didn't look like they had any comfort with it. And like you could see that patrickWHO had a pretty good game plan. They were stringing their utility together pretty well. Like they had a good synergy. Like they kind of had some good protocols built in, and then once it started to fall apart, it really fell apart fast. And they weren't really able to like kind of rely on some of that natural sort of cohesion that they've developed throughout the years to sort of overcome them trying to play a more quote unquote meta style where they're trying to use the breach Tejo, and they started to just crumble. And it wasn't just this map, it was all of them, in my opinion.
Yeah, those first 8 rounds, they looked so out of sorts. And I said it to patrickWHO, but it just felt like after the timeout call was made by Termi, he just like gave the sleeper agent like activation code, and then they all just woke up. It was so weird. Because there's just this like turning point, and suddenly it's just like, oh yeah, we know how to play the game now. Like we figured this out. Yeah, everything's fine. And they just started absolutely pounding, and I had no clue what the hell had just happened. It was so weird. But I mean, I don't know. It looked like Flashback in the end started getting comfortable with Duelist. I mean, it's like his debut playing that. He's never done it before.
Why?
I don't know, because
They
like,
won.
They
won. Don't
like,
validate it.
like,
They won.
I think if they want to continue doing this, it either needs to be so far improved, or they just need to drop it, because I don't think that they win with this again unless they somehow like triple their prowess with this, because I don't think this would work against T1. I don't think this would at all work on an international stage. Like it was very, very puzzling, to say the least.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think they can run it again. But every time we watch DRX, they seem to have like a time machine, because they just run a new comp on every map every time we watch them. And I don't know how they managed to get the time to do like a whole new strat book. They must be pracking a lot to be able to do
I don't
this
think they
consistently.
were. Did they really have a whole new strat book? I felt like that was one of the problems with it.
You're saying that they only had so much?
They only had like some of the old Vision Strikers stuff was what they were actually leaning on and relying on to get them across the line with their attack rounds.
I mean, they're probably only pracking like 3 days, I would say, max. So.
Maybe Termi just wanted to, be like Frost and have like 5 different comps for every single map, and this is one of them, and then we'll never see this again.
I mean, if we never see it again, I would like that. But
Jesus.
But I think
I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
But if you were going to experiment, this would be the time to experiment at the beginning of stage 1. The games are the least important, I suppose. Especially if you're as long as you make it to the playoffs, then you've got a good chance of being able to make it like fairly deep, right?
Yeah.
I just don't know. I just didn't know if patrickWHO was the necessarily the choice that I would have gone for. I mean, I guess they did, get blown out of the water in their series versus TFM.
When will you understand that patrickWHO are one of the weakest teams in Pacific? You can troll against patrickWHO and still win.
I know, but it's just one of those teams that is like, for the last couple of years, consistently been a thorn in the side of DRX. Yeah. So I thought that was going to be something that resurfaced. And for those first 8 rounds, it was like, here we go again. They're just, newer players, still kind of incapable of taking down PRX. But I was wrong. Like, I thought this was something that, like, if you wanted to experiment, you wait until the match versus maybe DFM or Boom or Global, like either of those 3 teams that are in your group. Granted, I don't have the schedule off the top of my head, so maybe that's a bit too late in comparatively. But I mean, whatever. I guess they won, but I don't want to see this again.
No, not with the Neon.
I mean, that's fair.
Not with the Neon.
What about then on the other side of things? So DRX win despite running weird comps on map 1 and map 3. patrickWHO are trying to run more meta sensible comps, but it also throws their roles. I mean, the roles on this team have always been bonkers, and that's why they don't play standard stuff usually. But watching Jing, Omen, and we have seen something play Breach before, but seeing something on Perma Breach, Perma Sova, that kind of role, it was weird.
It doesn't,
and I think poor as well.
It doesn't look comfortable, I think, is what I would say. Like when I watch a lot of the players, it doesn't, like Jing didn't look comfortable. I feel like something still honestly doesn't look comfortable. There's a lot of situations where he maybe makes a play that he doesn't need to play, because it's like, you're not a duelist anymore. You have so much util. Like if you play and just leave a site, you can just retake with all your util. So I feel like maybe he's kind of making too many hero plays. And then the Forsaken Waylay. I just feel when I watch people play Waylay at the moment, especially when it's solo duelist, I just think there isn't enough to like help the agent go in. You're just giving them a free kill. a lot of the time. It's like if you saw the most mental double satchel that like flies through the air and then takes a while to land to get your gun out. It just feels like we're doing that at the moment when people are playing the solo Waylay. Like the only kind of times I've seen it look good are G2 and Tai Lu, to be honest, on Icebox when they use like Gecko KO Flash. Other than that, when I watch a Waylay, and I think patrickWHO are the best example, especially when you look at Forsaken's first kills to first deaths. He's just sending it in, and you land in the open. All they have to do is turn. Most people in Valorant have high sense because they've been playing against a Sova for so long, and they've got a 180 breaker recon anyway. So they just handle it so easy, and there's just not enough fort or the right agents to set this agent up. I feel like
it could be good if you coupled it with something and kind of use the Waylay as like a frontline distraction. So like you say like Yoru and you're going for some kind of gate crash setup alongside other utility. You get the double like light speed in, draw some attention towards front, gate crash into the back as the refract is happening. Almost called it recall. Glad I didn't do that on broadcast today. She's not Tracer. She's not Tracer.
She's not Tracer. She's not Tracer.
And yeah, something like that I could see working pretty well as far as like a double duelist setup. But yeah, solo, at least over here in Pacific so far, has not been that inspiring.
It's been bad everywhere. Get people off it. the duelists are obsessed with it because it's fun, but it's been shit.
I think it has legs with certain comps. I think like when it came on the Lotus, I thought this could make a lot of sense with the Breach and the Tejo. I think there's a lot of ability to set up that double dash and kind of do some interesting things, use some of the verticality on the map. I thought this on Icebox too. I think at Icebox it's a pretty good fit overall for some teams, but I just don't think anyone's really had the reps or the practice to like get the protocols and the combos down to really kind of set it up. Because I mean, you think about like those long range fault lines or like the flashes or the Tejo stuns, things like that. Like there's some ability, I think, to set up the Waylays that just patrickWHO just didn't have in their repertoire yet. So I mean, I think over time it could be valuable, but yeah, again, I mean, a lot of people are going to say, well, why not just run Jett then, right? I don't fully disagree. I didn't see a lot of value out of the ult from Forsaken. I didn't feel like he was really using the convergent paths very well. I don't think a lot of people are. I think there's a lot of kind of lack of understanding of how that works,
like
but
one good use of it today.
Yeah, that one on
Ascent, just getting the catch at market, but that was kind of it.
So I don't know. I can see where it has potential, where it gives you a little bit of extra flexibility with some of the backup utility, but at the same time, like nobody's really piloting it correctly, and it just feels like they're running, like rank stuff. I mean, today like Dombi was running it, and he was running around with a Bucky half the time because they're on ecos. But
we'll get to talking about the Dombi Waylay, the hyperfeed. I mean, we'll talk about that. I do want to drill more into patrickWHO's role stuff here, though, because I feel like we're glossing over a little bit of how bad people like Something and Jing looked on their current roles. It looks like they're going to take at least a season to even get comfortable at the pro level with these kind of spots. Like, isn't this simply a swan song, the point where you start moving to roles like this and it looks poor? Like, you're playing proper compositions, but your players can't play them. Patman's in the wings waiting to be subbed in. Are we watching the slow, sad death of the team we all love?
Yeah.
All right, well, good. Good. Well, that makes me feel better about it, Sliggy.
No, we are though. We are, because the map was not good. The comps look rough. We're just switching roles non-stop. It feels like to get the best out of people, something needs to be on Jett. Jing needs to be on Raze. We don't have that anymore, and they've just gone for like the last attempt. And now I've got like the best Opera in the world that's solo, that's just playing Breach Sova every map, and he can't op at all. Like, it just doesn't make sense, really.
I don't know.
I think they tried everything.
I just don't see why, if you want to standardize the comps, why not also standardize the roles a little bit more? Because on that first map, we see Jing is playing Omen, and then he move over to the next one, and then he's not on that anymore. He's playing the tail. Like, if you want to play him in a smoke role, teach him to play controller. Like, have him play hard controller. I know they're Icebox. They're basically just running just the solo Viper, so Mind Freak is going to be more versed at that. Blah 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 blah. But it just feels like it's too many variables stacked on top of too much change already. So I think that if you want to do it, you have to just be like, right, you are playing controller. If there is a controller, you're doing it. And then if not, then whatever. Like just like if Jing can't play Viper, then don't have him play Omen.
Well,
have
they tried
Mindfreak
him on
play Omen,
Sentinel,
and then
didn't
have
they?
Jing play Cypher.
They tried Jing on Senti. He was playing a bunch of Killjoy and stuff in the offseason,
Yeah.
and now they've tried it. I mean, they're trying him all over the place, but he doesn't have the instincts to play
Or
stuff
just make
other
him
than
play just
hyper-aggressive
Teo.
duelist.
Just do the fring. Just nothing with Teo.
Yeah.
Kickoff. Just do
He's
that
just-
over and over again.
He's got the instincts of somebody who wants to go and take the timing and be aggressive, and he doesn't have the instincts of somebody who's like the guy that helps the others to succeed with their...
You could do that a
Util.
little bit more with Teo compared to when you're playing Killjoy or Cypher. Also, Devi has plenty of experience doing that. Let him just take the Sentinel instead of Jing.
What do you think Patman will come in and play?
Initiator.
So instead of something?
That's what I think. It's probably what I would do if you're not going to shift something back over to the duelist role. Because like you were saying, he's a great opper. If he's not doing that, he looks a little bit. He's not bad at Gecko. I will say I thought his Gecko last year was not. It was serviceable.
But dude, he used to op on Gecko most of the time.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So you either need to put something on a role where he can actually op and do the duelist stuff, or move him away. And I think, it's hard because I guess like it must be that Jason is actually, when they run these comps, performing the best as the duelist, which is concerning. Because he can play Teo. We saw it on Fracture and Kickoff. We know he's good on just about anything you throw him on. He's got a good breach. We saw it last year on Sunset plenty, where he was very impactful with that. So I have to imagine that Patman comes in, plays initiators, like, and slots in that way. I think that seems to me to be the best fit, and it just depends on who you're going to slot out then as the other, like, and where you're going to shift the roles. Maybe Jing goes out. I don't know.
Brutal.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does feel like it's one of those two.
Let's have a move on to the next game then. Global. They got a 2-0 win over DFM. That was one of the games that we were split on here on Plat Chat. I think 2 of us went for Global, 2 of us went for DFM.
I was wrong.
All right,
Me
well,
too.
Achilles, let's start with you. Why were you wrong?
Because DFM looked like poo.
Whoa, that's, I didn't think they looked that bad. I thought you were legit.
I thought there was tons of times where they were just losing the plot. Like their individual moments looked fine for the most part, but like I thought that any kind of macro strategy from DFM looked like it was severely lacking in comparison to what GE was doing. The reason why I decided to go for DFM was just because there was no changes. I thought that with patrickWHO coming back, he was going to need a bit more time to integrate. I think he still does. There were some moments of like kind of overheating, overextending, but he also had plenty of moments where he was getting solid value for the team. So he was just, they were way better off, like at a stronger jumping off point, I guess, for the stage than I had kind of anticipated. And it felt like DFM was just struggling to try to keep up.
Yeah. I really was feeling like throughout this match that this was a coaching diff more than a lot of other things. I'm really concerned with the way that they're kind of preparing themselves and the way they conduct themselves in the matches. And like, obviously a lot of people are going to talk about they didn't take a timeout at all on the second map, right? Like and they were getting
Really?
bullied.
They didn't take a timeout
they didn't take a
at all?
single timeout.
Yeah.
Didn't take a single timeout. So
Yeah,
that's
they terminated
weird.
it.
That's weird. I mean, I guess if you want to force Art to adapt or whatever, you don't feel like he's doing a good job with that, fine, whatever, I guess. But I just didn't feel like their protocols were in place. Like they had these great starts, like some of their pistol rounds brilliantly drawn up, and they have these great kind of follow-ups to that. And then once, Crystal hits this sick 2K to clutch around, like the whole thing just falls apart. Like from then on, it just felt like they weren't playing off of each other very well. You could see that there's individual talent on this team. You can see that they can frag, but there's just no coordination. There's a lot of lack of confidence in their decision making. That is something I will give their coach credit. He said in their post-match interview that they weren't, confident or aggressive enough, and they need to fix that. And I totally agree. But it was when you have a match where Akame is actually stepping up and fragging pretty well behind May, that should be like a pretty good win con for DFM, but they were really just getting beat in the macro game a lot of times. Like they just weren't maintaining space control. They weren't maintaining info control on Pearl in particular. I was furious with the way that Art was using his Sova or lack of using his Sova, frankly, to gain kind of control over that space, especially on A main.
I don't think I've ever really said this, but also, where was the Odin? We saw him play it like a single
Once.
round.
I don't think they had
in the
money
first
to buy
map.
it. I don't think they have money to buy it.
He used it for like a single round in Lotus, and then like we never saw it again. And I'm like, I think of Art, I think of Odin, and I'm just like, what has caused the pivot where he's just not going for this weapon anymore? Because that's just where he frags. Like he's an Odin guy. He's not a rifler. That's where he finds value. It just felt like everything was a little bit off kilter. I mean, there was still these good, unique moments. Akame had some really good fragging, as did May as per usual. Jinpung had some nice clutches, but it just felt like everything wasn't really clicking collectively with the team.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I was more going to talk about the fact that I think GE looked unreal. Like I was super impressed with them.
They look really well put together.
Like even just like little micro things. Like I feel like their micro setups, especially like the Vice and the Cypher setups, they thought of everything. They've really min-maxed it to get like the best potential. We had this flash setup that Kurt just showed us like about a minute ago with the Vice flash. They used this like 3 times, and it's so strong with like the flash under B site. It's just so sick.
The calling from Kelly S the whole way was
really good. Really good.
Yeah. Sorry, A site even. And dude, the calling and the fragging. Like I'm watching Patrick sometimes like not necessarily like send it in as much as in my opinion he should. I'm just seeing Kelly S just absolutely send it into sight like multiple times. I'm like, this guy's a beast. This guy's actually like a beast. I'm so impressed. And then Crystal's just doing the thing where he'll always get a 1v3 clutch. And again, just if I go back to the micro stuff, especially on Lotus, like they had so many just like little smokes with either like gaps in or just like new smokes that were like slightly out, and teams didn't really know how to deal with it. It's not the norm. And then they're just using all like the little micro things that are strong. I think I put the Cypher clip on Lotus as well, set up on defense, and it's just like these setups are gonna like win you rounds. Like this is so min-maxed to be the best camera like over towards A, and it's just like just all of these things are just at the right moment. And like if they win this, they force them down to an eco, and it's just I don't know. Every time they had something like cool, they would make sure that they use it on the most impactful round.
I'm really impressed with the team, honestly. Like it's so much further along than I could have anticipated, given the fairly last minute confirmation on the visa. I mean, obviously they probably had it confirmed earlier than we were told publicly, but like I was not really a doubter. I really liked what I saw from GE, other than their like early abyss, I guess, in kickoff. And I kind of like knew that things were going to come together a bit better. Once they were able to get patrickWHO onto the 5-man. But this is a lot better than I could have anticipated, and I don't know that I'll be doubting them really anymore moving forward, because this was very clean.
Yeah. Got to give a lot of credit to Elevated and Juvenile, the way they're running this team right now. And Kelly S as well. Like, I think he's reading the macro game extremely well. He's constantly, in my opinion, kind of moving his team around the map to really counter what DFM wanted to do, where they wanted to go, keeping track of them better with their util. So that's like coaching and IGLing all mixed together into a nice bundle, and it looks really good.
I think it's interesting you say that you're not going to be underrating Global again, because the Pacific is so stacked, or at least it's so competitive, that even if you know that Global are really good, I mean, for example, next week they're going to be playing against Boom, who just beat Gen.G, and I feel like Boom looked really good in their match as well. So it's going to be tough to find moments, even for the teams that you think are good, where you're confident about them going up against other competitors, I think.
Yeah. I think it's close. I think their groups are going to get really close for like playoffs. I think there's a lot of teams, even like Team Secret maybe played like a little bit better than at least they were looking in kickoff. So there's like a lot of teams that if I'm the top 3 teams, or I'm kind of, well, I guess I wanted to say Gen.G, but I'm not sure we can say Gen.G anymore. But if I'm like a T1 DRX, there's a lot of teams in Pacific that I'm like scared of, essentially, because you're meant to beat them, but there's a good chance that I think they can upset you.
Well, let's talk about one of the biggest upsets. The biggest upset, probably, of the week. It's Boom beating Gen.G. There was actually somebody crazy enough to predict this on Plat Chat. It was Chobra, who went for it. We gave him a bunch of shit, and he was completely correct. They won 2-0. They upset Gen.G. I mean, at the time, did we know that Gen.G's roster was going to be this? I think we did, actually, last week. I don't think we did 2 weeks ago, but I think we did last week.
Not fully confirmed.
I think Suggest
was... Yeah,
so just was just a report or a rumor or something. But yeah, basically, Chobra Al-Gaib, he saw it in the sands. He saw the golden path, and DOS9 led him there. I was squealing with delight watching DOS9 play this game. I did a VOD review afterwards. I didn't wake up in time to watch it this morning, but god damn, there were some amazing rounds from DOS9. He made me a believer.
There was what you should say is there were very few non-amazing rounds for DOS9.
Yeah.
Because I mean he went positive 27 in the series.
It's so nuts.
Just insane performance from him. Almost 300 ACS average playing an Omen. Like this was, I couldn't believe it. Like it was so clean. Like I could believe Boom being able to beat Gen.G after the changes. Like I did I think it was going to happen? Did I predict for it? No. But is it that shocking? Not really. But the fashion in which it happened, that's what's a little bit more shocking because this was so damn clean.
I've got a question though that I couldn't really answer when watching it myself. How did they fail so hard to keep a Phoenix composition boxed into the chokes?
No, but they actually had good stuff though. I was talking about this a lot because I was like hyper focusing on it because I'm like, this comp shouldn't be able to work. But they're like, even if I'm looking at short as an example, when they come up from short, they're making sure they Teo damage near door and they Teo damage like tree
outside window.
I did notice them using the salvos to push away defensive positions, but they were only doing that like on. You can't do that everywhere.
No, you can't.
But it was working enough.
Yeah, and I think it's relatively, the flash is like relatively good to get out over towards B, because if you look, they never really actually just straight up hit A. Like, the only times they were trying to straight up hit sites were like B, where I think you can kind of get away with it a little bit more than anywhere, especially as you can't get spammed anymore, so you can actually like freely get into B main. But a lot of the time when I was looking, it was just like salvos to clear this area, this area. If anyone commits, you flash them, so like they're out in the open. Like actually thought. Like, I didn't really understand the tail when I saw it, well, apart from it being an OP agent. But I kind of was just like, well, I don't think it's going to work that well. And then I like saw the actual thought process of how they were getting through the chokes of just using just smart util and then just force them into a flash. I was very surprised.
I do like the double drone comp as well.
Yes,
I'm not as big a fan of running the Teho in as a replacement for the Sova, but I do quite like running the Teho as a replacement for the KO. I think it makes some sense.
It was cool. As much as I am giving Boom the benefit as well on Ascent and saying they had some cool stuff, like Gen.G did fuck up. Like, you look at their pistol and you can tell that's a pistol that is a planned pistol that they haven't changed for the comp. They play full retake over towards B. Like, you should just be trying to stop them at choke points. So I do think Gen.G took a long time to actually maybe realize, hold up, they only have a like change their game plan for the comp. Essentially, they were just playing it like they were playing against a normal comp.
Yeah, I to build onto that, I mean, I think it's a comp that works well against Gen.G because Gen.G wants to get aggressive in the mains. They want to try to contest that space, whether it's Munchkin or Texture, like trying to take control there. And if you have a Phoenix and the Teho, you can kind of trap them in bad spots if they make those moves, or sometimes they're just getting out-dueled. But I think a lot of that funnels into the reason why this was so successful. I think it's going to be pretty good against most teams, but the way that they just absolutely abused Texture, he got shut down so many times trying to make those moves. Munchkin as well, trying to come out of A main. Like, a lot of times he's going to want to play that corner and contest for the push towards Wine and stuff like that. And it was really, really well thought out from Boom and really well drilled. I mean, they were so on point with their utility, and it helps, you know, like, you got the double drones, you got a ton of info to back up. Maybe if you don't necessarily guess correctly, where you could throw some of the Phoenix curveballs and stuff, the rest of it was really on point behind it too. And DOS9 was just going crazy. That helps.
Dude, DOS9 on Haven was outrageous.
He was amazing there too.
Yeah. Like how
everywhere.
We were speaking about the TPs before we went live here, and there's just like multiple rounds where he's just TPing behind people, going for crazy plays, and it's just working every single time. And he's like setting himself up for them. He's like he's so ready to just go for it.
He TP'd into A lobby as like 3 people walked through the Viper wall out into long, and they just didn't register, didn't hear anything, and then he just at least killed 2 of them.
They even heard it because they looked up at the box behind them, but no one's ever done a TP into that corner. I don't think ever.
Yeah, because it's mental.
Yeah, because it's pure madness.
And also, we don't really see many people playing Viper at the moment, right? So usually that would be a bit of a weird play to go for.
I do, yeah, that's true. I do think the Viper stuff in Gen.G is like hurting them a little bit.
So old.
I also think not even that it's older. I do think that like the smoke over. I think that A just becomes so weak when they're not doing the smoke to help you flood out from defense side,
Yeah.
right? Like this in the middle of A to give you freedom. Like as soon as they get through that choke, it's just done.
The whole defense was shit. I mean, Kurt, I pulled out round 7 as an example of this, but Gen.G can't control A lobby, and not once did they do on defense a like A lobby fight where you put like 3-4 people over towards A lobby and make Boom actually respect A lobby. So Boom were just running through a salvo. There was just one salvo that was being thrown out from Ash at the start of every round. You just run past it. It doesn't do anything. Even if you stun and salvo, if there's nothing behind it, you can kind of disrespect that. But they were just running through. And because they were losing A lobby every round, then they were stacking 3 players on A. And then because you've got 3 players stacked on A, B and C are utterly open, completely open. And Suggest just had an absolute nightmare over there because he's trying to basically anchor a site with no nanoswarms because he's putting 1 garage and 1 C. I mean, in this round, Tech's just forced to just run through a smoke trying to do something silly to follow up on the salvos, but it's not well coordinated. But their defensive setup was to run like a nano at front garage, a nano on B, so C is just being held by Suggest, his turret, a Viper Orb, and God's own desire. Like a prayer from above, basically. It was a really bad defensive setup, and I think it's gotten worse, actually, with their implementation of the Taeho, because they're no longer, I don't know, committing to the A lobby fight and making teams respect that.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think teams also know what they're doing. And dude, they played this comp so many times. And then after this round, I've like linked a clip as well. It's crazy that they're missing the smoke lineup as well. Because
I mean, that's
the
one time, Slinky, one time.
But you got to think, how many times have they played this map? Like how many times have they played this map? Like that's a good summary of stuff going wrong with Gen.G, because that is a lineup they've probably thrown. You got to look at how many times they played Haven, how many times they played the Viper. He's thrown that 12 rounds every single time. You got to think of all the prac games. It's at least in the thousands, and he's still missing it. Like in a big game, like stuff is going wrong for Gen.G for sure.
Yeah,
there's some big time mistakes from Munchkin today. A couple like really bad moments with the util, but I think on the Haven, I felt like Boom, like this is something we talked about in kickoff, where they do a pretty good job anti-stratting their opponents. It felt like they seem to get pretty good reads on what's going on. And I think there was one time, I can't remember who it was, if it was Shiro or somebody else, who was like using Munchkin's Viper wall against him while Gen.G was on attack. Like he tucked in that corner at the bottom of sewers where the wall extends down into, and waited it out, and then just came and punished them. I think another big problem here is trying to use like a Taeho instead of a Sova is really difficult for Munchkin, because he's not able to get information on the other side of the toxic screen toward long A or towards sewers to set him up for those lurks, so he knows when he has that extra space to work with. It's not as easy. You could still use the drone, of course, but I think like so much of what Munchkin wants to do is rely on his ability to set up lurks to get a little bit of info over at long A and then dictate what's going on with the rest of the team around that and set himself up for those lurk plays, whereas he can't do that with this comp, and he can't do that against teams that have figured him out and read him like a book.
I mean, that is a very funny Viper Molly. It really is.
It's so
because like
good,
sometimes the ones that get caught on high grounds, they look just like a really high one way. That one is just like it's
horrendous.
I respect the fact that he's got it popped as well. Like he knows it's missed. He can see it on the mini map, but he's just like, I can waste some fuel.
Yeah, it's so good, dude. Paperfin, you were laughing you had me cracking up.
You
You couldn't cast for like 10 seconds.
I was dialed in like here at like the middle of the screen. I had no vision of it, and then as soon as he said it, I glanced up and I was like, oh Christ. It was the same thing. I think it was Clinton that pointed out to me when PRX is playing Bind, and it was Forsaken on Harbor. And he was sending these fucking coves over top of Hookah into the B site, and they're just hitting the walls. And
that was really good as well.
Fucking orbs that just exist.
And he did it more than once.
Oh yeah, he was doing it multiple times. But you just haven't noticed these things, and I catch a glimpse of it later, and it broke us both down.
Can we watch a DOS 9 round 13 ascent just for the just to squeal a little, Kurt? Because God, it was lovely. At least I think that's this round, but I'm pretty sure it was.
Be a pistol round.
Is this the pistol ace?
It was the pistol ace round where he like smokes himself down into the site on the retake as well. God, it was sublime. And just again, this was one of 10 rounds that
No,
were
you-
amazing from DOS9?
You can
Something
make
like that.
you can make a frag movie of like literally just him for this best of
It was
from
so
2
good.
maps.
And
had
and that's
2
not to say he
4Ks,
was
an
necessarily
ace.
carrying either, because I felt like there were other players on Boom that were playing really
Dude,
well. Like I
oh, yeah.
like
Famous-
what
They're
Famous was
taking
doing.
turns at the start of this map,
Yeah,
just trading who is going to clutch.
Yeah.
Famous played really well, and then NC Slasher.
And then DOS9
in-
goes, a sheriff. Let me scoop that up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Suggest, for holding an angle.
Yeah, and he
whilst
wins a
covering
long
B.
range battle with a classic versus a sheriff. Just like
Yeah. Of course
he
he
just
does.
was.
His
You
last
could-
shot
You
on
could
this
skip
retake
this
is so
forward
good.
like 20 seconds, I think, actually, Kurt, from here.
yeah,
something like that.
just for the retake.
Because he's in the retake in a 2v3. He does a falling smoke, which actually we saw somebody try to do that in the second map today as well. Was it Persia tried to pull it off as well, and he beefed it. He like ran out too early, so his
At
feet
least
were
they
sticking
saw
through.
him. Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah. So there is quite a precise timing with this, but he just pulls it off so beautifully, and then hits a gorgeous shot to finish too.
the shot on A main is so nice.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Look at that. Jumps into it
Man,
exactly.
That's so clean.
And credit to Karen, he knows what's going on. He tries to get inside the smoke too early, early as well. But that's
Yeah.
one of the nastiest good controller rounds I've seen ever.
yeah.
This
Yes.
whole map was effectively just a battle of the omens because Karen was kind of the only one who was really fighting back with any consistency from Gen.G.
He played well on map 1, actually. Karen won them like 3 rounds in the middle. He won a 1v4. He won like a couple of other rounds prior to that as well, like 17 to 19. But it's just not enough. I mean, what do you think then about the Gen.G new players? Because this is our first time seeing Ash and Suggest. So give us a little. I mean, this is not a good page for looking at Suggest.
Yeah,
Maybe.
well,
But like, he
don't wanna
didn't
look at
play that
Haven
much
either.
better on the defensive Haven. But his attack side Haven was pretty decent.
It felt like, and I kind of said this like after the series had ended, it did feel as if they were getting used to being on stage. Ash in particular, Suggest kind of back for the first time in a while, getting used to being back on stage and really warming up. We started seeing that, especially from Suggest. I mean, he had his own ace over on Haven, but it was just a little bit, too late for them to come online. I think that in like moving forward, I still do have trust in Solo and HSK to be able to get this into an operational status, but it might be a lot longer than we had expected before we see Gen.G back on an international stage. Things were a lot rougher than I could have thought. Suggest his 0-10 on the Sangam Coliseum stage because he was on TFM in 2023 and couldn't
oh,
get
of
a win.
course.
Oh,
Yeah.
So he still has not gotten a victory in that arena.
Has he gotten a
Um,
win at all in VCT? Like, since we've been in partnership? Is that just...
No,
No,
not
No,
Is he
because
on
he was
the
out in
on-
24.
Oh, God, help. the
So
man.
unfortunately, yeah, I mean, it hasn't happened. I think it's highly unlikely that continues, but I think that this was just a bit of a rough early game. I think Boom came in super hot. I think Gen.G just need a bit more time to really work through the kinks of what they have going on at the moment, but I think that they'll be okay. Do I see them becoming a world beater team that could lift the trophy again? Not exactly.
Yeah, it kind of every time you watch him, you feel like more and more that Meteor is just a big part of this team. I also think Munchkin not fragging that heavy kind of tells us a little bit of a story, at least for me. Like the fact that he was probably focusing maybe more on like micromanaging the new guys a bit more. Where I feel like when he can focus just purely on this crosshair, he out aims a lot of people, and I felt like he was struggling here, and it might just be like new system, looking at the minimap more, trying to work out what people are doing, just because there's less time. So I think once it gets a little bit more drilled, he can focus in on kind of his own self and get like the old form back. But I think him not fragging, at least I put it down to just having new players and trying to not being used to like what they're going to be doing, or just not having full trust yet.
I definitely felt like Suggest needs some more work on how to run some of his setups, especially when he's anchoring. I didn't feel like I felt like he was very readable. Like
It's
the
some
turret.
fucking weird
Uh-huh.
decision making.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, just let's ignore
Especially
that
on,
pistol round on Haven on defensive side.
That Haven where he pushed
that was a
out
bit
in
rough.
front of to the front of the site. I was baffled.
That was how Foxy9 was anchoring the site as well, though. So what they do is they tuck in front of default so that when the Sova Dart comes back site, you're hidden from it. But he messed up the timing of it, and he also didn't get the orb to bloom for him to cross. He was doing it late, so they were swinging C long. And also, I don't even fucking like the way that Foxy9 was anchoring that site. And I think that Gen.G were also trolling him in the macro, because leaving one player to anchor C with a Viper orb and being like, go on, Suggest, give it your jolly greatest try, is like, that's just setting up your new player for failure, isn't it? Give him some help, man. Give him like some proper A lobby info so that you can rotate someone and play a couple. He's going to be playing against patrickWHO next, by the way. And then he plays against DFM. So maybe that's going to end up being a bit more of like a standard, like a game he can get to grips on. But patrickWHO are going to be running it down against him. He's going to have a nightmare again in his next match. Even if they win the game, Gen.G, Suggest is going to need a lot of help because patrickWHO play at such a high place and also just focus so much on their attack side. So his anchoring is going to get stressed.
Yeah. I mean, his fragging started leveling up as that map went along. He said, got an ace, ended up being like a pretty strong regular fragger for them on that Haven.
He only played 3 out of 4 halves badly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. that's really good.
This is the start of the
silver
activation.
linings. I like it, Seth. I like it. I like it. All right,
but yeah, it needs work.
Let's go on to the next game then. It was the game that happened right before this in Nongshim, winning the Chobra Noodlebowl against RRQ. And we were in a Discord call with Chobra, and I wanted to gloat so badly because this game started horribly for Nongshim. Horribly. Like, they went down 8-0. They looked lost. Dambi he set the feed drive to warp speed. Meow, turbo inting. The attack side was dreadful. Going to the next map, the attack side is dreadful again. He was 1-11 at the half on the attack side waylay. It was appalling, and then somehow they run it back. They don't win a single attack round RRQ on split, and then Nongshim wins map 3 playing Neon and playing some like standard decent Valorant. A game of 2 halves, ladies and gentlemen. A game of 2 halves. It was split directly in the middle of split.
I was pissed.
Yeah.
Like, not because I predicted it. I was just pissed because I was like, this is one of the most boring series that I've cast in quite some time. Like, RRQ is just running over them. Like, I had much higher expectations for Nongshim, and that first map was just inexcusably bad and something that needs to be very much be revisited and re-drilled. And I think that they should probably just default back to their old composition. But yeah, like initially I was like, oh, this is how it ends. Like, I don't mind having an early night to get done and go home, see my wife before I have to come on the podcast. But like, I at least want some competition between the teams. But we made it to the 3.
And then I was getting mad because RRQ couldn't do anything on attack on split. And how many rounds was it? 4 or 5 that just they had to save because they ran out of time?
Yeah, was it
5 rounds they
5.
lost to the clock, and it was appalling. They weren't doing anything in the first 10 seconds to try to force out util. So then it would get to like 45 seconds on the clock. Oh shit, they still have Gravnet, they still have Saturate, they still have Salvos, they still have Stun, they still have Paranoia. Oh! And then they just would run in somewhere and die, and then have to save. It was... And they used both timeouts to try to tackle that, by the way. Their coach could not figure out the solution at all.
I mean, they just didn't take any map control.
Nope.
You literally looked at the first 40 seconds and it was the same as when they started off with the barrier down, apart from they'd used some util to try and pressure middle, but no one wanted to go for a smoke.
It felt like they were begging the wall to come out from the deadlock, but not actually pressuring. They were like, okay, we know we have to play slow against deadlock. But also, aren't they supposed to wall at some point? And it's like, you've missed a trick there. The point is you need to pressure them a bit, and then they use the util, and then you slow the round down. But they couldn't get it. They just couldn't get it.
I think they were just struggling against the comp. I'm finally glad we got to see a deadlock as well. I think deadlock is looking really, really strong. I thought we were going to see way more deadlock. And I don't think the waylay looked that good, to be honest, on defense. I think it was more just like the deadlock. And the deadlock Viper Teo is like a little combo. It looked really hard to play against.
They didn't run Ivy as part of the pack using Deadlock on the attack side once.
Yeah, that was
Ivy
weird.
was holding B main alone, unable to use the Gravnet to combo with anybody every round.
Yeah, I was
That's
saying in my
rough.
chat, I'm just like, I'm waiting to see some kind of combo. And they did it once in Vents. And I was like, well, at least we got one combo on attack. But yeah, it was I don't know. I was super worried for Nongshim after the first map and the second map first half. But honestly, that defense was legit. And it was a little bit more down to the RRQ struggling. But I also think there's some good signs for RRQ because a lot of their Ascent stuff looked really nice, to be fair. I think they had some great full process. Like that attack Teo ult that they had. I'll try to find it. I think it was like, did you see that one where they like stunned at the top and it hit over towards A main and then they tail ulted underneath balcony on A and then just hit. That was pretty cool.
I think people have been getting a lot better with the tail ults. I think it's starting to look like a really good ult. Whereas at the beginning it was dreadful.
I was going to do a little segment of it today with like but the tech pause own me. I need like 30 minutes to find like just the progress of people getting a lot better. Especially like G2 did one where they did like the breach ult and blasted them like into the tail ults.
Oh,
yeah. There's some really cool stuff at the moment.
See,
like this one was
fucked that up, but
this one was like tail ult into TP where like once you've cleared the area. There's some awesome stuff, to be honest.
Dambi was hard feeding though. Like he did an interview at the end after winning this match, and he said, Jen asked him, "What do you think about Waylay?" And Dambi said, "If you master this agent, you can really help your team. But if you're bad with this agent, you are essentially trolling." And I was like, "Are you just basically calling yourself a shit Waylay then? Because you were not being helpful at all."
We've had multiple
On the defense side of Split, he was at least getting some saturates off in the choke points, and that was actually providing some good value.
Yeah.
But he died first, like almost every round here, I swear. What was his actual first test? 6.
On Ascent, he had 6 first steps, but I thought it was a lot higher because in my head it was like 8.
It felt like every round.
It felt like it would be a lot
because
more.
also it was immediate. I think that's what it was as well. It was like he would dash into a corner where a player could kill him without even going through a smoke. So they would just hide in the smoke. They'd hear the audio cue. Oh, he's in that corner. I've just heard him dash there. Pre-fire, dead. Every time.
And the one where he went up and over the top onto the A site and they just didn't like look below him. And then he just got killed from somebody who's just sat there being like, oh, hey, how's this
Where's
going?
the flash as well? Like Francis is throwing a flash and I don't know. It's not connecting. I didn't go back and look, but
I didn't see the
landing.
flash. I was looking for it and I didn't remember seeing it. Yeah.
I feel like their Ascent has to, like, there's surely there's no way they run the same composition the next time they play Ascent.
Get the Waylay out of there.
He went minus 11 in
Go
first
back to the
kills
Neon
throughout
comp.
the series. Oh my god,
dude! If you look at just Waylay's first kills, first deaths at the moment, they're outrageous.
If you look at what this team has done without Neon, Split was the first ever map in Tier 1 that they've won without running the Neon. And it required that level of comeback on the defense side after going down 8-4. And Dambi was 1-11. I mean, look at his attack side stats, Kurt, here. He's 1-12, sorry, 1-12 with 63 ACS. You can't be telling me that he deserved the win here as his first ever non-Neon victory at Tier 1. It's brutal.
Do you know what?
But that was the thing is that they won in spite of that.
Yes,
and that's why I was so fucking angry.
It's crazy
during that map. Like I went from Ascent where I was thinking like, it's gonna be a garbage game, garbage series. Nongshim don't know what the fuck's going on. Carried on into the first half, and then I was like, oh, maybe there's gonna be some interesting stuff happening here on Split. And then fucking RQ just didn't know how to attack. I wasn't satisfied at all with the series. We at least got like a
map
pretty
3 was
contentious
all right.
Pearl.
Yeah, map 3 was pretty fun.
But it took until that point for me to be like, oh, okay, actually, this series can be interesting. And then we had a 30-minute tech pause.
Yeah.
This is a very frustrating second series of the day.
You did get rolled.
It was one of those. Dude, I feel like RRQ as well, the thing that annoyed me, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, because some other teams did this as well this week, where they like copy a comp but don't understand like the main thing that the comp does. They did the salvos back of B on attack on Split, and then TP'd there once, and then they got Teo ulted, so he got killed, but then they never did it again, and that's like the main thing that the comp does. And they A lot of times you need that. You need someone in the team that looks at that and goes, "They can't do this again without the ult. Let's do it." But they literally just like, well, we can't do that again. They Teo ulted us. Because I mean, you don't have that every round. You can literally just do it. They have nothing else to clear you. It was just so painful to watch. Both of the maps were painful at the beginning.
Yeah, they didn't. It didn't feel like on Split that RRQ had any way to control the mains, like to scale through, to use smokes, like the Astra smokes, to use the Astra utility, to use the Teo utility, to like you were saying earlier, bait it out, but also to just take some territory to like try to get up into B heaven. I don't know, or A heaven. I don't know if they even went to A heaven more than once on that attack side. Like they were really struggling.
Almost never.
Yeah,
There's like no ramp control, no heaven control.
No, it was painful to watch, and I think they have the tools available to do it. It's just like they couldn't put it together for whatever reason. I mean, after that ascent, I'm like, these guys have practiced their balls off. They look great. I can't wait to see what the rest of this looks like, because that was one of the best maps I've ever seen. Like the protocols they have in place for that to like work off the utility, to use the double drones, to use all that info against their opponents was beautiful. But then they just looked completely lost on Split, and it was really shocking.
Margaret was winning some nice clutches on Pearl.
Yeah, he had a quiet
Those last
game.
few rounds.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
Quiet game, and then he won like 3 1v2s or something, like right at the end, last 4 rounds. He was incredible.
Rounds.
His round around the that he played around the Cosmic Divide on the A site was just
sick.
Chef's kiss. I mean, it maybe shouldn't have gotten as dicey as it did, but the way that he played it out to be able to clutch it for the team was just huge.
It speaks a lot about his mental as well. There's a lot of players that will be having like a bad game and then just like you can kind of just get mentally down. But like he's just still, we're like 20 rounds in. He hasn't had honestly much impact at all. He's kind of just won the whole map for them really with the rounds. So it's awesome that it's just a good example as well to anyone that you can just have so much impact in a new round. Like it's a refresh, it's a new thing. Dude, Pearl was nice from both teams though, to be honest. It was actually just like a good
was
map.
It was pretty decent. It was pretty good.
If you just cut out all of the delay, it was fine.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. It made me feel the pain of Chobra's RRQ fandom of the previous years, because I was rooting for them, having predicted them. But it also made me want to watch Nongshim and carry on watching this team to see if they can play non-neon comps to a decent level, especially on their attack side. Because
did it make you want to buy Shin Ramen? Ramen, I should say.
It did. At one point, I did say that I really want to see Chobra do an advert where he slips into a bath of ramen. And he just like slips in, and he's just like, he starts off talking to the camera, and he's like, watching Nongshim, it's like slipping into a warm bath. I feel like I'm home. And then it cuts to him slipping into the bath, and it's just ramen. It's just filled with noodles, and he's just like, and then he just starts eating.
He's in the chat. Up. Chobra, do you want to? Should we pitch this? We can get Corey to film it.
I think it'd be great. I think it'd be
shoot
great.
It in 4K.
Yeah. I mean, I'm calling it.
How much to get you to go to hang dong?
Is it that much sillier than Wolf's adverts that he's done for Korean TV stuff?
No, not at all.
Yeah, where they like sent him to Mars or something.
On Mars.
Yeah.
I'm so
I
hungry.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's fantastic. You haven't seen that? Esports caster turned commercial star in Korea. All right, let's go into our week 2 predictions. So this week, Kurt has prepped something brand spanking new. So last time, we've been able to check in with what the Timmies had predicted. And we saw them at their laptop. We saw the little Timmy, and what did they predict? Well, now it's March, and Timmy's gone back to school. So you know what that means? It's time for Timmy's little report card. Let's check in on the report card and see what grade the viewers get. So, Professor Plat Chat here to grade your card. Let's have a look then, Kurt. Should we see what they went for? So with 12,500 votes, you went for DRX, sorry, and you were correct with that one. You weren't super confident, but you double checked your answer and you got it correct. Very nice. Do we have another one? I can't remember how this works. No, it's just a match of the week.
We'll finish it off after we do the Americas section.
Right, I see. So we're gonna check in on the report card for our viewers for each of the regions, and then we'll give you your final grade at the end of the Americas segment.
Oh,
that's cool.
People in chat are asking if we're gonna discuss Talon versus Team Secret. I think we could quickly just cover that
Oh yeah, sorry.
Kahlua
I forgot to add that because
awesome.
I forgot to watch it. Or like I didn't have time to watch it. So
Oh,
sorry.
Okay,
I just
you didn't have
straight
to.
up.
Killua
Talon
is
is pretty, like really good. Their new additions are solid. Took like a little bit of a ramp up period. You know, there were some stumbles, and then Secret. You know what? I have nothing nice to say. Goodbye.
2GE is now IGLing for Team Secret. It is no longer Jesse
really?
Bash. Yeah, we just found this out.
Oh,
That's
So,
strange.
It was passed
considering
on to us after the match, so we didn't know. But yeah, it doesn't
Wait, that's
it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why is Jesse on the team if you're not gonna have him IGL and he's 34 years old? I mean, credit to the guy. He's still playing pretty well, and I respect the heck out of him. He's very nice to me. But what's he doing on the team if he's not IGLing? Like, oh, what's going on here? I mean, I guess he's helping with like mid rounding or something still, but like, what is?
I mean, it
didn't
does
look
also
any
take-
different.
It does also take quite a while to get new players from the Philippines into.
No, it
Show
doesn't.
the
Well, it
whiff.
takes
Show
some
the
to get
whiff
here.
round from Sliggy's stream.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, they won that
Where?
map though. They won 13-5.
I can try and find it.
Yeah,
if you
where
want.
is that clip? I got linked it this morning as well. It is a funny round.
It's a wild round.
So
Talon kind of
while
won from
Sliggy's finding it
individuals.
though. Okay, yeah. So
That's where
Team
I'm at.
Secret won map 1, and they smoked them. They won 13-5,
Yeah.
and then go straight back into map 2, and they lose 13-2 and then 13-9. So what's going on?
I just don't think. I mean, dude,
Better players for
I-
talent, but they didn't know how
kind
to
of
play
think
Pearl.
I think
Yes.
it kind of is just better players. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is that.
I did look. The Thai region like has some of the best players on the planet in terms of like individual mechanics. They're just like for whatever reason haven't been able to get consistent teams going. I mean, Bleed was like part Thai with Scary, and like Full Sense is kind of good at fragging, but they're kind of not good at the macro game. I mean, if you could get the right coach with the right players from Thailand, like everybody I talk to from SEA is like Thai is the best mechanical players. Like in terms of their individual talent, this is the region. It's just they don't really seemingly have coaches or something to put these players in the right places to see them succeed on a consistent basis.
I put it in the chat, Kat, in the.
He's found it, I
Ninja.
think.
Oh, you got it. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's round
It's
3.
towards the
Dude.
end of this round, but we can
Is this the
enjoy and
Wild
savor
Oreo
it.
whiff?
Yes.
Yeah.
But okay,
Doesn't Jesse kind of troll this as well, though?
Thank you.
I
I think
mean-
you got to 50-50 blame this because it is a generational
it's-
whiff, but
The
why?
way to get to that
Wow.
point, it's not Oreo's fault.
Yeah. Because why are we doing an extra jump up when we seen him? We're so
I
committed
know.
to the jump that we're not like reacting. And then I mean, it's Killua, right, that hits the shot. Fair play, Killua's hit an absolute monster shot, but this should never go down like this.
So did Kahlua look really good then?
Killua
Yes.
looks
Yeah.
insane. I mean, he
He's
looks
insane.
really good. Yeah, I think he's
very
like a really, really good pickup. It's
So
it's a
he's-
scary team.
He's mini Primmy.
He's
Yeah.
one of those players that like if they continue on this path and he continues to perform the way that he is, like he's going to become a challenger for Rookie of the Year, at least in Pacific, but potentially globally. If Talon are able to make another run and make it to internationals, I think that he's going to be in that conversation.
Oh man, I don't
Here
want
it
to watch
is. There it is.
Dude, it's
Oh,
brutal.
God.
The good news for Team Secret is Envy is back though. Envy was
Yeah,
Yes.
Envy did look good.
outrageous.
That's true.
Unfortunately, most of the rest of the team was not at that level. I was glad to see Envy though. I love Envy. I think he's an excellent player, but the guy just sometimes I'm just like, just give him some help, please.
How was Thai or Thai? I don't know how
Thai.
you pronounce his name.
Hi.
How was he?
Fine. He was okay. I think he was nervous, to be honest.
I think for a first performance, he was completely fine.
That's what
Right,
they
but-
said in their
but the
post-match
team's-
interview. They're pretty.
But the team's kind of gonna like be powered by Primi and Killua.
If they can win this when they have like not too much coordination, then they're gonna get a lot better pretty fast, to be honest. Because the team play wasn't great, but the individuals look great. So.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thai Valorant.
All right, let's go on to the predictions though. Yeah, apologies for missing that out. The Thai fans will be like, "What the hell are you doing? This was our glory moment."
It was in the run-up show, but I deleted it. I didn't want to talk about Secret, but then there's enough people that did it, so.
Okay, so unfortunately, you have to talk about Team Secret again right now because we're doing the predictions for them.
Oh, I
in
wonder
their match.
what did I predict?
Well, it's a winnable game for them, though. They're up against what most people consider to be maybe the weakest team in the region. It's Zeta Division against Team Secret. These are two teams where it is winnable. And so we're split 50-50. Myself and Sliggy have gone for Team Secret, and the Pacific casters have gone for Zeta Division. Is this because you liked what Zeta did winning a map against T1, or is it just because you refuse ever to even think about representing Secret?
That should be directed at Clinton.
Yeah, let me answer, because his is the latter part of what you said.
Yes.
Right.
Wait, which way do I gotta look? I don't know. But the I think for me, like, now that XQQ is back in control of this team, it looked a lot more stable, and it seemed like some of the kind of foundations, the trading, a lot of that stuff was much more in place. I imagine part of this is the map pool is going to feel a little bit more comfortable with Ascent and Icebox in there again, especially with Ascent, assuming it doesn't just get banned away against them permanently. It's a map they're probably going to feel pretty comfortable on. It was a map that they were notorious for playing all the time in Pacific back when XQQ was the head coach. So I think for me, I just saw some glimmers of hope there in terms of better ability to play the game at a foundational level compared to what I saw in kickoff. That's a huge improvement over the course of a month. And I think versus what I saw in kickoff versus what I saw this weekend, they're one of the most improved teams, them and Boom probably. So I'm really impressed with, just because it looked tragic in kickoff, to be frank.
Yes.
Zeta looked tragic. Now they look like, okay, they can hold their own. Even though they lost to T1 in the long run, they still played well. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm in a similar spot. I mean, I think that anything would have felt like an improvement for Zeta, and it went beyond what I could have expected. I'm not trying to be a dick. I know what you mean. It was really, really poor in kickoff.
You are being a dick, but you're not trying. It's effortless.
Just comes naturally. What can I say? But no, I felt like they did have some good ideas. Like I said, the fact that they were able to get the map victory over T1 was a very big breath of fresh air. That's why, again, Kurt, in your own time, not a rush. Choose a charity, $50. And I think that there's some hope here as things continue to progress. So
okay,
but also I can never predict Secret again. So.
Well, I didn't watch Team Secret play against Talon, and I also didn't watch T1 play against Zeta. So I'm just talking completely on my ass. So I'm not even going to give any reasons, because it's literally just farts.
That's fair.
I mean, to be fair,
you could honestly, all you have to say is Envy. If you just say Envy, then I'll believe it's fine.
Yeah, Envy. That's what I was thinking.
I'll just say Dep. There you go. There's my reason. Dep.
I just think Team Secret have better individuals, really. And I think if you look at the amount of rounds that Team Secret messed up and it was still kind of close against Talon, I think I don't know. I think that they'll be fine here.
Okay.
They look. I think when you're talking about the most improved as well, I would say the Team Secret are in that running, with Zeta and Boom. You don't think?
No.
Really?
I
didn't.
I would call it maybe returning to previous form.
Yeah, but if we're just looking at just pure kickoff, they look pretty bad at kickoff.
They did look
bad at kickoff. I mean, if you isolate it down, but it's just they have been as good as they are currently in the past. It just feels like they're kind of getting back to that, but that was still not a standard.
That still wasn't enough to beat.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, this is a fucking toilet bowl anyway. We're spending too much time
Jesus.
on this. Let's move on to our match of the week.
We need to bring
Pacific.
that terminology into Valorant.
Yeah, we need to move on to a better game, and this one is a better game. It's the match of the week. You can vote on it in the community tab to see who you think is going to win this game. But here's our predictions for T1 versus Nongshim Red Force, who both won their matches this week, and it's a guarantee. How confident do you feel about this guarantee? I'm feeling
70%.
pretty good about it based on
good.
what Nongshim
60% T1.
Dude,
I'd give it 70.
if they keep if they keep with the Waylay stuff, T1 will be fine.
Oh, it's easy clap.
Yeah.
Easy clap if Danby keeps the Waylay.
Yeah. I think KR versus KR, that's where they're gonna get. I feel like Nongshim could get spanked there a bit. I mean, it was close the time before when they had played against each other, but yeah, especially if they want to lean into trying to run these newer comps, I think the T1's just gonna have a field day with it.
And if they go and play Neon on every map, maybe
a
it'll be
little
close.
bit more concerning,
Well,
but
I
I'd still
think that's
trust all the aimers on T1.
I think that's the big question for me is what is the map pool going to end up looking like? Because T1 banned Ascent against Zeta, but that reeks of a targeted ban to me, not necessarily it's going to be T1's perma ban. So my question is do you take Pearl out of the equation? That's probably what I suspect they're going to ban. Maybe
I think they might still ban Ascent.
Their poll has
honestly.
been
I think-
really good, though.
I was
but
gonna say,
but
think they
that
wanna- I
set
think
was so
it-
trash from Nongshim. Like,
It
what do
was,
you,
yeah, it
like,
was.
It was, but it's just I feel like T1 just want to give themselves like every possible application of like double duelist.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
just like lean on, you know, their 3 players that can
Oh,
flex
I see
around.
what
And I
you're
feel like
thinking.
Ascent is not one of those maps
Oh.
where they can reliably run it. Like you can make a comp for it,
But
but I
also-
feel like they'll just say like, okay, fuck it, this is our new abyss. We'll just get rid of the maps that start with A.
Do you think this comp works on Lotus anymore? The double duelist with the ISO now that there's only one undercut?
yeah,
I feel like
Yeah.
the one undercut really cuts some defense power out of that comp.
it does. But I
I
still
think you have to
it's
be
super
more
strong.
choosy and have a stronger read, but I think
Yeah,
that
but
the
your
undercut
choice is either control rubble or lose rubble, basically, right? Like if you use it at the beginning of the round to control, or you let them reclear later on.
Sure, but if
you
you-
lose a
if-
lot, of
Yeah, but you
power.
have the fallback on the ISO of Meteor fucking killing everybody.
Well, yeah,
The
yeah,
undercut-
that's a great
if the
point.
undercut doesn't work out, then it's still fine.
It's a great point.
That is
Absolutely
true.
can work.
No, I think it's fine, and most people play Raze, and I think just being able to save the double damage that now suppresses is huge.
Sure.
Raze ult.
if you run your
Yeah, that
Raze.
is massive.
Yeah.
Let's. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, just before we move on, Chobra this week has had an all-timer. He predicted Boom's upset over Gen.G accurately. His org, Nongshim, beat his older org, RRQ. They got the revenge on the X. And now we have unanimously Plat Chat guaranteed and invoked the curse
Oh,
to potentially give
Yeah,
Nongshim the win again. We can't allow this man to attain so much power within the Valorant scene. If this
Okay,
Plat Chat
okay.
guarantee is wrong, we gotta combine minds to take him down in the future.
we can contain this. If Nongshim win this series, I'll put a hit on him.
Right, okay, good. In Hitman, I'll throw a coconut
if-
at his head.
If they win, I will Chobra. I'll buy you dinner. I'll take you out to a nice dinner with drinks
And
afterward as well.
he's just winning again,
yeah,
you
that's
fool.
that's a triple win.
No, but it's not going to happen.
If anything, you
Let's
just
move
double
on.
down.
You're making it worse. You're making it worse.
Guys, shut the fuck up. It's a lure. I'm getting him out, and then I'm going to break his kneecaps. In Fortnite. Gen.G
versus Gen.G versus PaperX is our next game that we're predicting. Oh, holy shit!
I thought this might go a little more the other
I
way.
didn't think you would all be going for PaperX, honestly, because I thought PaperX only had like a couple of halves where they looked good. Listen, I don't believe in either of these teams at this point.
Yeah, it is
I was struggling with this one, and I was like, who do I believe in less?
I'm agnostic in this series. Neither
had
is
to vote.
convincing me too heavily.
Yeah, I
could
feel
have
like
flipped a coin, then I would have felt fine either way.
I looked at this on the prediction, and I thought someone's got to win.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And they're not going to be happy
about
about it. They're going to try not to, but someone's got to win.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't feel confident in PaperX's maps. I don't feel confident in Gen.G as a whole at the moment, so I don't really know where to go with it. But I've gone for PaperX. I said, do you know what I even said to my chat? I was like, I'm done with the PaperX belief. And then I looked at them next to Gen.G and I was like, I can't go for Gen.G with what I saw today. Like, I just can't. So I'm back. I'm back to being a PaperX believer, and I think they got this.
Okay.
Surely.
I'm less certain than you are. I don't know. I had just gotten home. I've been up since 7:30 in the morning. It's 1:30 now, like in the morning as well. Like I just said, fuck it. I gotta send preds to Kurt because he's begging for them. The show starts in 20 minutes. Who do I pick?
Okay.
I mean,
well then,
I think.
Oh, go on.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say. I mean, I think so. Like, just kind of reading between the lines with PaperX, like during their post-match interviews and stuff, it seems like what they do in practices is going extremely well, but then they get on stage and their mental just crumbles. Like once something goes wrong, like people just stop commenting, like nothing seems to be going like according to plan in terms of like how they drew it up and how they practiced it. It's like the players aren't retaining some of what is going well, and instead like they're just kind of diverting back to whatever worked in ranked maybe or something. So I think if they can just figure that out a little bit mentally, they could potentially be fine without even having to change Patman in or anything. But it's going to come down to like, how much do these players like really focus in and get themselves in line, because that there could just be a complete crumble, a complete collapse of this squad, and it's just the end of the Paper X era.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you an easier one to predict then, because I think this one's surely, I guarantee. It's DRX playing against DFM.
Whoa, that's
You're on the cope again. You did say at the very beginning of the year that DFM were going to make an international event.
I don't know what I'm doing here. I think this is just me being tired.
I think you're getting paid by Cat and Yang is what you're doing.
No!
I think you're expecting some money on the side.
There is also this. I have been specifically asked by DRX not to predict them anymore. So, because when I don't
Your predictions have been awful so far this
That's
day.
correct. But particularly they've been awful with DRX. Whenever I don't predict DRX to win, they win. It's 100% this year so far. So I'm going to somewhat continue down that. I think DFM can beat them. I think they can beat anybody. It's just, are they actually also, they have a similar problem to Paper X, I feel like, where their mental just isn't strong enough to really stay focused on their game plan and art to kind of stay involved. If they come out strong, if they come out, like, let's say they go on to Haven and they're able to kind of pick apart the double duelist comp or something, I don't know, but things like this, they have the potential to do it. They have the fraggers. Just, can they stay together? Can they stay focused long enough to take down DRX? Probably not, but maybe. I'll go for
I
it.
say your predictions have been awful. I think you.
I got one right, I think, this week.
Oh, I
got
marked your. I
T1.
know. For whatever reason, I marked your one prediction as being correct. My bad.
No, I got T1 right.
No, I marked you as having Paper X versus DRX correct. I'm tracking this. By
I
the
did
way.
not.
Just
No, I'm
for whatever
garbage.
reason, I keep track of this.
I'm horrible
You're-
right now.
You and I are actually tied at 50%.
Oh, really? I thought I was worse than that. I guess I had Talon over Team Secret.
Yeah, because we both went DFM. You got T1, PRX, Talon, Gen.G, RT.
what is going
Sideshow
on?
very entertained.
Brother, how are we getting to this point? Let's move. Let's move along. My brain has just been twisted by the DFM pick there. I think that's more mental than any of the ones we had last week.
Yeah.
Of which only
Probably.
1 out of 3.
But
Well,
I was
But I
gonna,
did
I was
have
gonna
them.
say the
I
boom
was
one.
the only one who picked them for Paper X, so.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on to the next game though. Talon
You're 2-4.
versus RRQ.
Whoa.
Oh.
No,
Ooh.
again.
But you just said
No,
that, didn't
no,
I
no.
you?
didn't watch. I didn't watch Talon play
But-
against Secret.
But it's not crazy. I don't
It's
think that's
not.
crazy.
It's very possible. Talon.
Yeah.
I feel like the.
I just saw they
mistakes and
lost
the
a map to
issues were-
Secret, and I was like, well, maybe RRQ can beat them then. This is the most
You know, and
uninformed.
as a hater, I can support that assessment, but I feel like I could see Talon, or I could see RQ correcting the mistakes that we saw today, correcting the indecision and the inability to figure out like what they wanted to do on that attack on split. I can see all of that going away. But I think, slightly more impressed by what I saw from Talon. I think that with the next series, like, Thai is just going to get better. Kahlua looked awesome. They've got a solid core around them. I just kind of go for Talon here.
I think this is real close because I think Team Secret historically like Ascent, and I think RRQ's Ascent looks really, really good. So I can see RRQ at least getting a map here, and then still pretty early for Talon. I was really on the fence with this one.
Well, thank you for making my points.
No, yeah,
because-
dude. I was honestly, I was prepared to switch if no one was going to go for RRQ. So, but I'm not going to switch because you've done it. But
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you,
I'm trying to stick with the overdog because I keep losing pick'ems, man.
and we're pretty confident here that Talon would be the overdog, though.
Yeah, but
Like, even
just-
if it's even, Talon are the favorites. Then
Yeah,
fair
yeah.
enough. We've correctly assessed the situation, I suppose. And the final game to predict is one that I alluded to quite a while back, actually. It's Boom playing against Global Esports, not Gen.G.
Oh, no.
But that's fine because Sliggy's got the correct one in there, so that's
Wait,
perfectly
you guys
accurate.
think the Boomer can be GE?
this
You guys are not
is-
high. I'll be honest, you guys are not high enough on
I-
GE right now.
I know
picked
I
this before the
just said.
matches. I picked this before today's matches.
I know I just
didn't watch
said that I
Global.
wasn't going to underrate G.
Yeah, you
anymore,
did
but
just say
I-
that.
And I feel like I'm not, because similar to the previous, I feel like this is very, very close between the two teams. But DOS9 just fucked a little too hard today. Like, he just went too crazy. And I'm like, man, if he could just channel a little bit of that again, like, they're fine.
I was starstruck by DOS9. I really enjoyed what I saw today from Boom. But yeah, I didn't get to see the global DFM game. So if Sliggy's talking up global a storm, did you just think the micro elements were so much better than what you saw from
I
Boom?
think they're really drilled. I think they're really, really drilled right now. Like the fact that they can, it reminds me of, okay, this is going to sound outrageous, but it reminds me of when we watched like G2 at the beginning and you can tell that they've had a good amount of time to be able to focus on the little things. It feels like GE at a similar point where they're just focusing on just little things at the moment. It makes me feel really confident about like majority of their macro on every map. I'm really on board with GE at the moment. I'm like really sold.
Right.
I just want to throw something out there quick. I don't really have a strong opinion either way on this series, but I as good as DOS9 is, there's another Kazakh player out there named Sultan. If any team wants another player who's just as cracked, it is Sultan. And somebody pick him up for the love of God. The guy is nuts.
Remind me how the rules work with Kazakhstani players. Are they imports or like, because weren't they tied to EMEA or something?
I think so.
I think
I
they
think
are,
they're
yeah.
like
EMEA.
that.
They are imports, yeah.
So, but they can't play in EMEA really because they have like 150 ping and they normally play on one of the Asian servers, but I can't remember which.
I believe they play on ICE servers, Hong Kong servers.
No,
Right.
I thought they. I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure. All I know is they get crazy ping to whatever servers they're meant to play officials on.
That's mad. It's mad that there have been any good Kazakhstani players if under the conditions that the current league is set up, you know, and the difficulties that they have.
People are
But
saying
yeah,
that
get him online.
he has an injury.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
he does?
Oh,
That's
Oh,
what
I didn't
people
know
are
that.
reporting. Yeah.
Oh,
They're
that's
saying
too
that
bad.
he had the left nous because of it. Which,
Oh.
in which case, everybody wish him a speedy recovery.
Yes, please.
Fuck.
God, he's just as cracked.
For
Sorry,
every
when you said-
member that we
When you
bring
said
in, he
he-
will have one day less of recovery.
I laughed there because you said he left nous, but my brain, I thought you were saying what his injury was, and I thought you were saying his left nous, and I was like, what part of the body is a nous?
At least his
What's
right
going
one's
to med
okay.
school?
Yeah.
You don't know what a
Yeah.
fucking left nous is?
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know. Can you survive with only your right nous?
Yeah, it's like
I'm unaware.
kidneys. Survivor just the
okay.
one.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see him playing at the tier 1 level at some point because I all I've seen are his stats, but his stats are outrageous. So that's it though for our predictions, and that's it for our Pacific segment as well. Achilleos, you're allowed to go to bed, and Paperthin, if you want to, you can join him. Well, not join him. Well, you can if you want, I suppose, as long as everyone's willing.
It has to be
He
your
doesn't want
house,
me
not
to.
mine.
He got real mad because I told a bad joke on air today. So
Oh,
he's-
yeah,
he's
I
You
got
did
one.
tell
with
us.
me.
You did tell us.
Go
bad
fuck
joke.
yourself. That sucked. It was awful.
Can you remind us
I'm
what it
so
was?
happy.
It was a
No,
bad
yeah,
joke.
I'll give a short version. So a guy goes to the doctor. He's been really stressed out, having some mental problems. He comes into the doctor. He's just losing his mind. And he goes, Doc, I need some serious help. The doc's like, what's wrong? And he goes, Doc, I think I'm a pair of curtains. And the doctor goes, well, just pull yourself together, man. Yeah, there's the
You
short
want to know?
version.
And off the back of that, I thought of a better joke, and it's Paperthin's entire career. Good night,
Oh,
ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you next time.
Wow. You know, I got another one. Plat Chat predicting stuff. Okay, let's get out of here.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back in just a moment with TMV and Chobra, who are going to be joining us for the rest of the episode as we talk EMEA and Americas. And some other little
Bye.
bits and bobs as well.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks,
Alright.
Kurt.
Yeah, thank you.
Let me know which charity, Kurt.
I will.
Just pocket the money. Fuck him, Kurt.
It's my bank account. All right, let's get TMV and Chobra in here. Shout out to,
I wanted to give a-
Chobra for being available. Unfortunately, Shio's power decided to nuke itself right before the show, so Chobra's coming on. He can also gloat about his Preds. What's up, Josh?
No, it's all right. Yeah.
Hello, can I
we
be
g-
heard?
Yes, TMV can be heard as well. Yeah, unfortunately, we had problems with Shio and Dryad today, so they're not going to be able to be available, but Chobra is very kindly stepping in. I wanted to give a shout out, though, while we've got a couple of minutes, that have a check and see whether you're subscribed to the show, because I know that we release every week, etc., but having larger subscriber number really help us out, actually. It very good for us.
Does it? I don't know.
And-
It's cool though. It definitely helps
No,
ego.
No, it definitely does. Like it does when we're It definitely
That's what
helps us
matters,
when
Pico.
we're approaching sponsors and agencies and stuff like
Oh,
that.
true,
to look
true.
like we have a larger brand presence.
yeah.
So even though our
Money for Sideshow, yes.
even though our viewership is very good, we appreciate you coming. If you aren't subscribed and you wouldn't mind, hit the little subscribe button. Not necessarily because any of you are like missing the show or anything, but just because number go up look good to people who give money to us, and that's nice. That's
Also,
good for
Kurt
us.
would get a silver play button, I would assume. Get to 100K.
Yeah, I attached my address to the account so it would go to me.
Nice. That was the only reason you attached the address. He's just gonna snipe the play button.
Well, we have to all meet up and take a picture. We have to get Matt out of his dungeon.
I
Why
think we
would
could
Matt
get to
get a picture with
100K
him?
this year.
I think so.
I think we could get to 100K
What
this
is it
year.
now,
We
like
we have
80?
we have
Yeah,
more than
where are you at?
100K viewership on plenty of the episodes, so it's entirely possible that we could get to 100K. But yeah, it's on like 86K right now, something like that. So I'd like to pump that number a little.
Also, speaking
If
of
possible.
pumping numbers, Dryad unfortunately had something come up, but she saved our Plat Chat guarantee multiple times. I believe Chobra also did, so we went 4-0 instead of like 4-3.
Oh,
Um,
4 no.
this week.
Wait, that's actually
There is
nasty.
no,
So,
there is
Greg.
no
good
curse.
job
There
to
is no
Chobra
curse.
and
There is no
Dryad
war
for
in
that.
Bossing say.
There is no war in Bossing say.
I think we're ready though. We don't have to just wait for this countdown.
Yeah,
right?
we're good.
Yeah. So what is our Plat Chat guarantee looking like now then? It must be pretty damn
The
good.
next time it pops up, it will show up, but I believe it's 17-6.
Dude, we're frying
I
with it.
think.
We're frying with it.
It's our best year so far, right?
That's 74%.
I mean, it's only the beginning of stage one, so like, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, but you gotta celebrate the small
The
victories.
EMEA
these
is
days.
ripe for trolling, even this week.
Yes, I mean, but I feel like so many of these games have been ripe for trolling, and yet we're still 4-0. So somehow it's working out. Hello, we're going to begin with our EMEA in Americas segment. But before we begin with that, I want to touch base on China very quickly. We did a small China recap before last week, and I wanted to touch base because we've got TMV in, especially to talk a little bit about Wolves. Because Wolves beat Trace, and they're actually looking like they're on a bit of a. They're looking like they're on a bit of a rebound. They actually might be a decent. Like, there is a genuine chance that we might be seeing Wolves in Toronto, which is
Oh, don't
ridiculous.
you start with the. We had this debate. Don't you start with Toronto now?
I'm just trying to make it authentic, because otherwise people come at me and they're like, "Why are you saying the second T in Toronto?" And anyway, there is a chance they could actually make it to an international event.
Legitimately?
Of course.
What do you mean, of course? As if you knew all along. You did not know that Trace was going to look like the absolute worst team in China all of a sudden, somehow, man. That's crazy. But I
what's
will
funny
say.
about this game, though, is. What's funny about this game, though, is,
Sorry, you go.
Go ahead, go ahead.
is like, there was still a lot of moments where it was just Wolves pulling shit out their ass. I mean, they almost fucking
Yes.
threw this game. I mean, look at that timeline
Yes.
there at
Yep,
the end from Trace.
6 in a row.
Holy
Yep.
fuck, what a bait. What a fake comeback. Almost did an NRG, but unlike NRG, Wolves aren't shit. So they won.
We were actually having this discussion though when 100 Thieves were playing, because you remember Boostio said like China will never catch up to North America.
Yeah,
I swear there are like 6 teams in China that would beat 100 Thieves right now. We're in the funniest timeline.
It's Kat. Can you go back to this though? Can you go back to the scoreboard? I mean, I know we're all celebrating a win, but they won 4 pistols, and this is really close.
Yeah, it was.
This is
Yeah.
4
It's
pistols.
propaganda.
And
But-
they were
It's
clearly
propaganda.
better players as well. Like they had the better players here. Every
boy.
individual player moment was going the way of Wolves.
You know what the worst part about this is, though? Like, because I was trolling TMV as I was like, I mean, you barely won against Trace. Like, they look so bad. You're celebrating. And then I watched the rest of the games and I went back to look at the standings. They actually might be the best in that group, man. Like, I can't deny
Yeah,
it. Like,
this
it's
is our
terrible
time.
that that's
It's our time.
actually true. Like, there's a very solid chance, which is rather unfortunate.
I mean, why is it
Why is that unfortunate? What do you mean? Your team's trolling half the time, playing an agent that's shit.
No comment.
There is plenty of shit waylay in China as well.
True.
I mean, Wolves are going to benefit from that too.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Do you want to show the fractured tech though that's in the thing?
Oh yeah, I would like to show this actually. So I want your opinion on this too. So I was rewatching. I was doing a VOD review of Wolves Trace, but I was doing it off stream, and I saw this round. round 15, and I thought it was deliberate. Now, I'm not 100% sure because I haven't got into a custom server to test it myself. But what happens is they realize that the whole of B is being played for retake, but there's a vice wall there. They go over and pressure A. And actually, I felt like Wolves' calling was really quite solid. They came back over towards B on Fracture, and there's a vice wall. And instead of baiting the vice wall, which lasts, I looked it up, for 7.8 seconds, which seems like a long time, they break it by body blocking somebody inside the vice wall, and it breaks in like 4 seconds, maybe even a little bit less than that. It's almost
they
like
bug
half
abuse
the
it.
time. Well, is it a bug? Is it against the rules? Because if it breaks accidentally, though, then that is just a feature. Like, you can get stuck in it by accident. And so would the admins have to make a decision on whether or not it was deliberate?
Yeah.
Look,
think
I would
so.
say,
Yeah.
you know when G2 will like take damage and then fall off the map to get ult orbs and stuff? When you're just a really good team, you got time to work on the small things like this. You know, this when you've got everything else sorted, this
Look
is
at
the
this.
kind of little things that you can do.
Look at that from Lysor. I swear to God, he's body blocking his teammate. That looks so deliberate.
No, I think that's like, I don't know. It looks accidental, no?
You think?
Yeah, it looks accidental.
If that was
Yeah.
accidental, why wouldn't Lysor be swinging out, though? I feel like... I think that Lysor is body
But does he
blocking
get
you
caught
caught
as well,
in there.
maybe? Oh, maybe not.
No, he's
No,
not.
I think Lysor
Is he?
might also just
I've
be
never
trying
seen
to
this
hold the
interaction.
angle because maybe he couldn't even shoot his gun. Like,
Dude,
he
it's
But like
on
I'm saying,
purpose.
I-
Look at him laugh the entire time. Look
Yeah,
at
he was
his player
laughing
cam.
afterwards. If you look
He's
at the player
la-
cam, he's
Oh,
laughing about
yeah,
it.
he is.
Like,
Yeah,
But they
'cause,
might
like,
be
guys
laughing
who-
because they got caught in it.
Yeah, I mean,
We need to go into a custom and figure out if it's like replicable. Because if it is, and if it's
Yeah.
not, because that's actually mad tech. It's also a bit silly though because it has to be completely unguarded.
It's,
Yeah.
Well,
You
I
need
mean,
a vice
yeah.
wall that is utterly unguarded, but it cuts the time down from like 8 seconds to 4.
it's for sure a bug. So they won 4
Yeah.
pistols, bug abusing, and they're only just winning.
Take away the victory. Take away the victory. I thought their pistol rounds were good though too. I thought they had some nice ideas on the pistols. They also played that like cringe post plant on Fracture pistol.
It's not cringe.
It's cringe as fuck,
It's pretty
Sliggy.
fucking
That's not
cringe.
cringe. This is their fault for putting it in the game. Right, a cringe then.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Your assessment then is any any strat, even if it's like, you're checkmating your opponent 20 seconds in advance.
Yeah.
It's all not cringe.
Yeah,
It's all fair game.
Cringe is client-sided.
Cringe is client side.
Well, that's what I would say for Wolves breaking that wall as well. Then.
Yeah, that's fair game. Fair game. Not cringe. Not bug abusing. I don't like these rounds.
Why?
I'm split on it. I get why people don't like it, but I'm not quite sold that it's cringe yet.
I like the fact that Trace tried to push out because I think that that's actually a pretty good
Yeah.
counter to it because you just kill them while they're trying to hide, and they still lose the round, by the way, because they're too late to be able to get onto the tap right now. They're like re-droning halls. Oh no, what if Wolves are fighting us in halls instead of doing their post-plant setup? Have you never seen this round before? It's been in the game since like 2023, people doing this. But yeah, it's cringe as fuck, Sliggy.
Hey, if that's what it takes to win, then fair play. That's why you're probably
Yeah.
still plat.
I don't want to win if this is what it takes. I'm happy.
That's-
I'm happy
You're
being
not
plat. If this is what winning looks like, then I'm a loser.
That's why you
and
keep
I'm
taking
happy
those rare
with it.
L's.
He's been saying that his whole life.
Yeah, it's a rare loss from me, actually. Rare bad take from me.
Don't start this again.
Okay. I think that recaps our Wolves segment, though. Do you have anything else you wanted to bring up about China? Or who are Wolves playing next, actually?
They play your team, don't
XLG,
they?
man.
The
It's
Blues?
you versus TMV this weekend.
And I'm not
Yeah,
feeling
the
good
full
about that.
Blues.
I got to be honest
Yeah, I
about that. I'm
wouldn't
not
either,
feeling
if
good
I
about that. I do like XLG, but I think Wolves have got better players. Happy Way's going to have to put on a backpack performance to get them through that. All right, shall we move on, though? Because I feel like almost related to that post-plant kind of conversation is a wider topic that we wanted to hit, which was TenZ complaints about Valorant. Because the normal progression of a player is you're a pro, and then you become a content creator, and then you make negative content about the game that you played for a long time. And that is just, it's tracked across every esport ever. You must make negative content about the game that you play. But that makes sense because all of the pros do secretly just rage about so much of the stuff that gets put into games like this. And it happens in every single game. But I think this is following on from Safe's discussion where he was talking about the amount of util being overwhelming currently. And on the EMEA podcast that Yinsu was doing with Nats and Lohan and somebody else, I think.
It was just those two, I think.
Oh, was it just those two?
Yeah,
they were talking about what the best meta was. And Nat said 2021 meta. Which I think I would describe as like only about 10 agents ever getting played and nobody really knowing what they were doing.
Yeah, that's why Nats enjoyed it, because he was able to just get away with whatever he wanted and dominate every game.
It's not much of a meta when does everyone shit at the game. It's like you can get away with everything.
Nats described it as the most balanced meta. And I was like,
Mate,
cap!
Where Jets are like 80% pick rate.
The Jets got 12-second smokes. 3 of them can insta pop dash. You got to raise with 2 nades, and ult that does 250 damage. My satchel does 75 damage. And I got 2 of them. It's the most busted thing ever. It's the worst meta for sure.
All right. Well, what did TenZ say in this clip? Do we want to watch it with audio? Or is it too long?
I
What
could just
were you thinking,
summarize
Kurt?
it without just watching the video.
Sure.
But he basically just says the promise at the beginning of the game of Valorant was that utility would elevate your gunplay, but he believes that nowadays utility just straight up kills. And there's just so much shit on the screen at all times that it's no longer about elevating your gunplay. It's about using it to get kills.
I mean, it's always about using it to get kills, right? Because you're like using it to set up favored duels for yourself. But I guess his problem is that you're literally using like more mollies, more area denial, more damaging utility. A lot of the time, though, that does just flush people into the open and give you an advantage fight, similar to Flash or whatever.
The point, I think the biggest problem here is that in that original introduction, Riot like emphasized precise gunplay so much. And what people are noticing now is that you're right, like mollies eventually push you into like advantageous positions or whatever. But like I was just talking about this recently on my latest video, is that there's a difference between forcing errors and unforced errors, right? And if you're getting mollied out, you're being forced into an error where you get into a position where like you have to be moving and you don't have a better fight. Like you could win it, but it's going to take, you know, everything in your power to do so. And but that really precise gunplay is probably what a lot of the players and the pros are feeling.
Sure.
I think the bigger problem is that we just don't have a cycle where the meta can actually be developed and countered. Like we just can't explore it, right? And the util is easier. So it's just, we're seeing the immediate effect of the util spam, and we will never know if there is an actual counter to this around gunplay or other macro stuff, because we're going to get map changes and another new agent before we can actually figure it out.
See, I think that Teo ruined a lot, to be honest. I do think Teo ruined a lot. As soon as they bring in refresh damage that can be comboed, and you can have a default, and you can combo it with a stun, and you can just be in an area, and you can't get out, which means you can't play these areas, it does fuck up the game. I really do think Teo fucked up the game, like, honestly. I think, like, the fact that now you can kind of, like, play a site, and you're like, well, we now can't sit on site, so we need to go proactive, or we need to just play retake, or you just sit there and you just tank util, and then you're probably getting out of the util's way into a flash or something. Like, you don't have a chance to play. There is the most times I've watched this year where I've gone, I don't know what's going on. Like, there's so much on my screen, I don't know what's going on, and the person on site anchoring, they are just fucked. There's nothing they can do. So I do think he has a solid point. I think that Teo in this, like, Teo just needs some kind of nerf to even it out a bit, because it's so hard to play against just knowing we can't take this area, or we've taken this area, but now we need to be ready for them to stun and damage to retake this. Like the damage, the salvos, the Teo salvos are so busted. We got to change it.
Yeah, I think that's the point, really, that, you know, you weren't probably hearing these complaints after ISO came out. You know, like it matters that Teo has just come out, and it's like, this is an agent who kills with abilities on a refresh cooldown. You know, you just have to wait. Like, and they do probably way too much damage. I remember when Teo was first released, and I was like, oh, I wonder how much damage these will do. And then they were like, oh, it's 70. And I was like, what? What do you mean they do? Like, in one little bit? I was like, what? How have they done that? The agent's just way too good, and it makes a problem. Now, in terms of, there have been multiple unsafe, I think it was Safe as well, said this, right? Like, about the amount of stuff on your screen and the amount of, you know, like, different things happening. That to me is just like, well, people are just getting good at the game, right? And people are knowing how to like
Yeah.
combo stuff. And so there's gonna be like, no matter what agents you brought out, you could play with the original agents if you wanted to, and people now probably would get to the point where they could be good enough to just combo so much stuff. It's hard to see. That one I think is more of a maybe a longer term problem in general of like that's probably gonna be hard to tone down as much because people are just like if you chain 4 abilities together like perfectly, like yeah, there's gonna be
But
a
they
lot of
have-
stuff on your screen. And what you want to say like, oh, you just can't. We're just going to start releasing blank agents.
Well, they did also tweak the balance of the game so that some characters that were more util focused are now more viable, and the characters that were more avoiding util focus, stuff like the Jet, has become less viable over time because it was just absurd how powerful it was to just disrespect the utility. You do want to strike a balance there.
And we probably have gone too far in the util
Yeah, we
direction,
have.
but like the game goes in cycles though, right? Like we've seen it before when like Breach and Sky went from 3 flashes to 2, right? When they did kind of big nerfs kind of across the board. We've seen them like increase the ult costs across the board, right? Like where they toned down the util. It feels like more
But then these
recently
kind of
with
complaints
Deadlock
are an
buff-
important part of the cycle because they do
they
tend
are.
to trigger those kind of
100%. Yeah,
thinking about
but
it. Here's a question that I'd like to pose to you, right? Which is that if you want enhanced gameplay from your rifling, this is going to sound a bit silly, but do you remember when you could break sky flashes by shooting them?
Yeah.
What if they added a lot more of that to a lot more of the util in the game? You can break a salvo when it's coming towards you. You can break a brim molly when it's coming towards you. Instead of just being able to body block it, you can actually use your gunplay to counter a lot of the utility in the game. So you're like breaking Dizzy, breaking Leah, breaking salvo, breaking this. Like in theory, if you're cracked, you can have a huge advantage as long as they make them like precise to hit rather than just having enormous hitboxes.
I think the pro players are too good. It's hard to find a balance of it. The pro players will be too good that util just ends up being completely useless.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
the
I
also
salvos
think-
just end up revealing where you came
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, and I think especially just on a grand scheme, like maybe balance wise, maybe you could find the perfect balance, but like at a broad scale, that would ruin the game, right? Because it would put such a skill gap between the casuals and the non-casuals. Like it would just be tremendous. You could never, beat someone who was slightly better than you at gunplay. So, which is not what Riot wants, even though they're trying to promote precise gunplay.
I also have a bit of a problem with the idea that the meta at the moment is super Tejo heavy. You can't anchor sites. I agree that that is the general consensus. When I looked back at Bangkok, there were a lot of teams that opted into that. Like Vitality, for example, played 74% retake, and G2 played 66% retake. You know who won? T1, who only played 53% retake. They didn't play retake like pretty much at all. They denied the spike almost every time. They're fighting forwards,
Yeah,
fighting
because they're fighting forwards.
but they're not fighting forwards before the site. They're fighting at the choke points.
Yeah,
So they're still
extending their
fighting
reach.
on site.
Yeah.
So I think I think to Chobra's point, there is some meta evolution here that could actually happen if we had more exploration of it.
Yeah, I mean, even then, Autumn said in our like little coach content, he was like, "Yeah, but Teo definitely still needs to be nerfed, even though we didn't, we didn't use it to win." But also, just I don't want to fuel this because I think Termi gets a lot of unnecessary hate from the global fans. But for the record, Termi was like, "No, you can't nerf Teo anymore. He's already not that good."
And now he's playing double duelist with Jet Neon. Sure, bro, you don't need to give me more ammunition, man. Thank you
I think you're lying.
for being
There's no way.
a channel of information to the masses, Chobra. I appreciate that.
just for anyone wondering, his argument was like you're trading out a different initiator that he thinks is still very valuable and yada yada yada. But
Yeah, in some of the solo initiator comps at the moment, I feel like if you nerfed the Tejo, he wouldn't get run as a solo initiator.
Sure, but it should
Yeah,
be
that's
Double
fine.
Initiator has
That's
pretty much
fine.
always been
but yeah,
good.
you should.
Yep,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
valid. So consensus that there should be some tweaks. What tweaks would you make?
Yeah, Teo nerf. I mean, there's some utility that's too strong in the game. I might even say like some of the Vice stuff lasts too long as well, right? Like there are just a couple agents that need tweaking down. I would leave it at that for now because before Teo came out, I don't think this was like a massive, major problem. I would look at I still don't get why they haven't like to me, it seems so obvious. Like, change the initiators, just change the timing based on how good their signature is, right? Like a Silver Dart should probably be a bit more than 40 seconds. A Tail Missile should be, 60
I like
seconds.
the standardization of it for
Yeah,
simplicity
but like
sake.
but then you make it so hard to balance. You end up with Sky where you just end up with nothing, and it's like that's
Yeah.
too much. And you end up with Tail where it's like this is way too good. Like it just seems like an easy lever to pull to change. And you say that, but like Deadlock is 40 seconds, but the other Sentinels are 45. Why?
Because Deadlock's
well,
actually
that's
an initiator.
Oh no, that's for retractable util. So
No,
for the
like Sage Heal is 45.
Is Sage Heal 45?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
didn't know
believe
that.
so. Sage Heal is like the weird one out.
That is strange. That is strange. I've got another. So you're a very Tory man's Valorant. You like the status quo. You just want to take. You just want to tweak small things. Guys, don't be too radical about it. Let's just tweak some small stuff and see what's going on. Very Tory of you. Very, very, very center right. Now, I'm going to give you a radical solution, okay? I already gave you one radical thought with the shooting all of the utility. I'd like to avoid that kind of phrasing. I don't think, but I'm definitely on the far edges when it comes to this. Here's another radical proposal. What if you extended the timer of the signature abilities from 40 seconds, where you get them at, so you have them at 140, you can use them at the opening, you have them at the minute mark, and then you definitely have them at some point in the post plant. What if you extend them to something like 55 seconds, where even if you use them on an execute, you are extremely unlikely to get them back at all for the post plant? It may be if the post plant goes like the full distance and your exec took a long time to get in, maybe you'd get them back. But around 50 seconds or 55 seconds for signatures, if you use that util on the execute, you are not getting it back for post.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be healthy?
I think that's
would that be
good.
bad?
No, I think that's good. Anything that requires some kind of thought. I think that's the issue at the moment. There's no fucking thought.
Yeah, that's another issue with Teo though, right? It's like you just press an iPad. There's not like a massive skill to it, right? As soon as you get just even the basic timing down, it's gonna be good. That's a big problem as well.
Yeah.
It does make retakes a lot more powerful, by the way. And we already have a pretty heavy retake meta.
And I like the idea, but I think if you do that now, I do think you damage the overall player base greatly because, like you said, that's going to require thought. And you've built a player base that is built around being able to just play it without thinking and just feeling like you can enjoy a game. Which is like this goes through with League of Legends as well, right? Like Riot does this thing where you can have a skill ceiling, but they build a game where it's like you can have teammates to blame, and that's how they get a wider audience. And I'm not saying that that's a healthier game, but that is what they kind of build indirectly.
Do they force my teammates to shout slurs in the game so that I can get angry at them?
That is
I mean, because I am getting angry at them and I don't realize.
Be researched.
I got a lot to blame them for.
No, but in all honesty, because if we've all seen it, right? Like when you play ranked and you run into some people and they're just running it down, or they're like, oh, they're just spamming their abilities whenever they can, but that gives you that dopamine hit. And this is a very real thing, and they've built the player base that revolves around that. So if you take that away now, that's like if you suddenly raise the drinking age back up, and then or like lower one way or the other, and everyone just goes crazy.
It's prohibition in Chicago, and we're gonna get a black market of signature abilities. Oh, dude, I gotta get a hit. Please, man, please, I gotta get my salvos back.
I don't think putting 15
What happened to
seconds.
C9?
Putting 15 seconds extra is going to change the ranked that much. Dude, most people use util and then they run it down within the first 30 seconds. Everyone's fucking under ascendant. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're not going to realize that it recharges anyway. They're in the site. They're dead. Like, I don't think the 15 seconds of a recharge is going to be like, fuck this game, man. give me fucking TikTok. Give me a dopamine hit. Like, I think
you are also the least brain rotted person out here. If anyone was going to talk about dopamine addiction, it couldn't be you, Sliggy. You're like you.
What do you mean? I watch games all day. That's dopamine.
No, but you watch long form games. You're not TikTok brain rotted. You never seen grass. I agree with that. But the short form dopamine trigger, like you're not the rat in the Skinner box, like da 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 da.
Yeah, it's poison.
Right. So you're not. I hate to tell you this, but you're part of the lost generation at this point.
Yeah, maybe. But dude, the 15-second cooldown isn't going to change it. You can't tell me. I've played ranked. I've played ranked enough to know that people don't have an attention span beyond 40 seconds. So they use their util. They're not going to wait for it to recharge anyway to hit the site. So we can just focus on pro play. It doesn't matter about ranked. They use the util. They send it in. They die. They wait for the next round. 15 seconds extra isn't going to change anything. They didn't realize that it
doesn't-
comes back probably.
It doesn't change the result, but and I don't agree with this. I don't think it should change anything, but I do think it changes for whatever reason. People are going to read that it's 55 seconds, or they're going to see a pro game and they're like, ooh, like, oh, they have to be so meticulous, and then instantly they just get turned off from it. I
They're
really
not
do think
thinking that
that'll
much.
happen.
They're thinking, let me fucking aim duel this guy. I'm way better. That's what everyone's thinking.
Well, that's why
If
they're mad
ev-
about the util.
I mean, yeah, that's fine though.
Because they want to run it down. They're
Yeah.
like, God damn, I got stunned. Why has he got a stun while I'm in the open?
No, it is that though, and I think if anything, it will attract new players because there's less bullshit. Like when
No,
you're a
I
new
think that
player and you're like,
argument
what the
wouldn't
fuck? What the fuck is
That
this
argument
dog
would
or
imply that
John?
everyone who's complaining right now is busy playing CS2, but they're still complaining and playing Valorant. It's the same with League. Everyone complains about it, but they're not playing Dota 2.
I mean, if we're
They're
being
playing
honest
League.
here, if we're being truly honest, a lot of the people who are not playing Valorant right now at the beginning of this year are playing Marvel Rivals, a game which has
Well, okay.
way more abilities,
That's-
way more visual clutter, but just because it's the like new thing, they're like, so. At the end of the day, I feel like people just complain, some of them. And TenZ isn't one of them because he's been at the pro level, but some people are just like, oh, my visual clutter, and then they pick Reina in all their games and it doesn't affect them anyway. I would like to move us along. I'd like to talk about one of the reasons I think that we've seen some sloppy beginning to stage 1 is the amount of roster changes that we've seen. And that has affected all across. I mean, we were just talking about Gen.G. We'll be talking about a bunch of teams in Americas later on that have also done it. EMEA's got their own version of this. There's plenty of teams that are changing rosters, one of them being BBL. But that's not really their fault, I guess, because they're supposed to be playing with chiwa. Chiwa wasn't able to get there. Then they were playing with VAC. Now they're playing with Magnum. Does anyone know why they're not just carrying on playing with VAC? Because they did have a good kickoff.
No, I have no idea. Dude, I have no idea. But he has a full-time job, right? So at least he
wait.
did.
What, literally the bus driver?
Yeah, well, I don't know if that was true, but he definitely had a full-time job.
He's got to get back to his bus driving.
But I thought he quit for it. So,
If I wouldn't quit for being a sub for a team for a month for kickoff.
yeah, that's why he never made it as a player.
Go
You gotta
BBL
take the risk,
expectations
bro.
At the start of kickoff. I wouldn't quit if it was I'm going to BBL.
You
Like,
gotta-
we're gonna lose. We're
Dude,
gonna probably lose 2 games.
That's a
in row.
crazy thought, though. That's like the dream. That's what you dream as a player, to get a
But
chance.
but they must
Fucking
have
quitting
told him.
everything for it.
But they must have told him, we're playing with Chiwa when he gets here.
Sure.
Yeah, that was.
And you're going to give up your job
He
that
was a
you've...
sub,
Yeah, but
he was
there's
a
plenty of
stand-in.
buses out there.
Plenty of buses out there. I mean, this is streamer privilege right now. Do you know what the job market is like?
I'm
I
just
mean, maybe
saying
not
that-
for bus drivers. I don't know, but
I'm
like,
just
it's a
saying
tough
that he
job
can-
market out
he
there.
can- There's a bus in Iceland. He can come drive here.
You're the fucking bus
There's
driver
one
in
bus,
Iceland.
there's
There's
one
one
bus
bus.
in Iceland.
And
There's
I
only
don't.
one.
I don't leave the house, so
The
he can
number
drive
one.
it.
What do you think then about Magnum joining the team? He's not going to be IGLing. He's
Which
not
is
going to be
good.
playing Initiator.
No.
Which is good. He's
Yeah.
he's playing the role where he was actually decent. Let's
Yeah.
be honest. So I think it's a good pickup.
Yeah, he
So-
should be all right.
Did they talk about VAC in this, or did they just talk about why Chiwa
Just Chiwa, I
is...
think.
No.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. And that is really unfortunate for Chiwa as well. I don't know exactly why they haven't been able to acquire him a visa. I didn't read the post. Maybe it was literally on the screen just then. But I think it's just been... they just said an uncertainty surrounding the visa process. They've yet to receive a final decision, and there's no clear timeline. It can be very difficult doing things legally. Back in the day in esports, we'd just sneak into countries and play. And that was a lot
Yeah,
easier.
true.
That was a lot easier. Never caught my ass, did they? Hey! I shouldn't admit that with how active they are at the moment, should I? But anyway, BBL, are they going to still be a team to watch out for in
Yeah.
Yeah,
EMEA?
100%.
I think
They're in
so.
the easier. Well, they've got a pretty open group, no?
They
group
got
as
they got a pretty open group. They have shown that like the coaches know what they're doing. The calling looks nice. They're fragging pretty heavy. And like if you think, I would say that VAC and Magnum are probably on the same par. Maybe you would say that Magnum's a little bit better if you look at Fnatic old days when he was playing like hard Sentinel. So they kind of stay at the same level. It sucks that they haven't been pracking with him because they've probably been pracking with Chiwa, hoping he was going to come. But I think they're a scary team. I mean, they got a nice group.
They got a good group.
Yeah.
It is possible they could even win the group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got some tough games though. Yeah, I think it's quite an even group as well. I think it should be a good one in EMEA. Let's move on to another team though. On the other side of things, Governor has joined APEKS, which is a bizarre one, I think, because I still don't really understand what he's even going to be playing. They've benched Hype, who I think probably the correct player to bench. Wasn't really performing super well, but he was also their Sentinel. Governor's played Duelist and a lot of Initiator. What's the theory here? What do you see him playing? How do you see
He's not
Apex
playing
working?
Duelist. He's either playing in like Sova or Recon role, maybe Teo as well, I don't know. And then Batu either moves to Sentinel or they just decide that Sentinels are just not worth ever playing. Just play double Duelist, I don't know. But
Double Duelist, double Initiator, smoke. No Sentinel.
run it down. Paper
If there was a
Rex.
team to do it, it would be a team like this that don't have much chance apart from opting into their strengths as a roster. And their strengths were in kickoff, double Duelist, Floor and Batu.
Yeah, they might just lean into that. I think it's just a fire upgrade, right? I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean,
You think Governor's going to play Senti?
he might do.
I can see it.
He's
I mean,
played a
'cause
lot of roles.
Yeah, well, he's definitely played it, just not as much as the other ones. Obviously, he's played like a lot of Sova and then Duelist, but they've tried it. But obviously, Ban was like much more locked in as a Sentinel on that roster, and also like Frost has always said, Governor and Ban are like definitely willing and able to play all the roles. Obviously, we don't know exactly what the skill level is going to be relatively, but I think he's probably like a Sentinel flex, right? Like, do you want a hard Sentinel versus are you playing something like the Deadlock? Like he's played the Deadlock. And then a firepower upgrade on top of that. And that's probably good for him, too, because he just spent, a year and a half just having to throw himself in there like Dombi, but getting literally less support and just dying immediately. So now he can just kind of sit back and go for the kills that he thinks he can get.
If they carry on playing Batu Sova, though, with Governor Senti, I'm gonna lose my shit. Because Batu Sova looked dreadful. I mean, the difference between Batu Sova and Batu when he was playing Yoru was night and day.
It
I
really
like,
was.
You can't run Batu Sova and think that you're going to be able to compete.
Yeah, I agree.
With
Then
this
maybe they kind of flex it a little bit between the two, and just when you need a double duelist, I don't know, dude. It's weird. It's weird at the moment.
It's very strange.
Is Governor the first player to play in Pacific, EMEA, and Americas?
Yep.
Hasn't played in Americas, I guess.
He hasn't played in Americas.
Well,
Tier 1,
yeah, I guess he played Challengers, yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
first player to win I know the first player to win a tournament in both regions was Les. Because Narrate almost did it. Who was the first to play in 2 regions? Would that have been
The
this
first
year
to play
as
in
well?
2 regions.
Or Ardis?
Well,
maybe.
Echoes kind of, but I guess others.
Wow.
That's a piece of history.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's factual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same kind of history that, like, when you talk about Liz Truss in the UK, you're like, technically broke some records, but, or like set some records, but, we don't normally talk about it. Arian as well, yeah, because he went over to
Aya as
global.
well, yeah. There's a couple.
Oh,
There
yeah, there
were
are
quite a
tons,
few
actually.
imports in Pacific, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's true. I do think this makes sense though. When you're looking at the Ascension teams making changes, that makes from just an outside perspective about kind of understanding what's going on in the teams, this one makes sense. Same with Gentlemates, like just changing. Like this is their year. This is the year you got to go all in. So if you think it's an upgrade for your team, you do it.
Yeah, and it's incredibly important to even just make playoffs. Like, just getting into there is everything. Okay, let's take a look at some predictions for week 1. So we'll get to take a look at these teams and who they're playing against and go into things. So our first game, some of the EMEA ones are not that difficult to call in my opinion. So we might have a couple of guarantees here.
What could go
and that
wrong?
that might be very bad for us.
What could go wrong?
First game,
Here we go.
pose for the photo, I reckon. It's Vitality playing against Giants.
Oh no, this could go wrong. This could go wrong.
Do you really think this could go
Yeah,
wrong?
of course it could
Even
go
without
wrong.
Trex, I'm not feeling this could go wrong.
They just got a new player. There's 2 new maps. I think this could go wrong. I'm not gonna switch, but I'm just saying this is like it's a 70-30. You at least put the 30 out there.
Yeah, I'll put the 30 out there. Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
And you're never reasonable with percentages, so I respect that.
No, I'm not reasonable with
No,
that.
you're not.
I was trying to be reasonable last week. I was talking to my chat about it. They were only giving Fury a 5% chance to beat G2, and I was like, come on now. Like, you got to give them more respect than that. And then they went up 8-0 and lost. So I don't know whether that made my point or ruined it. Let's move on to our next game, though.
Wow.
Do you want to
Hard
talk about
analysis.
this? Well, I suppose we should talk a little bit, because I think last time we didn't 100% know that Trex was confirmed. We were just talking about it like it was a rumor. So should we give that a bit of time?
Yeah,
It's a weird one.
It is a weird one. I think the thing that we have to remember is these teams have been practicing for like 5-6 months now. So if they feel like there is an issue internally, it's hard for us to kind of gauge it because we've only seen them for like a month, maybe 2 months. And I think with Vitality, maybe they didn't expect to get these kind of results. So I think they didn't expect everyone to be this.
What do you mean to get these kind of results?
I think they didn't expect everyone to be as bad as they are in EMEA and for them to go to Masters, to be honest. Because I think no matter what, they were going to change this, and then like, fuck, we're going Masters. We'll just have to do it after. That's basically what. So I think they pretty much made the decision. And then obviously it looks a little bit worse when you have the results there, but I think it's something they would have decided a while ago.
That's risky though, no? What if they ended up winning Bangkok?
Then you probably can't do it if you win.
Yeah.
But I think if you think it's better for you long term, now's the time to do it. So, but firepower wise, I don't know. Losing Trex is big.
I think it's enormous for them. I think that one of the things that people are not recognizing is that it's not just firepower or Trex being a great player or whatever, but Trex was not just playing Initiator for this team. He was playing Brimstone, and he was also playing Sentinel for them too. He was playing Vice, Brim, and Initiator for them. And not only is that good flexibility, he actually has a background playing a lot of that previously before, because he's been a full-time Sentinel player for a team. He's been a full-time Duelist player for a team as well, if you needed him to be able to play that. And he's also played a ton of Initiator. So he's actually got not just the flexibility, but the background and the reps and the match experience on these roles. And now, are you going to ask the same of Syvoth? Are you going to ask him to rotate around? Are you going to try to solidify the roles so that Safe is now permanently playing Flex and not Smokes at all? Like, what? Are they trying to crystallize the roles more, which I might be on board with, or are they going to ask Syvoth to do the same thing that Trex was asked? Because I think that's too much to ask a new player that doesn't have the background of flexibility that Trex does at a tier 1 level.
That would be a ton of pressure on a team where he's already coming into like a very pressure situation, right? Like, you know, this is a team that should be thinking we're going to at least go to Masters, you know, and then they should be hoping again to do pretty well. They already finished 4th, so like that should probably be like their baseline of like we're at least going to finish 4th, right, to improve throughout the year. So already it's a ton of pressure. I think that would be crazy. I think but that's the thing. Like, what do you do then? Because like,
yeah,
you've got less, right?
Guess,
like you've got less. Less is, you know, historically been a Sentinel player, so it is a strange one.
Have him flex.
Is Safe just full-time Smokes then?
Oh,
I guess
yeah,
less could maybe go Smokes and Safe flexes around. No,
I think the most reasonable is if Safe wants to like stick to a role while IGLing, whatever role that is, right? Like I think that is probably the most reasonable core foundation of this change. And whether that's his Smokes or Initiator is up to him, right? Whether it's like a Flash Initiator or whatever. But I think that would result in Syvoth having to flex at least a little bit, because I don't think you're having less flex around, right? So,
and it also means that their double Duelist ideas are much more than like wacky, because you don't have this natural rotation going on within your team anyway where people are picking stuff up. If you have these crystallized roles and Safe is the Smokes player, and then you decide, we want to play Yoru ISO on Haven, and you're like, well, now everything gets messed up. Because when he comes in, we need to fill somebody into the Smokes position, which means we need to fill someone into their position, and shit just gets crazy.
I think it's going to be a 1-for-1. I think they're going to expect him to flex.
Brother, that's brutal. I mean, I don't know Syvoth's background. I just know that he's been playing Initiator and putting up great numbers in France. But like, are you aware that he's
played a lot of Duelist on record, but I haven't watched it. So
right.
His like pool itself is technically also quite diverse, just obviously not as many at the same level, like at the same tier. But I haven't seen it, so I don't know the context of it. That's always kind of hard to tell. But he does seem willing. So obviously, if that worked out in trials, then
Yeah, he's played 16 matches on Sentinel, all on Killjoy and Cypher though, because he's been playing Initiator in the new meta where people are playing more Vice. So that would be something that you'd have to learn, because that's what Trex was playing on one of the maps. Then he's played a ton of Initiator, so that'd be fine. But he's only ever played one match of Sova.
Yeah, they're missing a resident Sova. That is the problem, because nobody remaining is a resident Sova.
There's some big questions here about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just checked. Kix has played 6 games of Sova in his whole career as well. So
It could go with Sovaless comps these days, maybe.
Yeah,
nobody's ready for the Durka Sova, man.
I've seen Durka play Sova.
Experience Sova.
Durka has actually played quite a bit of Sova. Oh my god, he has!
I'm
He's
telling
played
you.
22 games of Sova.
You know,
Look at that
Texture's
KD,
gonna go
man.
back to Sentinel next week. Durka's been gonna be playing Sova. We're gonna go all the way back.
1.35 KD Sova. Get him out there. Get him out there. Okay. Let's move on to our next game. We'll revisit this topic, of course, after whether we see whether Vitality had a super close game against Giants or not. The next one's our match of the week, actually, and you can vote on the community tab. Kurt, were we supposed... Oh, no, because there weren't any viewer predictions for EMEA, so we can't look at the report card. But in the future, we'll be looking at the EMEA report card as well. BBL plays against Carmine Corp, and that's our match of the week that you can vote on this week. Ooh, I thought for a moment there that was going to be a guarantee, and it would have been a bad guarantee, I reckon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you guaranteed this would have been...
Audio viewers, TMV has gone for BBL. TMV, why are you gone for them?
You know, initially I did pick Karmic Core and then changed my mind.
Thank God.
Thank God, because I just thought that they looked better. Obviously, what we've seen there, Magnum is coming in. Well, obviously, we'll have to see how that goes. And it was just I thought this was just a bit of a coin flip, and I just thought, based off what we've seen, I kind of remembered back to BBL and thought, actually, there was a lot of good stuff that they did. Karmine Core's time was maybe cut a little short. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of Karmine Core during kickoff, to get that full view. There is a world where Karmine Core come out with some kind of crazy shit that BBL, don't know what's going on, and Karmine Core kind of rolled them. That's possible. But I just thought, based off, I mean, I'm picking the team that was better during kickoff, so I think you should have to give the points.
Well, I'd just like to quickly say, I thought BBL were the better team, but I was coping for Carmine Corp. I wasn't expecting Sliggy and Chobra to also go KC, to be honest. I think they're the underdogs slightly.
I think this is 50-50. I think K-Corp, this is actually two teams that, with a lot of time, can come up with some really cool stuff. And even like what TMB was saying there, I think that BBL can come up with some crazy comps, to be honest, as well. So I think this is pretty close. It's just, I back... Normally, historically, Eng, like first-time K-Corp show, they look great. Like they have a lot of set strats that will always win you rounds. So I've just backed that, to be honest.
Yeah, as long as Sadak's not arguing just to run for the triple flash ascents again, right? Like if he can cook other stuff with it, and which, by the way, I actually liked that comp, but I do think they can actually do a lot with the new maps. And also, didn't BBL also lose like their analyst or assistant coach as well to Fnatic? So I feel like the prep is just in favor of Karmine Corp, right? Like these are people known to prep.
They lost their assistant coach,
Who's their assistant coach? Or who was it?
That's a great question. I don't know what his name is.
Scott, something like that.
Oh, I did see. I saw the announcement from Fnatic, but I didn't realize that he'd previously been working with BBL. Yeah, because Fnatic actually fleshed out their support structure quite significantly heading into stage 1. They have like a new, what do they call them? Performance coach as well, and an assistant coach, and then they
need all the help out there.
Damn. Oh my god.
I'd love to see who's picked that in that game.
I mean, tell you who might need some serious help, actually, despite us rating them as maybe the best coaching staff of last year. Heretics. Because they had a struggle in kickoff. This week, though, surely we're guaranteeing them because they're playing against APEKS.
Yeah.
No way!
No way!
banning
There's
Chobra.
no world. There's no way, Chobra. This one's crazier than the boom pick. This one's crazier than the boom pick.
I have my defense. I simply just had to give Governor a shout out as an ex-Pacific member to have a good debut in EMEA.
That's it. Okay, if that's the
also-
full process, we're cool.
No, that is actually the full thought process. It's not like boom. I actually thought there was a good chance, but I mean, also I think it's just a good reminder that obviously Heretics have shown time and time again that they will bounce back, that they have a good foundation, et cetera, et cetera. But we thought that would come through at kickoff too, and it didn't. So there are question marks, like you said, right? So.
They did play some horrific stuff.
They were
like
dreadful,
Heretics. They
actually.
played some
Yeah.
truly horrible stuff.
Like it was
So,
actually pretty
like
egregious
if they
you
played that
think about
level,
it.
like APEKS could actually win if they played at that level again. However, I think that you don't think so?
No,
I think so.
Even when Gen.G Fishy was playing with both of his eyes scooped out and he couldn't hit a shot, they're still beating APEKS in that form.
You just
I
think?
reckon.
No, that's
Oh, dude.
All kickoff APEKS,
All right,
yes.
Now I'm all
yeah,
in.
but
Now I'm-
APEKS like
yeah, but
improved.
this isn't
We
kickoff.
don't
They
even know
make
what
it roster
roles they're
upgrade.
playing. We just spent a whole segment where we
Neither
don't
will
even know.
Heretics.
Genius. Genius. There's no
I picked
way,
Heretics.
man.
I'm with you, but because I think that they won't be that bad. It
Well,
would
what's
be
the
hard to
percentage
be
then?
that bad for them. What?
What's the percentage?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Ooh, put him on the spot,
All right,
eh?
I think that's a good 20.
An 80-20 game.
Yeah.
I think it's a 35.
Damn.
You're crazy.
35.
I like that.
I mean, in theory, you should think it's over a 50, but I'll take the 35. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Let's move on to the next game. Now, I see Foot Esports in our chat, so buckle up.
Good luck.
Wait, who are they
Foot-
playing?
Foot
Koi.
versus Koi.
Smile, Sliggy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, see, I thought this was one where someone might take a punt. Not because Foot are not the favorites. They are the favorites, massive favorites. But the community's been rumbling about some Koi leaked scrims where they've been doing well. And I just feel like there's bubbling reasons of people wanting to believe.
What kind of scrim results are we talking about?
I don't even know. I'm
You
not
don't
looking
even
at
know?
scrim results.
You're just giving us nothing? Okay.
People
well,
are just telling me about scrim results that they've seen. I think people post them on VLR, don't they? They like leak them and
Yeah, but people
post
lie.
them around. People lie.
Yeah.
And it's bad enough hunting for clout off real scrim leaks. People are lying about scrim leaks and posting them.
Yeah.
That's pathetic.
No, it's good. You just tell teams like, I win in every single scrim. I don't want to see you get wrecked. So they just got to build the fear sometimes.
How many times did you do that with Liquid?
All the time. I think we won a scrim.
What's the chance here of an upset?
This is 70-30.
I feel very good about Foot.
25.
I feel like Foot are gatekeeper. They win against
Yep.
who you expect them to win against.
I guess the problem I'm struggling. What's like the if Koi did win? What's like the clear win con for them?
Individual popping, I reckon, probably.
That's
I
tough
actually
against
think
Foot.
so.
What is this? What? Team Liquid
Team
lost
Liquid losing to Koi.
15-8 to Koi yesterday, and that's
What's
the
on
only
that?
one that we can find. But also, is this Team Liquid messing around when they were trialing people as well? Probably.
Maybe.
Or
Liquid never
maybe
win
not if it's
scrims.
more recent. Yeah, Sliggy's already said they never win scrims.
Yeah, we just don't win
Why are
them.
we paying any attention to that? So yeah, what's the win con?
I think you have super prepped map, and you can take a super prep map. I think this is something that you can, because with the 5 weeks off, and I think some teams have been doing this, where you just heavy focus 2 maps, and then you're hoping that you can at least, well, you're going to get that first map there, and then you're kind of hoping that you get a good map later on the line. So I think you heavy focus 2 maps. They got 2 really good maps, and maybe there's a world where they get that second map that they're really good at their third map. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
they play the lottery with the map veto.
Yeah.
Let's move on then to the next game. If you cast your minds back to kickoff, there was an incredible match. Probably shouldn't
Was it
have been
incredible?
incredible. It was incredible, maybe for all the wrong reasons, actually. Yeah, between Fnatic and Na'Vi. I'm just such a
Oh,
Foot
banger.
fan.
It's a
Fnatic
banger.
Na'Vi was actually a banger.
Wow.
No way!
No,
No, that's not okay.
no,
You can't
no,
do this.
no.
That That can't be a guarantee. That one's not. This one's not a guarantee.
How is this a guarantee?
They looked shit. What are they doing?
I will swap. I will
Yeah.
take the bullet
It's
this time.
still
if it
a
needs be.
guarantee, Josh. We've been over
I refuse. It can't be, man. It can't
it.
be.
It is. It's
Look at it. Can you bring up the last time these two teams played then, Kurt? Because it was like,
Oh, wait,
It
let
was
me just
so
say, you
close.
can switch for your ego, but it's still a guarantee.
But they did. They had like what 3 weeks of Doom Bros. That should be enough. 2 weeks.
but he's
Yeah?
gone.
Yeah, but 2 weeks, man. That's some impact. You can do a lot in 2 weeks. That means they got
That's
all good
yeah.
maps.
I mean, Bren
did
helped 2G a lot in.
Yeah,
like,
did you see
a
what Bren
2-minute
did?
second.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, think of that for 2 weeks.
Oh, that Haven game.
Dude, the Haven game, Na'Vi should have won. Look at the run back.
Oh, no,
that
yeah, they should have
Fnatic
won.
did. And there were so many
Oh.
whiffs with like a Fnatic player winning a 3K, and Alpha and Kaya just came online, and Alpha, by the will of Zeus, managed to push them over the line. It was a devastating loss for Na'Vi.
Do you know what? I feel alright about this.
What are you
Why?
talking
Why?
about?
No, I feel alright about this now. I've had a bit of thought about it. Dude,
Why?
First of all, Alpha hates losing, so he's going to be playing non-stop. I haven't seen Boaster streaming for a while. You had Doom Bros for 2
Ooh.
weeks. That's a lot of impact. That's enough.
I hate that. Swap me back to Fnatic. If there's no if it
Oh, is that
doesn't change the
persuasive?
guarantee, no. If it doesn't change the
No,
guarantee,
really
I'm sticking to my
persuasive.
original thought. You know, we can all be wrong together. We can all languish in
that's
the
fair.
pool of idiocy together. Let
we're
us move
fine
on
now.
then. Let's go on to our last game, and this one is Kamek versus his former team, Team Liquid versus Gentle Mates.
No.
That doesn't bode well.
I love
That-
that you just say shit.
I think
right
guaranteeing
before-
Liquid in any game ever is probably a mistake.
I
Yeah.
don't think this bodes well, the fact that we've picked
No.
Liquid here.
No.
I think Kamek's going to be coming out for blood. His form at the beginning of kickoff, or just throughout kickoff, actually, I guess towards the end of kickoff mostly, was amazing. His like individual rifling form was fantastic. Nats is going to be playing Sentinel. It
Yeah.
got announced on the, or leaked, maybe you could argue, on the EMEA podcast that they did, the VCT one. So that means that Serial is coming in to play Initiator, which he doesn't have much experience in, as far as I'm aware.
Could have got Trex.
Could still get Trex.
That would,
Dude,
that would be the harshest thing anyone's ever done.
I'm hearing good things
Yeah.
about Serial, and you gotta think as well that they were trialing some pretty good players as well. They tried like Scream as well, so they're picking him over Scream. You gotta think that he's you
they
gotta think
actually-
he's up to those levels. Yeah. Why have you got that face, Josh? What's going on?
They've made
So-
the wrong choice if they trialed Scream for the
So-
content alone.
So sorry, just to wind this back. So you have faith in Serial because he
Yeah.
was trialed against strong prospects,
Yeah.
such as Scream.
Yeah.
For the Initiator role,
No, they were trying a different style with Scream. Trying double duelist.
on every map.
Some maps. What is this?
I
Gorilla.
mean, it's ludicrous. The last time that we saw Scream, he crashed out of
Yeah.
Valorant in
He
in
banged
force.
everyone when he was in an IGL. You're right.
He was great on Duelist. The game has also gone so far away from being based on your aim to being based on your like teamwork, util, decision making. He hasn't played in top level Valorant for a year. He's going to be so rusty.
A year, just like Izu.
What do you mean a year just like Izu?
He came back after a year. Or was it
Izu did
Sylvan?
not have a
even?
full
No,
year
it's
off.
Sylvan. It was Sylvan.
Sylvan.
Oh, right.
Suggest also came
Yeah.
back after a year.
Suggest, yeah. Dude, we're just
Suggest
naming-
just got farmed.
He did
we're
great.
naming legends.
That's what I mean.
Suggest just got farmed.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, give him some more time, dude.
God, I wish they'd signed Scream. Fuck!
would've
Why
been
do we have
so-
Serial on this
it would've
team?
been
No, the
so
guy's
good.
a beast, dude. You got to think, because if they're picking him over Scream, he has to be a beast.
Or he can just play Initiator properly, and they don't want to play double duelist on every map.
Nah.
The only time your liquid bias ever comes out is when we discuss Scream. I
Yeah.
swear to God. It's the only time. All right.
I don't feel
Right,
great about this though.
he carried me to multiple wins. So at least I can do is clay. At least I can do is clay.
Repaying him.
Yeah.
Yeah. TMV.
I don't feel good about it. Of all the guarantees we've had, and even if Chobra wasn't trolling with APEKS and we put Heretics as a guarantee, this is the one I think I would feel the worst about. Gentlemates are just like even before in kickoff they were. I know they've made a roster change, and so Vinny's IGLing, and we don't know how that'll go.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
exactly.
So we don't know how that exactly that'll be, but they were a strange team where they won some maps pretty handedly. They lost some maps very handedly. Like it was a bit of a wild roller coaster with them, Gentlemates.
They should be, depending on the calling, they should be more consistent because Robbie was very inconsistent.
Yes.
He was
To the highest
individually.
level I think I've ever seen, to be honest.
Yeah. He would drop like 20 and then drop 3.
Yeah.
It was mad.
It's-
On a
it's-
map by map basis. Yeah. It
No,
was
it's-
ludicrous.
It was impossible to tell what kind of version you were going to get.
Mm. Okay, then. Do we have a final game to predict? No, we don't. That's it. We're with
No.
EMEA. I want to check in with people as well. I feel like, what would you say the strongest region is of the regions that you've watched so far? Pacific, Americas, China.
Well, it's not China.
Okay.
It's probably, it depends. How are we judging this? What? Give me
Just your gut check.
you need to. There's two different versions.
Well, everyone has
There's
different
the
standards.
most teams that can win a Masters or Champs, or there's just
The
the
most
general,
good teams. The most good teams.
Good teams that can win a
The highest
Masters or
average.
Champs. Or,
No, the most teams where you watch them and you're like, that's pretty good.
Americas or Pacific, then probably
There's
middle,
no shot you're saying
good
Americas.
middle.
I think
Really?
it's Pacific.
For sure.
I think it's Pacific.
Pacific for sure.
I'm hoping
No
it's going to
bias.
be EMEA because Jesus Christ, what I've been watching.
Well, you said you think the level was worse than kickoff so far. from
Yes,
what
I
you've
think so far it's been worse than kickoff. Yeah, overall.
Nah, you're forgetting.
seen. Yeah, I think you're forgetting too. You're
Yeah,
remembering
Sure,
some of the
forgetting.
better kickoff teams. Some of the bad
Yeah.
kickoff teams were very bad. Remember some of the tail usage early, like you.
Yeah, Navi's tail usage early was abominable, but there's so much of what we've been watching this week that's been terrible. So much of it,
Of Americas
and
or Pacific.
And-
some Pacific.
some Pacific and some China as well. I mean, quite a bit of China
Well,
too.
China's definitely a little bit lost in the sauce. I agree with that.
But
Which
what
is-
are
yeah.
what are you comparing this to? You got to remember, like, if you got champs in your head, we didn't really have much of a map change or much of a pool change in terms of agents. There's still like a
Yeah,
big
there's been
adjustment.
a lot of
the
there's been a lot
adjustment
of
period
adjustment.
still.
My
Yeah.
Yeah,
my
yeah.
follow up question was though, is EMEA going to slip in nicely?
No.
No, I mean, in terms of how many EMEA teams do we feel good about?
I feel good about. Here's my thesis. I think EMEA might actually end up being the sweet treat at the end of a shitty meal, because
There's no way.
because I'm coping about Vitality. I
Okay.
feel like that might. I
think
don't
that's
know why
legit.
I'm believing, but I believe. I'm coping about the Heretics rebound. They played so awfully at kickoff. There's no way they're going to play that badly again. I've never seen Benji Fisher play that bad. Heretics are going to be good again. Fnatic, Sliggy sold me on the cope. They had 2 weeks of Doom Bros. They're going to be great. They're going to be great. They're going to be great. Team Liquid, Sliggy sold me on Serial. He's a great player. He beat out Scream in the trials. He's going to be great. He's going to be great.
You're a Carmine Core fan.
Carmine Corp, I'm a fan, so I'm just coping. I'm just coping. And then
Foot row is pretty
And then
decent.
foot row is pretty decent. So maybe there's going to be some pretty decent teams. Because God help me, what I've been watching.
The
It's-
one thing that goes in your argument as well, though, is EMEA. I feel I hope will play less Waylay than the other regions.
Oh, Jesus, please.
I think
please.
so, actually. But I
Nah,
think they'll
I
also
think so
cook
as
with
well.
other stuff. I think they'll
Yeah.
cook with the deadlock more.
Yeah,
and
but I
maybe
mean that
some
they
of the other
can't burn
changes.
themselves. They can't burn the house down with Waylay.
I'd be happy to see with the deadlock.
Yes.
I'd
Nah,
be
dude, I'm
down
missing
for them to-
Deadlock. It's fucking
exactly.
broken.
Yeah,
what
I
are
was-
teams
and
And
doing?
nobody's using her.
Okay, let's move on, though, to talking about Americas. So, in Americas...
Let the hatred loose.
We started off with a rematch from kickoff. Cloud9 played against
Oh my
NRG.
god.
At kickoff, this one, it blew our minds because everyone in the community was hating what Cloud9 were doing, getting rid of Rossy. There was furor about it. NRG, they'd just come off an amazing offseason. Zeppa puts out a life game, sparks them out. NRG straight down to the lower bracket. It has happened again, but not in the same, like, we didn't have the same level of hope for NRG because they hadn't just come off a good offseason, but we did get another Zeppa Life game. He's a fucking freak when he plays against NRG.
He's looking good.
He's looking so good.
He is looking good. Yeah, he does. Dude, the amount of times that I'm just like, I shouldn't win the same duel. And then he just insta-pop someone. I'm like, fair play, man. He's actually a monster at the moment. I do think that the level of NRG was pretty good. I think the Brock actually like had good clutches. I was super impressed by C9's Pearl. Like their defense Pearl, just the way they play the map, I think a lot of teams should watch that and kind of still notes. I think it's one of the better ways to play the Euro. Like the 4-person aggro over towards A, and sometimes they like keep on pushing the whole time. I think it's very strong. They're very focused on like holding the sides. And then I think NRG's fracture is appalling.
Yes.
It was cringy and cheesy, and they didn't have anything other than the cringe cheese.
Yeah.
Like the actual default bare bones of what they were doing was absent.
How many times did they do that? Like, you know, jump on top of A site fracture. It's like 4 times, right?
But okay, so the whole this is, you know what I was talking about earlier, where teams don't still strats, right? The way they make a comp and then they don't understand why it's good.
Yeah.
People only play this comp to spam this B split that C9 are doing right now, and NRG don't have this in their strat book, and it is the #1 thing that teams do. You molly over towards heaven, you double salvo heaven, you can't play in heaven, the person has to swing you over towards arcade, you drone over towards site, and then you're stuck in the middle of site, you have nowhere to play because the smokes are down, you either get overwhelmed on site or you have to play retake, and you're up against more salvos, aftershock, a brim molly, and you've got to get all the way over towards site with a potential crossfire. So like this is the strat that people run this comp for. It's what everyone spams, and they don't have it. That's criminal.
It was a disastrous game from NRG. It was disastrous.
But
well,
I think
but the first map was good.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it was a disastrous map. I don't think the other 2 maps were disastrous. There was only one round on...
I think Pearl was pretty disastrous.
You wanted to play the disastrous rounds? I sent you a clip on NRG Pearl. But I think everything outside of this wasn't too bad, to be honest. But this round that I have is... Okay, so we just had the second round where they got killed by the Outlaw. So they know an Outlaw is in play and it's their first buy round. And you have 4 people that buy light armor against an Outlaw. You can't disrespect like this. Like, it doesn't work. In a game that's so snowbally, this is pure madness. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think they mess up. It's just a small little thing. You gotta take that hit. You gotta buy the heavy armor. And then, like, this one will play out, and you'll just see Oxy take down 3 with an Outlaw, all just body shots. And it's like, you're giving them freebies.
Free bonus.
It's a free bonus. It's a free bonus. It's a free eco. It's a free 4-0. Then you get your ult before they do. So it's a free 5-0, all because of 1 round. You can't do that these days. So yeah, it's just a small mistake, to be honest. It's a small mistake, but it's like, this should never happen.
I was also looking at Ethan playing Yoru on this map, though, and just weeping for times gone by when we used to talk about Ethan being a great Yoru on this map and playing it supportively and that kind of stuff. And the impact was, it was like negative. There was none of it. And they're basically they're basically copying a comp from T1. Not fully, obviously, but like the bones of the comp can play in a pretty similar way. And it just looked limp. It looked like nothing
could
going.
you think of 2 teams that, like, in your mind you think of more like think of T1 style?
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that they would even bother.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, Ethan does not strike me as somebody who's going to play high-tempo, aggressive Yoru. Like, when he played it in the past, it was supportive for his duelist rather than him going in, paving the way. I thought I came out at the end of this thinking NRG are lost.
Oh, really? So I didn't feel that bad, to be honest. I was just like, mistake on Pearl, but I think overall it looked okay. And then Fracture's a really weak map that will probably take like a day or 2 to fix.
I
think you're being a bit of a result Randy here, because I do think like you can't take the first map out of it as well. Like the first map, it looked like the clear better team. They had better ideas. They had better execution. after the first map, we were like, oh, okay, NRG,
Okay.
looked decent.
Sure.
Then
so
obviously
then,
fracture happened, but that map
right,
still didn't happen.
but you're basically doing the same thing as me, but you're saying, but then fracture.
No.
happened.
I'm saying that overall they were not great, but not disaster.
You're saying they're mid.
Yeah.
They're not mid for Americas though. They're gonna get.
Well, C9 are the
they're gonna get
definition of that, I
whacked.
suppose.
They're gonna get whacked if they're playing this against some of the other teams in Americas. Because like we didn't see very good play in Americas this week, but NRG's fracture and NRG's Pearl, I think, would lose to a lot of other teams out there.
And I do agree that I think the problem is like when you look at their group as well, like this, they should
I'm
have been
just-
circling those first two games.
I
It's
don't-
like, we've
I'm
gotta
just
win,
so
I think.
worried that they had so much time after kickoff to fix up the issues and try to get some of what was going on in the offseason back again. And that's what concerns me, is that apart from map 1, there was not a shred. There was no moment on Pearl, even if we just want to discount Fracture entirely. There was no moment on Pearl where I was like, this looks like the team that was dominating the offseason. There wasn't a moment of it.
Sure, but that's because C9 were doing awesome stuff.
Yeah, C9 looked really good. There's going to be a lot of teams that look really good in Americas. Like, NRG are just going to get rolled if they... Well, yeah, on certain maps. Not throughout an entire series or not throughout their entire map pool, but there is going to be... Like, every team is going to have a map or a side or something where they play really good.
But so I didn't watch this map because, like you said, America's had a ton of terrible games, and I was busy getting prepped for the greatest game ever between Nongshim and RQ. But because I'm curious for Sliggy, like, are you assuming that they will clean up the small messes, and is that part of your equation, or you're just like, if they play this game exactly against other opponents, they still do like top 6 or whatever?
I think they make playoffs still.
Yeah, for stage 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's top 8 though.
I mean, but
mid.
they 2 of their games are G2 and MIBR, which I wouldn't feel great
Yeah,
about.
actually, you know what?
They have to beat Fury and Lev, basically.
I was with
but
you
even
for a
then, they
second.
might only get like 4th.
I mean, they'll make playoffs, and then it's just if they can make the improvements on the time. I don't know. I think I think the fracture is it's not a write-off, but it's like this was hopefully one of their worst maps.
Hopefully.
No, it is a bit of hopeful, like, honestly. Like, when you kind of float that one map and you're like, please don't fucking pick this map.
Right.
And then it gets picked, you're like, oh, fuck. It's going to be
That's
embarrassing.
somewhat reasonable given the... I mean, if you still want to believe in the, the people that are on that team and the coaching staff and whatnot.
Yeah,
So.
no, I'm honestly a believer. I think the Pearl didn't look too bad for the C9 did a lot of stuff. I think the NRG normally, historically, any kind of FNS team needs demos, and they always lose their first game. And I think if this is what it looked, I've seen it look way worse before with better, like, kind of levels of his team. And they've lost heavier than this in terms of like first games.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. He
bad.
does tend to win when he has more footage on his opponents.
I remember on Lotus Sideshow, you were so happy that he was, playing a normal Valorant game.
Oh, he was
and
actually, yeah.
And not just hiding away.
Yeah.
All the
He was
think-
actually playing some proper Valorant. Like, he wasn't on the Pie Watch at all. He was playing
Yeah.
pretty good on Lotus. But
I
then,
think-
as the series went on, you saw him cower more and more. Like, he's so afraid to make a mistake sometimes. I was posed this question, Sliggy. I'd like you and Chobra, your thoughts on this. I mean, this round should never have happened as well. Diabolical shit. But that's not Finesse's fault, is it? He just got spammed through a smoke. Do you think it's more likely that 2G win champs this year, or Finesse breaks the BO3 kill record?
I mean, wow. I mean, both. What is
Both
the
are
best,
unlikely
what is the
events.
best of 3? Okay, no, it is actually the kill record, and you just hope that there's just a crazy overtimes.
But he would still be the top fragger in that game.
Yeah, that's way more
they
chance
could
than
all
2G
break the
winning.
kill record together.
2G
All right,
with
he doesn't have to be the only
2G
one.
with their current lineup, or are we talking
Whatever. I mean, not whatever lineup, because I guess they could just sign.
No. It's,
whatever.
Tower tracks.
Yeah. Well,
Gonna have
here's
Spike
my
at the
take
end
on
of the
this.
year.
because
is what you're
Spike
saying, right?
comes out back in
All right.
June, right?
Sure. They would have to get to playoffs though first, and then be there with Spike.
Sure, I think Spike's probably good enough that I would say that. But honestly, realistically, if you're doing it percentage-wise, it is you just overtime game and have
Okay.
frags out.
And it's not. I wasn't posing that just to shit talk Finesse, but it got me thinking about the chances of it, and I came to the conclusion of at least 2G are trying to win champs. Finesse is not playing trying to take fights. He's actively trying to avoid taking as many fights as he can a lot of the time. So he's never going to break a kill record. It's literally impossible because he's trying to feed the rest of his team as more kills than he's ever taking. He like literally plays to avoid duels. He takes some of the least duels of any pro player.
I mean, yeah, but that's... I
That's
agree,
like his
but
style,
but
isn't it?
do you want him to start swinging like Angel?
Yeah,
Although-
fucking send it. Like, compared to what he was doing in map 2 and map 3.
I do.
I mean, he was getting
think
caught on those Southside crunches constantly on Fracture.
Dude, get Fracture out of your head.
Yeah,
Stop thinking about
I mean,
Fracture.
yeah, he's latching onto it. But I do think that also poses a question of like, I was also a big FNS believer, you know, for all of his career. But we were talking about all this like util heavy, exec heavy, combo heavy. I mean, there is a big question on if he like can even like the meta enough to figure out his own style around it, right? Because his core style definitely doesn't fit the current tempo and style of Valorant. So I think that's partly what you're trying to say, Sideshow, is that like, you know, he works off of like playing slow, feeding everyone else kills, positioning everybody else, and things like that. He's very good at that. But like, if nobody else gives you time, you have to adapt.
But then you have an agent that allows you to do that, and it's Face. Would you not just play that every single map?
No.
I mean,
No,
you
we're gonna play
No,
double
no.
duelist. Actually, we're gonna play double duelist on Pearl because that fits our style well. Jesus wept. Now I've gone off the NRG train right before they're about to win their next game with good anti-stratting. So
They might not need it against Fury.
I mean, they might need it actually against Furia. That's the potential dire straits that we're in. Anyway, let's move on to the next game. I'm just rambling.
Two
and
things
ranting at this
before
point.
we move on. You're
Yeah.
so down on NRG, but like, look at this. Like, come on.
I know.
Damn, dude, that's
know.
why.
Dan
Yeah,
is the only
that's
reason
why.
we didn't guarantee the win.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And well done to Dan for going for Cloud9 in that situation. She was so correct. And honestly, you are right, Sliggy. Cloud9 played pretty damn well. Like, I
Yeah.
like their flood defense style. I like the way they brawl and swarm you and fight on the defense for every inch of the map. It works well against NRG too. They have way too much, like, they assume their opponents are going to respect them.
I think, yeah, I do think throughout this whole thing, we haven't given C9 enough credit. I thought they looked like, I thought their poll was honestly one of the best defense polls I've seen for a while. I know it was like a little bit aided with some of the stuff from NRG, but I was really impressed.
And the other thing I wanted to say was, holy crap, Sam and Net were screaming at each other for the entire series after like every single round. I don't know if those guys have beef or something, but that was very entertaining. I know a lot of people saw like the Sentinel Thieves, you get the screaming back and forth of those teams, but damn, I don't think I've ever seen something like that out of the C9 players. I mean, Net did it a lot in Ascension, didn't he?
Yeah.
But he didn't do it in Kickoff. So it was good to see that again.
I think there is some beef. I don't know what the beef is, but it really feels like there's some antagonism between the two teams. Yeah. I think Zepp is fueled by spite when he plays against NRG and it works for him. Do we want to give a second talking about the bug as well, actually, at the very beginning of Fracture? Because we had a tech timeout based off a bug. Anyone know more than me in terms of how often that bug occurs? Somebody in my chat was very quick to point it out that it was because the salvos weren't refreshing.
Yeah.
So it's apparently a known bug. Doesn't always happen at the beginning of rounds. But that feels like a pretty enormous one, because if it does happen in a round like that, you can just straight up lose a post plant because of it.
Yeah, I don't. People in my chat were saying it's like very rare that it happens. Like I had some guys saying he's playing Tail like every day and it doesn't happen. But then I had other people saying like it's happened twice in practice for them. So I don't know if it's more on like custom servers or something. I don't know. But yeah, basically, for people that don't know, basically, you use your salvos and then they don't have a recharge timer. You just don't get them back. But they would have won.
That's actually the nerf. That's the
Yeah,
it's
that
just
is the nerf
test
coming
of a
in.
Repatch.
Yeah, but they would have won the pistol with that, so it was a pretty valid rollback.
Yeah, I think it's also, I assume they rolled back because the bug happened before any damage was taken, because he used the salvos right off the rip.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I think actually if it happened in post plant, I don't think you'd be allowed to roll back the round.
Yeah, which is rough.
Yeah.
I mean, it
But-
didn't matter anyway because
Oh.
fucked
Yeah.
them on Fracture. It
Yeah,
was,
yeah. True.
Yeah. It's so funny that NRG ended up winning the pistol after all,
after- yeah.
and then proceeds to have that as one of only 5 rounds they win in the entire map. I think that definitely juiced up the C9 players to start shouting back the other direction as well. I do enjoy watching these two teams play. It is fun to watch. But it's not a rivalry. They keep kicking our ass. Next,
Get to another one of them soon.
Next game. It was MIBR playing against LEVIATAN. Verno with MIBR defeated Rossy with LEVIATAN. And my take for this was Lev just fell over in the second halves of both maps. And I didn't know what to make of it. But there is so much to discuss with Lev's roles and the new players and the teams as well. So where do we even want to begin? Aspas had a terrible game, like his first ever awful game in VCT that I can remember.
I actually think Lev did a decent job of they were doing the old CNED to an extent of like just like on the first half, like they especially on Icebox in my mind, I just remember that like Aspas just sitting there the whole round and it's just always
saving like 5 rounds with the op.
Yeah.
But oh man, this was the Icebox, right?
Yeah.
This was killing me though. Like some of the stuff MIBR were doing where they would just wall off Aspas. Like he would want to go pick somewhere. There was multiple over towards B, so they like wall him off. And then the first round that he wants to pick bottom of tube, they just wall him off. And he's like walked bottom of tube. He's like, well, what the fuck do I do now? And then just like walks off. It was so painful to watch. I do think that there was some rounds on attack where to his credit, though, he was just kind of just sending it in and making the space, like what most people criticize him on.
He was fucking inting, actually, at
times.
Yeah.
He was. So I think, and it's nice to see that his team can win when that happens, to be fair. And everyone was fragging heavy. And, like, the team looks, like, if you can win a game like this pretty convincingly, with Aspas not, like, bottom fragging, like, that's a great sign.
It is, yeah.
I think MIBR are probably one of the few teams that will come away thinking very positively about, like in terms of, because obviously they looked better than we thought they would during kickoff, right? But some of that was, I mean, Aspas did break the best of 3 kill record in one of those games, right?
Yeah,
like
he did.
So some of those games were just Aspas went crazy for them, like you say, Sliggy. But Artscene, I think we have to give Artscene just a massive shout because like in terms of players that like. You like again, if you got people to name the best Americas players so far this year, literally fucking no one would have said Artscene. Especially like is he still IGLing? Yeah. Still IGLing and still putting up amazing performances like all the time. Like he's been incredible for them, and I really do think that. I mean, outside of like G2, you're definitely probably at least now putting MIBR in your top 3, and top 3 make it to Masters.
Yeah,
like you'd say they have a pretty good shot of making it to Masters.
I agree. I think they're one of the ones where you're like, oh, they're probably the favorites for the 3rd spot at the moment. Kat, after this round, go to just the scoreline of split, and then go to defense while we're talking about Artsin, and look at his scoreline. It's so crazy. Did Aspas that was like the only impact Aspas really had on that round. Yeah. like honestly, on that whole map, he was just like a human turret over towards B. So click on defense here, dude. Look at that ADR, 318 ADR. He's killing over 2 people around. He's 574 ACS. Guy was a monster. On breach. 18 to 5. And then go to his attack. I think I was trying to remember what he started on. It was like 4 to 12 into that. Awesome. So sick to watch. Dude, look how many rounds there are. He's doing that in the space of 8 rounds on defense. That's insane. 18 rounds. No, 18 kills, 8 rounds. That's unbelievable. That's the IGL. That's awesome to see. You know what I mean? This team is scary.
Yeah. But Lev, we need to talk about Lev though.
Well, keeping it specific to Split just for a moment, before we discuss the roles and stuff, what did you think of Rossy's calling then? Because Rossy's now the IGL for the team, which is a massive shift in and of itself. And he was attack side calling there when they were having their struggles. Do you think that was part of the issue? Do you think it was just, it'll fix itself over time? What's going on?
I mean, it'll probably get better, right? Like, I mean, it can't get much worse.
Yeah.
But, like, it's so difficult, isn't it? Because I think most of us assumed that, it would still be King IGLing, right? That was the assumption. At least that
Right.
was my assumption.
Yeah.
So we don't know, like, did they swap this straight away when Rossy came in? Did they? Because Rossy has been an IGL and has not been an IGL on his teams before, right?
Rossy said in an
Yes.
interview when we were on Americas that he said, I can play whatever, I can IGL if you want me to. And the way that he described it was, they said, yeah, we want you to IGL.
Okay, so I
So
mean, that's maybe a
presumably
bit more
from the
worrying.
beginning.
That makes sense though, given the roles. Like that would be the most reasonable kind of switch up, right?
Yeah, I think as soon as King goes to duelist, you're looking for
Yeah.
an IGL.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's right. I just don't think I understand. Like, I don't know, man. Demon 1 doesn't look comfy. I don't know where I would put him on the team. I think, like, the only way I'd do it is run double duelist and have him. But then, I don't know, man. I look at him on every role at the moment, and he doesn't look comfortable. I don't know what I would do with him as a coach if he was on my team.
It's really rough. I mean, he's playing Viper on Icebox. I mean, I said, like, he's their 4th best Viper. You know, like, they've got 3 other players who are good Viper players. And I've played a lot of Viper in the past. It's so, yeah, like you say, it's so rough. And, like, but that's just kind of, you know, there was a lot of those players, right, in the past that, you know, were, like, Jet Chamber on tricks, essentially, right? Who then, like, the ones who have adapted and, you know, learned to play Raze and learned to play Yoru and, you know, all the other agents, like, they've managed to survive. It's kind of, it feels almost like he's like a last black sheep. And maybe Jing is feeling this as well,
Jing
right?
too, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
of like those two being kind of the last couple where they've shown so much potential in the past. They've been so good in the past that you're like, they're worth giving a chance to. But
they've also taken the wrong.
mean-
Everybody else that survived that transition from duelist to something else has either picked up smokes and they're more of a like let the game come to you kind of player, or well, actually some of them haven't. Some of them have been a bit more aggressive, or they've gone over to Sentinel. They've gone like full time dome smokes or full time Senti, and that's even even Ye is having some decent performances actually playing the Sentinel this week, at least in terms of his fragging. Yeah. So.
But that took a whole year as well, right? So
I mean,
'cause
that
they were trying him with different roles last year. Obviously, there's a lot more to unpack there. But
that was a roller coaster. Ye's career. You don't want to model yourself off that, do you?
But I'm
I
just saying,
think-
like, I think that is the struggle of people who basically, I mean, maybe it's that whole shift, right? Of like, it was purely gunplay that you could get by with, whether it was the chamber or the jet, and now you're having to adjust with, not just your utility, but opponent's utility. So it's taking a lot for them to adjust, and then the game's changing during that. So maybe it takes another full year for Demon 1 to be able to find a sweet spot there. Because quite frankly, you say Sentinel, but hard Sentinel isn't even like it used to be last year, right? Like, you can't just sit back and dome people anymore.
Well, also, we're not even running hard Senti on every map at the moment.
Yeah.
There's plenty of maps where people don't run it. But I do think that Demon 1's best position is going to be playing smokes. I think we just got a very unfortunate view of him this week because he played Omen for the 2nd time ever and Viper for the 1st time ever.
True.
But I think if you're going to transition him onto any role in this team, if you're deciding to keep him, then he has to be playing smokes.
I mean, yeah, it's proven, right? Because he was good on Brim and Astra.
Yeah.
It's just the other two that hasn't been like proven to a high level.
So I think that's the only way that you're going to get good value out of the guy. You just have to trust he's going to pick it up over time. Either that or cut him and pick up someone new. Like, you got to either give him the time or get rid of him, one or the other. But the fact that King is going over to full-time duelist too, that worries me if we're going into a jet meta at some point, because he's presumably only going to be playing Yoru and Raze right now.
I mean, yeah, but if you get a jet meta, then you're fine. You got Demon 1 for jet.
Yeah, that's
And
better
then,
for them.
and then you just
That would
rotate
be the
back.
dream. The dream
Yeah.
is they revert jet.
Actually.
But then if that's
I think
the
that's what this
case-
team wants. Yeah.
If that's the case, why not play that on Icebox? Why not play that on Ascent or Pearl? Or like, why not be opting into the Demon 1 jet when you can? We've seen teams win with jet.
Not playing on Icebox was strange because I mean, yeah, like you could just, and you don't have to change anything else, right? Like King has played a ton of Viper. So it's like it would be a very
It's just one for the other, like EG we're
Yeah.
doing in 2023.
very, very simple. But I guess they must. But that's the thing. Like after that game as well, because King, didn't have a. I mean, the whole team didn't have a great Icebox, but King, I think bottom fragged for the team as well. So, like, are you gonna? Like, I it's one of those things. Like, do they just think that Yoru is just so good that like you can't play anything else? But most other teams don't think that on Icebox, right? Most other teams on playing Euro on Icebox.
No.
So if they play Icebox again, I would not be shocked if we saw Demon 1 on Jet, personally.
It's a mess. It's made me feel worse about Lev.
It's only one game though. I think and I do think MIBR looks
against a good team.
Yeah, I'm not
But
like
against a good
fully...
team without Aspas. Without Aspas.
But they showed that they can kind of. Well, did they
I
shut
know.
him down? They did shut him down some rounds.
They
but
didn't really shut him down. They
he
kind of
was
ran
maybe
away
going,
from him.
He was maybe yeah.
Yeah, but
That also works.
Where Lev is trying to get to, you should be able to beat an MIBR where Aspas bottom frags.
Yeah.
It's worrying for Lev that they didn't even they won one round out of like 15 maybe, something like that in the second halves of these maps. Yeah. They got to the halftime and you're like, good competitive game, and then they're like, I think I'll take the next one off. Take a tea break now, actually.
Isn't just so I'm updated on the America's lore? Demon 1 is the player that also, like,
he won
just
champs.
publicly always said he doesn't like. He's the guy that stood on the desk, right? I'm not confusing him with another another American. No, he's the one that doesn't like to op, right? I'm just saying if that's part of the internal discussion. Yeah, like but he's like spoken about it. Like it's not just like I kind of do or kind of don't. Like I feel like that was part of his whole character arc.
Did King op?
He's good at
game?
it.
Oh, he did actually. He did on Split quite a lot. He opted for like 4 rounds.
I'm just saying, is that maybe his preference as well? I'm not saying like that's still a better way to play it because his op is still good. He just doesn't like it.
I think that makes sense because then in EG, Boostio used to pick up the op a lot. So maybe that does make a lot of sense. But if that's the case, do you not just lean super heavy into your ISO on as many maps as you can?
Yeah, that's.
I'm not saying it justifies everything. I'm just saying that could have been a conversation they could have had.
Sure.
House. Yeah.
I'm saying like if that's something you can use that as a strength, like ISO is perfect for that.
Yes.
By the way, did you see? I mean, the Verno being able to get a big win was obviously great. He also performed pretty well. I mean, he had a couple of slightly odd situations, but nowhere near as rough as he did when he was playing stage 1. Maybe not quite as good as the off season though, I would say, with NRG, but he was still good. Did you see Kurt's linked it? It was an interview with Cortezia and Genom on the Brazilian broadcast. Yeah. And it got translated and popped onto Reddit. So I'll read out the translation for you while we're having a look at this version of it. The interviewer said, "Has your confidence returned now?" Talking to Cortezia. "Because today you shined on the first map and Shenom really stood out on the second. Can we now say it's the Cortezia we know?" And Cortezia says, "Man, I think so. I'm improving a lot. Initially, the main challenge was adapting to a new role, but I've been getting a lot of help. Verno also has a deep understanding of the game, and he came in adding a lot to the team. And regarding the communication, it's actually been pretty smooth. We were worried at first about bringing in an American player. Of course, the community probably thought, is this guy going to completely change the comms? I was nervous too, but it's actually easy. Verno understands, and we even speak Portuguese occasionally. So it's been very smooth." The interviewer follows up. "Would you say Verno was treated unfairly in NRG? Or is it still too soon to say? I mean, fucking stir in the pot, stir in the pot, stir in the pot." And Cortezia responds, "Extremely unfairly. Brutalized."
Brutalized.
Brutalized.
God damn. That's fucking great
I just
drama.
want to add, meanwhile, Verno's doing the interview with Pedro, and Pedro asked about RNG, and Verno's like, "That's bait."
Yeah.
Well, I think he's worried about people mixing his words because, like, a lot of people, I don't know if the NRG video they made with Verno was a joke, but it seemed like a bad joke that people didn't get, and it kind of painted him as like an apathetic jerk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I receive it at this point. It just seems like it was a bad joke. And now he's just worried about something like that happening.
That's not going to change when MIBR play NRG though, Kurt, and they're going to be, it's going to be popping off.
I do
you think it was actually a joke?
Sure, for doing that, like just skirting around the question.
Well, yeah, you can always choose not to respond to questions.
Yeah,
you can always say, like, sorry, I don't want to comment on that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's always an option that you have available to you when anyone asks you a question, actually. You can respond to anybody like that if you want.
Is that a reminder for us? Because every time.
Yeah, I think so on the podcast.
Yeah. But what was the other one? Oh, Kurt, you also made a mention here of Verno appearing on the post show of the English feed broadcast and saying Can you give it in your words, because I don't want to read out what you've said in case I misinterpret the tone of it, basically. But it sounds like he was throwing some
wasn't
indirect
like-
shade.
It felt like he was catching himself, but he wasn't like he was very nervous. He seems like a very shy guy. He's only 18, but he was just like, he just really appreciates his teammates. How he was surprised how good they were, and he's happy that he's on a team where he can trust his teammates to shoot back.
That last line is really funny in context of him just playing for NRG. That's really funny.
Honestly, I respect the hell out of that. That's so good. It's so
He's gone from
subtle.
finesse IGL to artisan IGL. Like the
Yeah, dude,
difference
that is
amazing.
the thing though.
Biggest swing.
His IGL dropped 317 ADR. It's mental.
Yeah.
It's the highest fragging IGL historically ever, probably in a half. That's so funny.
That's very entertaining. I really am looking forward to them playing against NRG. I really am. It's nice,
It's next week, right?
non-problematic banter.
No,
Week-
it's
week
towards the
after,
end.
week 3? Oh, really?
Unfortunately, yeah. I
When-
think it's their
when is
fourth
it? What-
match.
what
It's gonna
week
be
is it?
so
They
good.
can eliminate NRG that week.
Week 4. Week
It's
4.
week 4. Oh,
It's
I
week 4.
am casting that week. I'd
What's it-
fucking love to be casting that game.
It might actually be like it might be a game that actually really matters.
Yeah.
it could
Playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Really could be.
It's gonna be sick.
God, that's
So
gonna be
good. I
fucking
can't
amazing.
wait.
I hope NRG actually are like getting one. At least if they win against Furia, then it will be a match that matters.
They'll look good by here.
He
All right.
hoped.
I want to tackle Crew versus Loud now, if that's all right, Kurt. Or do you want to do that?
Absolutely,
at the
I
end?
totally forgot to run a show. My bad.
No, it's all good. All right, Crew versus Loud. This game was ridiculous.
Strange.
It was silly. It was bizarre. It was clowny, even. I don't know what to think about this game at all. To set the stage, I want to ask you your opinions on it. Fracture, that one is Crew's map pick. They lose 13-3. Loud, they pick Haven. They lose 13-2. We go into Split. This is the even territory between the two teams. Loud goes up 8-4 at the half, loses 13-10. There was not a single close half of Valorant played in this series. It was like whiplash.
Nah, it
Feels like
was.
this has happened a lot with games, right? With dominant halves. Feels like that's happened
Yeah.
a lot in the first week, which I'm not even fully sure why. Because I guess some teams are opting into like Paper Rex, for instance, are opting into comps that maybe are side specific, but that wasn't the case in this game, was it? As far as I remember,
Not really.
like they're playing pretty normal stuff. So yeah, it was. I mean, to have especially like as a first week, right, where you're probably just thinking like, oh, we'll just pick like a map that we feel really good about, right? Like first week, they might change some stuff. You would think like, how the fuck are you both getting destroyed on your own map pick? It's quite strange.
I mean, regardless of the map pick, I think the streakiness it goes back to the Teo. I know we discussed it extensively, but I do think that matters a lot, just given the map pool as well.
And just
What,
snowballing.
in what sense? The ultimate, or what do you
No,
mean?
just the fact that you can just like steamroll your executes and or retakes, right, depending on the map. And then if you're not prepared well enough for that, like you both have Tejo, so you switch sides, and then you're like, all right, it's our turn now to just erase every part of the site and then push you off and drone you off again. And just not enough teams are prepared to fight against it. They're just focused on how to use it, right?
Maybe, but a lot of the defense side roles that we've seen are teams not even being able to get into the sites. They're just running into like stun combos, paranoias, like struggling really to get in there in the first place.
You watched
This was an
RRQ,
example
Chobra.
of that.
I was just happy that Crew, because Crew had one of the worst. Their first Haven was one of the worst Havens I've ever seen. So I'm just happy that like you could tell they probably spent the most time out of all the maps on this map. It was a completely different map for them. Like they looked confident, like fully confident. They had setups, they had ult strats. Like their Haven was actually nice. And then considering in kickoff they literally didn't have an attack A default, like that's a good amount of work really put in. So it's good to see that stuff. And then Split was crazy, man. But Split should have been easy for Crew. And then they messed up quite a few rounds that were like big important rounds, in my opinion. And then I felt like Pancada was like a big reason why it was actually close. I feel like he was an absolute rock, to be honest, in like most of the maps, especially Split. Like he won like
He was very
2-3 rounds over towards B on Split on his own. But Kat, if you, dude, in my opinion, the only reason that like split was kind of close, if you go to split and then crew one pistol, I think it's the second pistol, whichever pistol they're on defense. And then on split, I was okay. So bring up the second round if you can, dude. This is one of the worst anti-ecos I think I've ever seen. This was the instant red card. I'm never gonna red card faster than this. I can't believe what they're doing.
I can't even remember it now.
You can't
which is
remember
strange.
this? Fucking.
I'll probably remember it as soon as it comes in.
Round two,
honestly,
split?
round two, yeah,
Okay.
round two. They'll just randomly push a ramp with guns, mate. I can't even believe it. There's no. They don't even give it like 10 seconds, and they just start pushing. I remember watching it, thinking like, how on earth is this? So they just won the pistol. They're against a full eco. Okay, we'll just look at the time. Just look at the time on. I just can't believe how impatient they can be. They take over towards mid. Is this the right round? Am I thinking the right thing?
No, this must be it must be a different one.
Do they not just push a ramp? I swear this is it. Maybe just let it play out and we'll see if it's a thing. I remember them being so impatient and just pushing. Someone in chat must know. Someone will
it's like minute mark now.
Yeah.
Wait,
must be a
are
different
you?
round. Oh no,
are
it
you
is
not
this.
thinking of? Okay.
I think they late push a ramp with guns.
Yeah, there's
they
still
don't
a
check
minute left,
this.
and they're still pushing out.
Why would this ever be your
right,
reaction to what's going on?
Yes, and then Tui's is just hiding there and kills
Yeah,
them
and get to the
both.
kill, and then.
Yeah.
Yikes.
But this is double guns. Like they don't need to take this risk against eco.
Yeah, this was bizarre.
There's 3 on B.
No, even if they'd pulled off the flank successfully, this would have been
What's the point?
extremely weird.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
Because
You
then they're
gave
just
them
stuck
2
in
guns.
sewer, and the chances of you losing duels down there and
Yeah.
losing a gun is super high.
Like you should always have like there's okay reactions on buy rounds, and this one is so fine on a buy round, but on an eco this just doesn't make sense. And this is in my opinion the only reason that the map was close, because they just had such a cash injection after this and losing this round. I think 3 survive and they pick up the guns at the end. This
It
is
reminds me heavily of Lev versus MIBR when Demon 1 was just running out with a stun A main. Do you remember they did that strat twice? That was dog. It was horrendous. And that was the half where they actually did fairly well, Leviathan. Those kind of strategies, get them out your strat book, guys. Stop. Where are they coming from? Who's cooking those?
Sometimes I just think the teams don't put enough thought into like their eco or like anti-eco rounds. It's painful.
Well, yeah, the anti-ecos recently have been dreadful across the world too.
Yeah.
Across the
You're
world.
an XLG
no,
fan,
really.
so.
Yeah. And the Chinese teams have been horrendous with them too, because they're all learning from EDG. It's like the mind virus. What did you come away from this match feeling? Because I didn't know what to take away from it. I don't know who's good. I don't know who's bad. I mean, I know that they're bad on certain maps or good on certain maps, right? Like, that's about the only learning I
That's
could
what's
bring away
strange
from
about
this.
they picked those maps.
Yes.
Like, how did the maps picked been flipped? I think you'd feel much better about like, okay, but it kind of hints that like they don't know what they're good at, or maybe they just just so happen to have picked maps that the other team and both teams who did win the other team's maps looked pretty good and pretty.
I do think that's a bit of a trap for if you're thinking about Loud. It makes sense to pick Haven because Crew looked shit, and then Crew it makes sense to work on Haven because your Haven looked shit.
Yeah.
So that map makes sense. Fracture, why the hell are Crew picking that map when they've been dreadful at it their entire existence? And if you've been putting all the time into Haven, have you also been putting all the time into Fracture? Because it didn't look like any of it had paid off.
It looked like in scrims whenever they do a like south or north side crunch, they just kill everyone because they kept doing them, and then Loud would avoid it and get to the site, and Crew would be like, "Now what?
Never played this situation before."
Yeah, this has never happened before." That's what it looked like for
true.
some of these rounds. They just kept like 4 or 5 times they did those strats, and I think they lost like every one. And just it was.
I want to believe in Crew, but I came away with more questions. I was kind of hoping that Crew would play incredibly well in this game, and I'd be really excited about them and want to hop on Dan Dryad's pink train and ride it all the way to the playoffs, but I don't think I'm there yet.
Yeah, I feel alright about it. It's definitely not the same kind of feeling that I was having after kickoff, whereas like individually they were just taking turns of being beasts. But I think if as soon as you erase one map, like as soon as you erase the fracture, it's like a good showing. And then you take away obviously when you hand them the eco rounds, it's always going to be like a uphill struggle. So I actually think they did pretty good to close that out in the end, considering the start.
Also just feels like, looking at their records, that this was just a play on the draft. Like, you worked on your Haven, you worked on your split, you know that they'll pick it or float it. So it's like, hey, the next best thing we have, we might as well pick it. If we get lucky, we get a 2-0. If not, we get a 2-1.
They did also lose their best map in terms of bind. I think that was a big hit.
Yes, yeah.
Like the reason they were actually like winning a lot of best of threes is because they were unbeatable on bind. So I think that's a big loss for them, like map wise.
I'm also wondering what they play on Ascent and Icebox. I think that's going to be intriguing when crew have to play those, because they first round banned Ascent and loud banned Icebox, so we didn't even have to see those go any deeper in the picks. I mean, Kesnit playing Waylay, or are they going to be playing a bunch of Jet over there or something?
The Kesnit Reina, bring it back.
Maybe. All right, let's move on to the last game of Americas that we're going to cover. Sentinels playing against 100 Thieves. The battle of the century. The dominance, the rivalry. But again, Sentinels continue to kick their asses into the dust. This game was
Also strange.
Yeah, and I think worse than I thought it would be from 100 Thieves. I also left this one feeling real bad about 100 Thieves and their chances, which is strange because it was a 2-1 game. But I think I already know that Senna shit on Haven. So I kind of factored that out.
Yeah.
But the 13-1 drubbing to finish beat me into a pulp after I had gone for the punt of predicting 100 Thieves.
But
I should have let the Plat Chat guarantee go.
So 100 Thieves only played split once, right? In kickoff. Is that correct? And it was against Sen.
Yeah.
So I think this is one and they wrecked him, right? It was like 13-5.
13-4, I think.
13-4.
Yeah.
Okay, so this kind of reeked of them thinking their map's okay, putting it to the side, and then just focusing on every other map and just being like, yeah, our split's fine. But actually, they didn't get to really test out their attack, because I think they started on defense in that previous game, right? They didn't really have to do too much on attack against Sentinels first time they played. They didn't really have that weakness. And I mean, the comp has a weakness. It doesn't have any passive pressure in terms of a Viper or a Cypher. So their comp does struggle on attack. They had one game, an official one, started on defense, and I think they just thought this map was good. They didn't have to focus on it too much and spend their time elsewhere. And they were just like, yeah, we're good at this map, right? And they got to it and they're like, hold up, we're fucking shit at attack. What do we do now? We can't get any rounds. We can't take any map control.
It feels like bind from kickoff. It feels like
they thought, oh, we're good.
Yeah, and also that we can run the same kind of stuff over and over again. Yeah. Because they brought out, when they played the attack side last time around, they ran a lot of like big set things. So they would like go up mid fast with a stun and a blast pack and catch somebody, or they'd, do some big play basically. And you catch one of the Sentinels players in their normal starting position. And Kaplan was talking about it in the post show. He was just like, it wasn't anything too complicated. We just, on a pistol, we put someone with Zelsis in case they tried to grab Zelsis in mid. And then we just kind of avoided the positions where they would jump on us with stuns. And then, like, GG, we get to play retake against them if they go into a site, and we're amazing at retakes on split. So, that's not amazing for 100 Thieves to be that easy to counter the comp that they're running.
But outside of just split and the comp problems, and even like if you're gonna, again, this still annoys me. Like if you're gonna run this comp, like just play Deadlock instead of saying.
That's what I was saying.
Like like if you're gonna do that, just play the better agent, and 2 that synergizes with pretty much everything in the comp.
Just got buffed.
Yeah, and just got giga buffed. Yeah, like doesn't make any sense. But on the other maps as well, like even on Haven where they won, there are so many situations, and we were talking about it, like where they actually start off the round pretty well. Pearl is full of rounds where 100 Thieves have an advantage. and find some way, concoct some way of like throwing it away because either they're not impatient or someone sorry, they aren't patient. Someone like, you know, just walks up. You know, I can't get the Boostio one in my head where he just walks up mid. They're already in a 5v4. They've got Sentinels cornered just
is
in
this
A.
Pearl?
And yeah,
Yep,
Pearl,
that would be
and
round
Boostio.
4. That would be Pearl round 4 if
that's
you want to bring it
bad.
up. Yeah, that
It
was
round
a
5. Is it 4?
Oh, was it? Sorry, I made a
It's
note of
5.
round 4. My bad.
But
Might be the
yeah,
wrong one.
Boostio just walks up mid, dies, and then they just open it up for Sen. And then even then they're in a half decent spot but lose. Like, yeah, I think it's round 5, Kurt. Because it's the one where Asuna like instant. It's like this is what I mean though, right? It's an instantly like super cool like you know that the Yoru is ulting alone, and so when you see the Yoru ult, like Asuna just sprints straight at them, like knowing that like no one is behind the Yoru, and gets a kill, and then he does well, gets out. You're in a 5v4. We know that they are trapped there. They've used Teo and Yoru ult and got nothing from it. So this is the round, right? So, oh, there's the Yoru ult. I know no one's behind it. I'm just gonna, I mean, it's a crazy play, but it worked. You know, I'm just gonna sprint right behind them, get a kill. Now I'm gonna leave. They use Teo ult and Yoru ult and are just now stuck. And, you know, Asuna backs up and he does a good job, and he's just gonna get himself on an angle where he can see if they come back to him. We've got everyone rotated. We're in a great spot. You know, Boostio at this point is in a perfectly normal 5 position, you know, just watching mid. Asuna's gonna get pushed back, and Boostio's gonna be like, well, here I go. I'm going to win the round on my own. Watch me. Watch me. And then it's like, you know, he sees them. It's like, oh, this maybe was a bad idea.
What's this guy
Let
doing?
me
On a
slow
vice.
walk
On
backwards.
a vice, yeah. And then let me just slowly back out here like Homer Simpson into the hedge. Oh, no, I'm dead.
And the mad part is, too, that to follow up on what you were saying earlier, John still calls for them to go back into the stack on A. And he did this constantly. He did this in round 2, and that's how they ended up losing the
This is what I mean. They're still in a good spot. Now, the Fatal destroys them in this
100
round.
Thieves had so many rounds. Yeah, and they actually do triple swing through the smoke
Yeah,
nicely,
that's
if I
quite good
remember
by Sen,
correctly
but
as
yeah.
well. But there were so many rounds like this where 100 Thieves have got the right read on what's going to happen. And it happened across the series. And they couldn't execute, either because their individuals are slightly out of sync with each other, or somebody makes a bad read. Do you remember the round on Split where they're going through A Heaven? And I think it's EU and Boostio both get sprayed down while they're trying to clear that corner. But if they just clear the corner in A Heaven, they have the round completely. There's nobody on site. There's just a player tucked in a corner at A Heaven. All they have to do is clear that corner. They fail, they get 2K'd, and it falls to pieces behind them. It's all detail and execution stuff, but it's been like that for ages.
I was gonna say, do you think there's like a bigger issue? Because I have like a underlying issue about 100 Thieves where it's the only reason Boostio used to frag super heavy in EG is because he was opping. I think that's where he's best. And then you have Cryo, which I agree is the same thing. I only think that he super frags when he has an op. You got 2 agents or 2 guys that, in my opinion, should probably be opping.
Boostio was doing all right rifling at like champs and stuff, like
sure
2023 EG.
Sure, but you'll especially if you look at like the Lotus and stuff, he's actually like fragging heavy because of the op. I feel like he was holding his own more than he was, but I think like he was actually like hard fragging because of the op, and I think it's just a completely different role now. And I think he's just, I don't know, it just looks a bit like a struggle. But I also think Cryo looks like he's struggling as well, and like the Yoru should be good for him, but he's just not like getting the op out, and he looks kind of uncomfy sometimes as well.
He's the exact opposite type of player to Asuna.
But Asuna's playing good. Are we all in agreement here? Because I feel like Asuna's the only reason that I have faith in them winning rounds, really.
He was going crazy in every sense of the word. Like, he would hit some unbelievable shots in this game.
Yeah.
He hit some crazy shit. But he also did some crazy shit where
Sure.
there's another one on Pearl where he just slides out on his own. When they're in like a 4v3 retake, and he just fucking slides in onto the site on his own, takes a 1v3 and dies.
I've got a perfect round for this example, actually, if we could take a look at it after this one, which is Haven round 12, which shows you all of the best of Asuna, and then he overheats, dies, and they lose the round.
The push from A, right?
I think he pushes down mid in this one.
Oh, there's a few of these.
There were many. There were many.
It's crazy in all
Yeah,
senses.
there wasn't just a single example. This happened many times. And when you watch this clip, you've got to also remember Cryo loses a duel inside the ISO ult. So it's not just Asuna dying that ends up losing this round for 100 Thieves. But it's no, I guess they do push out of A then. I thought you had pushed out through mid.
Is it the one
Oh,
where
no,
it, like,
no,
sits
sorry,
in the
I
corner?
said round 12, but I don't know what round
Okay.
this one is. I don't,
Sorry
I don't
about
know.
that.
No, that's all good. So but yeah, Cryo loses his duel inside the ISO ult to set this one up too. But the decision making, I think, is so all in from Asuna. You need full buy-in from a team to have a duelist that plays like this. And I don't think they have full buy-in. I think people like Cryo and Boosty just can't necessarily play at this kind of tempo. So, like, he gets that first kill. Amazing. Now he's peeking with the Sova ult. Really good. ISO grabs that guy. Time to go back. Runs in. Dies to the other player. He never plays an advantage situation. And then also, once you get John QT winning the duel against Cryo, the round's basically like back to being dead even at this point, instead of playing your advantage. There were so many moments like this where I'm begging 100 Thieves to play their advantage. On map 1, on Pearl, they won 4 out of 9 of their 5v4 rounds. They won less than 50% of their player advantage rounds. You can't win like that.
No, you can't win like that. There was another
Like,
example where Asuna also like pushed out at A and he did something similar. He killed 2, but then he like stays and just overheats, and it's like he does win the round a lot, but then he
gets them advantages,
yeah,
but there's a fundamental disconnect between the team in terms of how they set up their advantage and how they close it out. And like, I don't know. It's been such a long time and they can't fix it so far.
Yeah, it's it is worrying. It is really worrying for sure.
Talk about Sen. That's the thing. Sen fans are going to be annoyed, but Sen are boring now. They are what they are. They're boring.
But they kind of looked nice, especially Bang. Like, I don't know what this
Bang had a
whole
good game.
putting him on the middle seat is, but my guy should be in the middle seat every single
Revenge.
game.
Maybe
He's
it's just
so
revenge.
good, dude. Did you, Kat, I gave you a link on the document. It's like a 2v3, and so when I watched this guy, especially when they used to play on Pearl, and he was Astra, he was really kind of nervous. I could tell, like, it just didn't look that comfy, and maybe it was just like because of the team as well. But now I just feel like he looks so comfy when he plays. He's like really confident. It's back to like when he was on 100 Thieves. So okay, so they get this kill in middle, and then I think it goes to a 3v2. Okay, this one's awesome. So it goes into a 3v2, and then instant reaction, if you want to like zoom it in, he pushes over towards B main, and so he goes all the way down. So he has Omen ult as well. So there's a good reaction in the 2v3. And then he finds one, takes the duel, and then obviously they realize that that's the B player, he's pushed B. So what he does is he insta-ults, and that could potentially be back at B. So the team goes to go over towards B, but now they're like, oh, fuck, he could be back at B. We don't want to go there. And it forces them all the way back into John. And I just think it's just so smart how his brain is working here. Like, he's making sure that they're fully in control. He also clears B, gives the information so that John can just tuck into this corner, and then John just sprays them all down.
This is literally the round, by the
that's
way,
the
that I
round
was
he's
talking
like,
about
oh, you don't
earlier,
clear it, yeah.
where 100 Thieves had managed to
line up.
navigate themselves into a position to win the round, but weren't able to clear John, and he gets the 3K in a spot like this. I mean, yeah, you're speaking about it from the other perspective, but
because
like,
Bang's genius.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Bang's playing that really nicely, but they still know that there's a player A. Like, in the spot like this, you highly suspect 1A, 1B. They could be wrong. They could be both stacked on A or something, but
But they're thinking because they've done double smoke over towards B and they found the B player that the A person should be rotating. But because Bang gets the info and clears B, that's when John can tuck into that corner, and they're expecting him to be more spawn based.
sure. I still think you need to be
Aware of it.
aware of
Mhm.
spots like that where you can lose the entire round to it. 'Cause
Yeah.
John had that before where he was on A ramp and they lost to the A ramp player there. He did the exact same thing where he tucked A ramp instead of, I mean, it wasn't exactly the same round, but he's tucked A ramp. They walk in, they die to him, and the spike drops, and they lose the round because of that. Feels like there's a bit of.
No,
And every time
agree.
I'm looking at Boostio and I'm like, he's not in the moment. He's like thinking about the next play or the macro play or something.
We've got to talk about Sentinels.
Needs to
Stop
get
blaming
zen.
100 Thieves. Poor guys, man. I'm trying to talk about Sentinels.
sorry.
Fuck Boostio.
Sorry.
But I'm still impressed with like how together Sentinels are as well. I feel like they always play as a unit, even if like you just look at that example of the Pearl round earlier where they used to fade all like their triple swings and everything like this. They're as much as was it Zelsis in Master says that they don't have trust in each other. I could feel like they had practiced in like actually just being a unit and just working together. So I thought that was like as much as there's some worrying signs for 100 Thieves, I thought there's some great signs from Sentinels. And to look this good after like a shaky Bangkok, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
My big question about Sen is what their map pool looks like, because their Haven should still probably be banned. They haven't figured out Haven. And
They lost double pistol.
Oh, but their Haven did not look good.
Sure, but it looked better.
No, I don't think it did.
Really?
Narrate does not know how to play ISO on that map. He doesn't have a clue.
I agree with that.
You can't play.
No,
but
I
then
do,
you can't
yeah.
play that comp. You can't play that comp if your ISO doesn't know how to play ISO.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
needs-
it's pretty valid.
He
Yeah.
needs to study Meteor VODs. He needs to study Meteor's VODs or Alfie's VODs or something like that, and take a look at how you use abilities and operate around the map. Because if he got a better feel for like his role within the comp, maybe it would shift. Maybe it would change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't feeling it.
No, it's a valid point. It's
And
a
they
big
banned
struggle
Fracture.
for them.
And they banned Fracture. So that's my question. We haven't seen them play on Ascent or Icebox. And now, what does their Fracture look like too?
Yeah, I think it's a valid point. And it's there's a couple of teams like this. I've been talking about it a little bit on my stream where you kind of get exposed on the map early on, and like you've already banned a map, so you're probably not good at that map, and then people find out that you're not that good on this map. It's means you got a lot of work for this week to cover it up because people will try and exploit it.
See, that's where Crew and Loud are genius. They pick those maps. So you're
Okay,
confused.
yeah. Yeah, that's true.
That's so smart. Let's go into some of our viewers' predictions and go into our own predictions for Americas as well. So we said that we were going to check in on the viewer report card. Now, you didn't have a report card this week for EMEA, little Timmies, because there weren't any EMEA matches. But we get to grade you based on your Americas pick. And you said
I
with
must have got this right.
68% of you, over 2/3 of you, thought Sentinels were going to win, and you were correct, and I was wrong. Stupid me. Now, are we going to grade them for the week, Kurt?
Yeah, let's grade him for the week.
All right, Professor
Wow.
Plat Chat, let's see what grade we're going to give you then. Your report card, last week's record, you went 2-0. Your 2025 total record
Man, that's sick.
That sticker
is 11-5. Well done, you get an A-.
Yeah, only a
A
minus
minus.
because there was only 2 questions. It was the teacher's fault, not yours. Don't worry.
Yeah, my
And then-
parents still wouldn't accept that, but you know.
Well, playing into the
I think you should
stereotypes,
reward.
Chobra.
I would give that a B+. I think you should reward them more if they go bold. There should be more incentive
What?
for the viewers
What?
to go bold. Because otherwise,
What
oh,
does
you
this
picked
give
DRX
me? What
and
is this
Sen against
extra
100 Thieves and
credit?
Paper X. Like, oh, you picked the fucking, you know.
They were not slam dunks this week. Like they were. There was definitely a favored team, but they weren't complete slam dunks. We didn't guarantee either of them.
Yeah.
TMV
Yeah,
just
that's
wanted-
because you're a fucking idiot. And picked
You picked Paper X, you fucking dumbass. All right, let's get into our predictions then. So, Chobra, I'm afraid you're going to be using Dryad's picks, but Dryad
yeah.
predicted
No, I'm
very
just-
well.
Get ready to
I'm just chilling.
shield
Okay.
for Crew.
Defend? Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
for
for
sure.
For Crew.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
First up, NRG are playing against Furia, and I shouldn't have had to think
Oh,
about this
no.
one.
Oh, please, God, no.
Okay,
Oh, no.
that's okay. That's okay, guys. It's all right. This is fine. They snowballed to start.
I mean, I
You
went
want
for
co-
it,
if you
but
want
I was
convincing, just
worried.
play that one Fury around where they end up with multiple people in spawn.
That one was terrible.
Dude,
the
the
ascent
ascent. Oh my
I
god,
couldn't
where
believe
he
it.
sent the TP up to heaven and then took the TP.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Holy
believe
Show
it.
that round.
I was just like, what the fuck is going on? It's wild. I don't feel too bad about this. Furia might win a map.
Yeah. Okay. I'd be all right with that. I think it's an energy 2-0-2-1. I'll be worried if it gets close, but it could get close. Definitely could.
Yeah.
I mean, Furia did a great job coming out with an 8-0 lead over G2 at the beginning of this.
Oh, they look
But-
better.
Yeah, but then they flopped map 2.
Dude, what the fuck were they doing on Ascent?
It was horrible, wasn't it?
It was mental. Why were they just pushing one by one on random parts of the map? I was so confused watching it. I didn't understand what was going on. It's like watching a ranked game. Really bad.
Yeah, you're getting there. You're
Yeah.
getting the theory.
That's why I don't feel too bad about this.
Yeah, fair enough then. All right, well, let's move on to our next game. Sentinels. They play against Crew. Get ready to defend the pick,
Yeah,
Chobra.
Oh,
Chobra.
yeah.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
It's so
Yeah.
predictable.
Time to shine.
So
Come
for
on.
any audio listeners, Chobra has picked Crew here.
Oh yes, I have. Apparently at 3:30 a.m. randomly.
Do you
Defend
have
yourself.
any faith?
No, but actually, you know what? Looking at it, I think there's a good shot. Especially after listening to you about the map pool. Not that I don't think Sentinels map pool is like worrying, but I also don't. I think the draft is very predictable for Crew. I think they can navigate it quite in their favor. I think it might just come down to a potential split map, you know, and obviously Sen's notoriously good at that. But I mean, you just saw obviously how you don't want to play against it. So I think Crew can work around it. The biggest question for me is I have a feeling that if Sentinel really wants to win this, that they're going to pick Icebox. But now that we've gone through that, Crew should be prepared for that. And Kesnet's going to bring out the Reyna, and he's just going to absolutely farm on the Reyna. He's just going to farm everybody.
The
He's
Reyna's
break the
broken
BO3
right now.
record.
Reyna's
It's gonna
broken.
it's gonna break anyway.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. The Devour doesn't matter. He's just gonna frag out. It's Kesnet.
won't
The
take any
Devour,
damage.
the overheal
Just dismiss
doesn't
it.
matter. I will
Just
The
simply
dismiss
kill
it.
overheal
everyone.
doesn't matter.
This is a
Okay.
great test for how much of a permaban Sen's Fracture is, because
Yes.
if they ban Fracture, Crew will pick
You
Haven.
can't ban.
So they must
Yeah.
ban Haven, but then do Crew? Imagine Crew the big balls to say we'll pick Fracture.
Sen have to ban Haven. Like you can't be coming
they
in
have
here
to.
seeing Crew really improve their Haven and be worried about Crew's Fracture when they just got plowed on it.
Right,
Surely.
Yeah, I know, but it'd be interesting, wouldn't it? The Fracture will be a mess.
Could be
Fracture
interesting.
will be a mess.
I think both teams will just float Fracture and it'll get second round banned by someone.
Hope not.
Yeah.
It
I think it
will do,
might
yes,
even come
that's-
down
that
to
sounds right.
Fracture and Ascent in the float. quite
I
frankly.
like your concept, Chobra, of it coming down to split. I think split's a guarantee somewhere along the pool.
Yes. Yep.
Probably decider. And I could see this
Yeah.
going 3.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's
this
gonna
shouldn't
be-
be a guarantee. I don't think. I think Crew have a.
Yeah, no, I don't think this
decent
should be a
shot.
guarantee though. Like even if I wasn't defending not my pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about it, but I didn't get inspired by Crew enough this week to go for it. But it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. Should we move on to the next game?
Yep.
This one's going to be very
Oh my
interesting,
God.
I think, to see how much faith
Oh my
we've
God.
lost in 100 Thieves as they play against evil geniuses.
Oh no. Oh, for fuck.
There's no way, man!
No,
we can't be guaranteeing 100 Thieves after that performance.
Chobra, what are you doing?
Yeah, but Sideshow, that
No,
would
you know,
mean the
Sentinels is
converse
just a really
of
good
picking
team.
EG.
Ah,
Remember what you thought about E EG.
When I was watching the game, I said to myself, EG looked like a good old tier 2, tier 3 team where they're getting there, but they're playing so slowly.
Tier
and
3.
They're like connective parts between their rounds. They played full retake on C and A for like the 90% of Haven.
Oh, can we just show round 23
Terrible.
of Haven? Just for where Ye is just staring at I can't remember who it is in the
What, the
clip with him.
trip?
The trip, and he's just staring at him like, what are you doing? And then he almost loses the time because he's just looking at him.
It was
for so long.
0.32 seconds or something. It was so close. And he was just looking at the guy.
It was
I
just
think
so funny.
there was so much to dislike about EG, but in like not in a terrible way. They just weren't doing a lot. They had large problems with their game, I think, that are more fundamental. Well, because like 100 Thieves were trolling player advantage rounds.
But at least they were
would get-
getting into them. Like,
Right,
that's
they
a
were getting
positive.
into good advantages, and also they were playing the macros smarter than EG were on like all of the maps. So I think and I also think that Asuna is just going to run at people and run them over.
Okay. I think Ye was playing pretty good though. I think there's a couple of nice things from EG in terms of the anti-eco was like pretty cool where they would like get an outlaw and then they would use the waylay stuff over towards C and you would just hunt and then refract back or whatever the hell it's called. Like I thought that was kind of cool, just abusing the outlaw. I don't think they're going to get ecoed much. But I think like the saving grace is just how good Ye has been. Like Ye looks decent.
Yeah.
But I also thought there was a lot of shit, so I picked 100 fees.
Man,
Oh, this round made me laugh. 2G were coming back at this point as well. Like if they win this round, they probably win.
This was the best performance they've ever had as well.
Oh, look at it. He's low. Time's ticking.
Oh god, this.
back.
Yeah, I forgot about this.
Runs into the trip. Yay stares
And
at him.
then misses it. He missed the trip when he went to shoot it.
Just got
And then
on it.
just wins.
I think
Oh.
Wow.
we might be giving 100 Thieves a lot of slack here.
Yeah,
What do you reckon?
no,
A
I think
2-1 or
so.
something?
Yeah, I think EG are getting
Yeah,
them
EG
out.
could have a good map, yeah, for sure.
Oh, but if you think it's gonna be a 2-1, I feel like there's a good chance of the upset. Like if
Oh,
that's how
it's-
much slack you're given.
I would even be tempted to say this is like a 60-40.
40, yeah. I'm with that.
Do you think that's mad, TMV?
unfortunate.
I don't think it's mad. It's probably more where I would probably give it a bit more. I'm living in the fucking darkness. Hold on.
Yeah, what is going on?
It's getting dark. It's the UK. What do you mean? It's cloudy. There's darkness here. I'll turn on some lights. Not just like the natural light, but it's very overcast. But we are in the UK, so you should expect that.
Well, thank you for the weather report, TMV.
Jesus Christ, mate.
it's
Tell it-
currently
tell it,
although
the
it's
percentage.
13 degrees here.
Sliggy's in Iceland. It's
Warmer
called
than average.
Iceland, and they don't see the sun
but-
for half the year. Like,
That's propaganda.
he's not complaining.
Yeah, you don't see me talking about it. But to be
Well-
honest, I got the blinds down. I can't tell anyway.
Your artificial light, 24 hours of the day.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah, 100 Thieves will win. Don't worry about it.
Dude, give me a
I-
percentage. Stop with that
65.
fucking... You complained for 5 extra percentage. That's crazy.
I think the community is going to be feeling worse about 100 Thieves than we are. I think. Maybe.
I think that's reasonable.
Worse?
I
Really?
think so.
Just because
I
of the
think
split
so.
game?
Yeah, because they got 13 wand. Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
And because we're literally playing a team that lost versus a team that won. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Usually count.
Well, exactly. The
Jesus.
next game. This one is our match of the week. It features G2, and they are playing against one of the other top 3 teams, I reckon. It's MIBR.
It's a banging game.
This is a great game. It would be a
Did we-
shame.
Oh,
Yes, well
nice.
done.
Nice.
Wow,
Sliggy.
wow.
Well done, Sliggy, saving us from
Yeah.
that.
Someone's got to take the hit. I think it's doable, to be honest. I think they look good enough. I think if they look this good with Aspas not fragging, I'm hoping they don't play Icebox. I don't think the Icebox look good, but I think that everything else look good. I think when Artisan is like this, I think that it's, I don't know, man. They're all playing too good for this to not be close. And I think that G2 are still probably recovering and maybe trying to get some of their maps in a good spot. So I think it should be very kind of even with them getting Verno in terms of like where they're at. Comp and
I'm kind of
team-wise and
glad we're
map-wise.
getting this game at this point because it's like a good like tester for where just about MIBR are, right? Like, you know, if they even if they lose like 2-1, but it's close, you know, we'll still feel pretty good about them. If they win, obviously, we'll feel very good about them. But also for G2 as well, right? Because like Furia, you know, G2 were kind of sleeping, you know, probably a bit at the first part of that game. But then obviously they kind of turn it around and like it's like, yeah, okay, whatever, right? Like G2 won. Like I'm just glad for this because we know that this is going to be a real test for G2.
Yeah.
So like it's like, you know, where are they?
It's
right
also
now?
nice not seeing it at the end because then it's probably going to be a playoffs rematch. So,
Yeah.
you know, they're nicely
Yeah.
spaced out.
I think it's dude, I just like I like the vibes in this team as well. The vibes look good, and I think they're just grinders. I think they all just want to win. Like I saw some of the Verno interview stuff, and I'm like, just sounds like a grinder that just wants to do what he can to try win. I'm just on board with it. I think they go Toronto. That's where I'm at. But
Yeah. I thought that
feeling they
MIBR had overperformed at kickoff, but I'm kind of coming around to the fact that maybe they're just going to be a top 3 team.
yeah,
Who would have thought that Aspas guy was good, huh? Oh, he seems to be on good teams, that Aspas guy. He keeps looking into it.
Let's have a look at the next game then. It is Battle of Brazil. What a banger. Loud versus 2G. Smile for the camera. I mean, you can't not pred a guarantee against 2G at the
No.
moment, can
yeah,
you?
yeah.
No.
Until they show something different, or until you get spikes back, it's you
During
can't- you just
kickoff,
can't do it.
During kickoff, they were averaging 13 fours. In the game that they just played recently, their best ever was a 13-7 map at kickoff. They got a 13-11. They were very close to winning on Haven against, God, who was it? EG. Prize looks like he's rejuvenated now that he's on a team with a bit more, you know, oomph than 2G.
Sure.
Trying to make a case for 2G though.
Yeah, like what are we doing here?
That's what
leaving
you
the
said.
team helps.
You said leaving the team has helped him out.
Okay, here's
Hey, they got 11 rounds. Give them something.
all right. Well, here's a question then: are they going to win a map in this series?
No.
Would any of you say there's over a 50% chance
No.
For a map,
for a map win?
No, you
I'm close, man. I'm close to saying yeah.
no.
I'm saying no, but I'm close to saying yeah. If you give me like
Okay, all right,
lower the percentage, then I'm in.
all right. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I could say that as well though. Lower the
uh,
percentage to 0. and I'm
yeah,
in.
just don't give me a number.
I'm going to increase the sample size instead. Okay,
Oh
right?
no.
2G
Don't do it.
for the rest of this stage. Do they win a map?
Yeah,
They will.
Well, they play against Crew, 100 Thieves, and Sentinels. Who do they win it against?
100 Thieves.
Honestly, it doesn't matter. They're like, just statistically, it's just quite likely they win a map.
yeah.
So
Right.
it's one of
Well, you
those
guys-
where
you guys did
each
have to go
time
through-
it's under 50%, but then when you
Yeah,
add it
like-
together, ugh,
You flip
Nice.
a weighted
No.
coin enough times, you win it. You do hit.
DFM didn't win it when they flipped the coin enough
They
times.
won a map. They won a map.
Oh, they did win a map. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Talking
You're
about
right.
a map. I don't think they'll win a game.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I got it
win a map.
confused. No, you're right.
And they look a little bit more pumped up. Like they actually, well, obviously because they have rounds to cheer for, but like they're actually like they do look like more together, and they kind of like you can see the belief, and that's half of the battle sometimes when you're a
Zap.
lower team.
Zap was screaming at EG so much he got
giving it.
lightheaded and started running around with his knife out. He'd forgotten where he was.
Yeah, just jumping around all the time.
He was getting lost. He was so excited. He just really wanted to be there. He was just so happy to be there, I reckon.
Yeah.
Right, so let's move on to our next game. The final game that we're going to do a
this
prediction
one's
of.
tough.
This one's a genuine banger, I reckon.
Yeah.
Leviathan play against Cloud9.
Anger
The
is
blue,
what it
the
is.
blue off.
No
way!
No.
We have
no.
way too many guarantees for Americas.
No,
way
no,
too many.
No, this one,
Why
this
is
one's
this
the
a
worst one. I
guarantee?
think.
I feel alright.
You feel all right
Just
as a
because-
guarantee?
Yeah.
No shot.
Just because of how C9 played? Like,
Yeah.
They were good.
I mean,
They were good.
They were better
yeah,
than Lev.
but
Yeah.
But as a guarantee.
So it's a guarantee.
There are some teams that should
Oh.
never be guaranteed.
It's Rossy against Cloud9. He's about to drop 50.
yeah.
Shit. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that one.
Didn't consider the out of game factors.
Mm. Yeah, but he might drop
Player
50, but
quality.
maybe the IGLing will not be as good because he's wanting to prove a point, drop kills.
I could
Player
also be
quality.
true. Could also be true. But I mean, I C9. That's one game from C9. Like we've been here before. This can't. I mean, apparently I voted C9 too. So like I don't know what I'm doing here.
can-
but-
we can change Dryad's
We've been here
spread.
before. Cloud9 owns the stages. They just suck at playoffs. That's every single
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, our regular
Yeah.
season warriors.
Did they looked really good?
He looked.
No, they
Better
looked
than
really
Lev.
good.
Okay, but so this is more faith in C9 though, and not like complete
Yeah, I do- I
lack
do-
of
I
faith
don't-
in Lev.
I don't have much faith in Lev at the moment, unless I see something good.
The fucked up part is though, the Lev player quality is so high that they could
Yeah.
just turn up one day and just start owning in Angels and make up for all of their silliness or like the role problems or whatever. I just feel like the quality on Lev is so good. It's better than NRG currently, for example. And C9 were kind of rolling through NRG, but I don't know.
Switch to them.
No, I won't.
Okay.
We're going to be wrong together, same as the Pred earlier.
Yeah.
But we have trolled these guarantees this week. For
I don't think
Americans.
they're that bad.
How many? We're going to get 3 of them wrong, I reckon. We're going to get straight up half
All
of them
No.
wrong.
three
Oh, that-
wrong.
I
like,
think we'll
that's
get
very-
one wrong, and I think this
yeah,
is the
one
most
wrong.
likely.
Well, 2. There were a couple very risky ones. This included.
We had some for EMEA as well, didn't we? Didn't we have
Yeah.
like
But a lot
5
of-
guaranttees?
Oh, we had
NBA
quite a
games
lot.
on paper do
Yeah.
look kind of guaranteed.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
EMEA is the big question mark. Yeah, we have no idea.
But yeah, EMEA will probably be the most wrong because we haven't seen the teams, and some teams might improve a lot.
But what are we? We're like 17-5.
Yeah,
need
we
to
got
back-
plenty
we-
of
we
wiggle
got-
room.
Yeah, we've got plenty of wiggle room, and we need to back ourselves.
God,
This is
imagine if we
how-
went like 0-12 or whatever.
Yeah,
This is how it
we lose
begins, man.
everyone from now on.
All right, that does it then for America's Stage 1 Week 2 predictions. We're going to move on to our most important segment of the week that happens every week. That's why it's Weekly Award.
Presenting Wyatt's Weekly Award here today on this week's episode, the Edgewall Innkeeper from Magic the Gathering Throne of Eldraine. You won't find out like that in the wilds.
This week, we're going to give the Wyatt's Weekly Award to somebody of Chobra's choosing. Chobra's done such a good job today of filling in for Shio and for Dryad, who had to step out. And Chobra, your team won today. Not only did you predict Boom's win over... I mean, maybe you would give it to somebody from Boom. Maybe you would give it to DOS9 or someone. But for you, it's been an insane week. And so I want to give you the opportunity to glaze somebody on Nongshim for your team being correct when I doubted.
Ooh. Oh, so much power all of a sudden. You know what? As much as, Boom is a good candidate. I will give it to Domby for calling himself out for not being a good Waylay, not being good enough, and committing publicly that he's going to bring it back and show the world how Waylay's supposed to be played.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Instant regret.
Oh, I should never have given Chobra the power for that one. The duelist who went... What did he put together on Ascent in the first half of Split?
We don't talk about the Ascent. It didn't happen.
On the attack side, he put together a combined 7 and 23. Holy mother of God.
Dude,
0.06 rating.
The first kills in the first two maps, and then he just flips it in the last map. He gets Neon back.
Did he? Is that what he said then in the interview, that he was going to play more Waylay?
Yeah, so Jen asked about like the Waylay, and it looked a little rough, and said, "What's your thoughts?" And he was just like, he said the whole quote, right, of like, "I think if you play it well, like you're really helpful, but if not, you're trolling." And he's like, "And I think I didn't get to show everything that she's capable of today, and I think that's a shame. So I'll do better the next time I bring it back." Kind of committing that they're gonna play. And I had the same reaction you did while I was listening to the interview. But hey, you got to respect the commitment. You got to respect the commitment.
Put it back in the cupboard.
No, you got to respect
the thing is, I feel like even if he's the best Waylay in the world, it doesn't matter if the comp can't give you anything. Like, where are you meant to path to? Like, you're so limited. I think he could be incredible. He could have the best pathing. It would be the smartest thing in the world. But if you don't have a smoke or a cage or something, anything to go into, are you not just done for?
I do want to just take this note though, because this has kind of slipped under the radar a lot because it was never translated. So when Nongshim first acquired SPG, they were like doing a vlog and introducing everyone, and Domby straight up introduces himself as the tank. What? He says, I'm the entry/tank for this team, implying that it is 100% intentional, that he is literally just meant to go in and draw fire and let everyone else frag, which I thought was kind of cool, to be very honest.
I think it's concerning that they don't know what the game is.
He thinks he's playing Winston. He's playing a dive agent like it's Winston. Getting one-tapped by a Reaper in the back line. Oh, God damn me.
So, that fits the bill.
That fires me up for the next game. Who are they playing against? Sorry, what was the...
T1, baby. Let's
playing against T1?
Thank you so much for the guarantee. I just keep winning this spring, man. I just can't wait.
Unbelievable. And then he's going to be playing against Primmy, and he's going to be doing the Waylay v Waylay. It's going to be nonsense over there in Pacific. That's going to be so fun to watch. All right. Thanks for joining us, TMV, Sliggy, and Chobra. Appreciate it. We'll all be co-streaming. We'll all be doing different co-streams of different stuff throughout the week. There he is. There's Domby. So you can catch us there. And then next week, we'll be recapping the EMEA games, which EMEA is kicking off in 2 days' time, I believe. So that's going to be happening very shortly. Subscribe to the channel. Consider becoming a member. Goodbye.